Sarah Lund was dazed when he woke up in a completely unfamiliar place. After a moment to calm himself, he suddenly realized this place seemed somewhat familiar. While lost in thought, a bucket of cold water was suddenly dumped straight onto the young man's head. Turning around, he saw a fat woman reeking of cruelty, who scolded him and ordered him to wash up clean, because someone would come to take him away later. He looked at her with a bitter glare. The result was an immediate slap as the fat woman yelled loudly, "What is that? What is that?" At that moment, Sarah Lund finally saw his inner face reflected in a puddle of water. He smiled a smile that gradually lost its humanity. "Oh, so I've returned to the time I was 3 years old? So this young man has been reborn, huh?" Before him were the shadow of the Cooper family along with other shadows, all subjected to strict training from a young age. Murder, arson, espionage, just like their alias Shadow. All the shady dealings of the family were handed to them. In return, the family bestowed upon them no small amount of wealth and supreme glory. Therefore, the Shadows willingly served as the family's bastards. Sarah Lund decided to change the fate of being bullied by others. With damaged talent, he trained desperately to make up for it, refused to be looked down upon, and actively volunteered to go to war for the family. To complete orders, he killed many people, massacring entire fortresses, and finally, during one such slaughter, he won the war for the family, expecting a warm welcome and great rewards, but instead he was framed. The new young head of the family revealed the truth about the existence of the Shadows. Starting the next day, for those who became Shadows, he cast the Shadow Oath magic on them. It was just to blind a bunch of fools who dirtied you. Ha! In the end, Sarah Lund couldn't find a way out. All his strength was barely enough to hold onto the last person. Though he managed to touch the young head's shoulder, he was repelled. Even though he had the Blood Demon counter-transmission Shadow Oath bloodline, he took back all the abilities Irene had stolen from him, but his life ended there. Because of that, Sarah Lund would not let this happen again. Even a hero doing righteous deeds falls to hunger. His stomach was growling, seemingly having gone 3 days without food. At that moment, a mouse was squeaking nearby, and he decided to eat that mouse to fill his stomach first. Remembering back on the battlefield, mouse meat was tastier than human meat. He smiled with a lost humanity, ready to send that ugly mouse into his belly. Suddenly, 2 men walked in. They told him that the young master Irene wanted to see him. Without waiting for his consent, the 2 immediately dragged him away. At this point in his previous life, he was chosen as a shadow, but all memories of the selection ritual disappeared likely, because the Blood Demon Shadow Oath had been cast on him back then. Sarah Lund smiled cunningly, but this life? Not a chance. He bit their hands to break free from their grip. The 2 guys were a bit unlucky to run into a young man who bit their hands. One of them swung a punch, but he had much more strength than years before. Sarah Lund pulled it off. Then he grabbed the man's hand and placed his own hand in that position. The other guy was stunned, not expecting this brat to have sword talent. "This is your chance, it has come." It was a kind of blood. With the attitude of one who retaliates blow for blow, it would turn the target into the user's own body. Shadows cannot harm people, nor can they handle anything of humans. The strength and power of shadows are bestowed upon humans. Because the nature of this magic was too cruel, the Empire had long issued a decree to destroy all ancient magic books containing the Shadow Oath, forbidding anyone from using it. After Irene learned that the 2 attendants couldn't drag Sarah Lund over, he became very angry and interacted with his subordinate. "Damn it, a stray dog let you 2 get pushed around? Does the Cooper family raise you to sit around and do nothing?" At just 8 years old, Irene already carried a cruel bloodline. He would be the next heir of the Cooper family. The soldier couldn't resist, just covering his face and hurriedly apologizing. "Sorry, young master, it was my negligence, my negligence." Irene walked up to Sarah Lund and warned him, "You dare touch even my people?" He ordered his men to lock the young man in the dungeon. However, Heir Cooper, Irene's mother, spoke up to defend him. She said, "This child has had no one to discipline him since he was little, so acting so recklessly is normal. But now is not the time to punish him. What matters is the oath ceremony." She reminded her son not to forget the things she had instructed. Today, Irene had to perform the ritual with a face full of cruelty. Irene didn't understand why his mother wanted that name. He waited for an opportunity to find a way to turn Sarah Lund into a tool. That was why Irene accepted his mother's request. He looked at his mother and said he was very happy to hear that. Mother said, "All right, I'll take the lead. Don't cause trouble for us. This is the future of our lives." Then she ordered everyone to disperse, leaving only the young master Irene. The others cast a soundproof spell so no one would disturb her beloved son. After his mother left, Irene began pouring holy water. Then he declared that those below were members of the Legion of Light, and he himself was a member of the family. All those under Sarah Lund's name declared in unison, "In the name of the Shadow Oath, we swear that in this life, We will dedicate our lives to the family. We will entrust everything to the family. Law of the people for the people. Sarah Lund knew what Irene would do next. She pretended to drink it. Suddenly he scorned that group of fools. They couldn't even tell the difference between sleeping potion and holy water. Then he cut his hair and took the strand of hair out of his mouth. The abilities of everyone here would all have to be supplied to him. When he got hurt, they would all suffer. Immediately, a red magic circle surrounded everyone. The power from the children transmitted enough colors to Irene. He felt the abilities flowing into his body. The shadow oath seemed successful. He couldn't believe it was that simple. He considered himself a genius and had to quickly tell his mother. Irene was delighted, turned around to leave, but couldn't. His body couldn't move. That wasn't because he had used his own body, something she had never mentioned. He cried out, "Mother!" Sarah Lund stood up, saying that he was still like a girl who liked to run after his mother. It was truly pitiful that he wasn't. Your mother, not wanting to disturb you completing the shadow oath, cast a soundproof spell. No matter how you call, no one will hear you. Irene turned around and saw Sarah Lund holding a sword, standing with a dense aura of killing intent. He didn't understand why Sarah Lund woke up and knew about the shadow oath. Am I not amazing? He was completely confused, no longer knowing what he was doing. I wonder how that Irene will respond now. Then he fell, his heart as if knocked away. He screamed in pain. What do you want to do? Stop right now. In the past life, Sarah Lund had to pay with her life to reclaim what was hers. As for this life, you're just getting a taste of your own medicine. As she spoke, Sarah Lund pointed the sword straight at him. A sharp sound rang out. A subordinate reported to the lady that the spell had been broken. She frantically called her son's name. Afterwards, Irene was taken to the hospital for a while. He said the young master's body was fine, just that he had consumed too much mana and temporarily fainted. As for the shattered soundproof spell, it was because the servant Giano who cast the charm had been distracted. He had ordered him dealt with, like mother, like son. If the child was cruel, the parents would be 100 times crueler, she said. Throw that corpse to the dogs. However, his soul was still very small. Seeing these things, he found it hard to accept in his heart. Irene lay on the ground. He only felt that there was something he couldn't remember. Seeing her son worried, the mother gently stroked her precious son's hair and comforted him. You don't need to waste your energy on those shadows. In this world, the big fish eat the little fish. Before she could finish the sentence, Irene shoved her hand away. He lost control, saying he was the future head of the Cooper family, and those born bastard bloodlines must all sell their lives to him. The mother was extremely pleased. Ha ha ha, truly my son, that's how it should be. Just tell your mother what reward you want. Outside, Sarah Lund heard everything and gave a helpless, resigned smile. Truly, deep mother-son affection. But from today onward, Irene is her best son. In the past life, while Sarah Lund was fighting for the family, she discovered that the Shadow Oath was recorded in the Blood Demon catalog. Sarah Lund gladly offered it to the family, not realizing that she herself had long become a sacrifice. Luckily, she had glanced at the book's contents and combined it with the experience of reclaiming power from her past life. Now the price to pay was just a drop of blood, which could reverse the Shadow Oath and swap the relationship between Sarah Lund and Irene. Even so, the 3-year-old Sarah Lund was still a weak child, lacking the strength to fight all of them. She must become stronger from now on. The first step is to go to the volcano cliff. The Cooper family created this testing ground on the volcanic cliff to screen for strong physiques and shadows willing to sacrifice. Like Prometheus, who stole fire for humanity, children under 10 years old are brought down the volcanic cliff, enduring day and night, as if voluntarily offering themselves to the divine eagle. They must go thorn bushes and be chased and eaten by the divine eagle. Even if it cannot die, it still cannot truly die. Only when a single shadow climbs to the top and receives the blessing of the divine eagle griffin will they have an invulnerable body, no matter how they are dissected or attacked. Enos Walker, the trainer of the shadows, announces to the children that no matter what method they use, the test standard is only one. That is the first one to reach the top. Of course, do not forget that the rest will have to die. Alright, shadows, for your bright future, set off. As soon as the echo fades, the children rush forward. Only Sarah Lund remains calm and silent. This surprises the trainer quite a bit. Yesterday, he was friends with another child. Sarah Lund's choice to climb the steep slope makes the two trainers despise him. Ha ha ha. Instead of taking the gentle slope, he wants to climb to the top with bare hands, afraid he'll fall to his death halfway up. Extremely foolish. One confidently wants to go over and kill the boy, but the other trainer laughs eerily and says it's not necessary. Suddenly he remembers an interesting way. The two divine eagles should also be released now. The divine eagles begin to appear above the mountain peak. The children are terrified when they see the divine eagles. Sarah Lund climbs to the top and witnesses a pitiful sight. The eagle is using the children as bait. The eagle hasn't seen him yet. The purpose of the two trainers is to take this opportunity to eliminate Sarah Lund, because yesterday he angered the young master. One trainer shoots an arrow toward the eagle. Just as the arrow flies past, Sarah Lund also climbs up. Griffin thinks that he did that to provoke it. It becomes angry and intends to eat him, but that's exactly what he wants. Sarah Lund jumps up and climbs onto its back. Having lived through a lifetime, he now knows there is only one way to climb fast to the top. The blessing of Griffin is exactly what needs to be obtained. Checking information on the divine eagle Griffin, S-level female monster, danger level 4 stars, born on the volcanic cliff. After eating many human brains, it developed intelligence and can communicate with humans. It signed a contract with the Cooper family, receives bait, and helps screen shadows. Whoever receives the blessing will have an invincible body. It likes gold, silver, and gems, and has a young offspring. Sarah Lund stabs straight into its head with his sword. Griffin, by nature, is not easily subdued. Moreover, it possesses human intelligence. If not completely defeated, it will never submit to anyone. So there's only this final move left. He charges forward and uses the Shadow Endurance Soul Inlay triple technique. Of course, the divine eagle is not silent. It immediately counterattacks. It dives into the valley, almost throwing him off. Luckily, he manages to cling to the cliff wall. Then he crawls back up. This is a good idea, but he is only 3 years old, not 30. If he tries a different approach, he can't do anything. With his current body weight, if he gets close to Griffin, he will be cut in half. Fortunately, there's still one way. He sees a cave nearby. If he can do it, he will have a chance to turn the situation around. The divine eagle shoots out a wind sphere with extremely strong wind force. Every time Griffin exhales a wind sphere from its mouth, the wind force increases from level 1 to level 10. Sarah Lund must dodge continuously, but with a level 10 wind sphere, let alone him. Even if there were 100 Sarah Lunds, they couldn't escape. And then a thought suddenly pops into his head. If he doesn't escape from it, he will be obliterated in this attack. No sooner said than done. Sarah Lund instantly shot up into the air. He ordered that it be used to bring him back to the cave. Because of the lack of confidence and strength from the people up there, if he activated the illusion, then Irene would also be affected. He was still sipping his tea, drinking without pause. So his plan had succeeded. Taking advantage of this moment, he quickly moved inside to take action. The divine eagle appeared right after that. She was extremely eager to catch the tiny prey. The truth was that he had taken her child hostage, causing the little one to cry out in fear, calling for its mother. The world knew that although the griffin was powerful, her newborn had been taken. She looked at his hand, but of course he wouldn't harm it. On the contrary, he could even heal her wings and help her fly again. Of course there would be conditions, but what those conditions were he would reveal later. Down below, hearing no commotion, the two trainers became very impatient. They thought he had already become the griffin's meal, so they decided to report back to young Master Irene, and of course they would be rewarded. No sooner had the blessing ended than the griffin appeared behind them, her eyes filled with killing intent. She thought he was standing on her back. Then the divine eagle used her claws to end the lives of the two dark-hearted villains. This was the exchange between her and him. With the griffin's agreement settled, now it was his turn. He demanded that she take him to the secret realm mountain range in the north, the land of stone landscapes. The plan was that he would go retrieve Perseus' sword. Afterward, she would help him obtain Medusa's blood, and he would help her with everything. Unfortunately, his true goal was neither the holy sword nor the griffin's assistance. What he wanted was to use the griffin to destroy this secret realm. The door slowly opened, revealing inside a statue of a giant snake monster with snakes for hair. Since they hadn't been gelled, it looked rather messy. At the bottom were 3 very wicked individuals. According to the script, at the age of 52, the mistress sent the Shadow Legion here to retrieve Perseus' sword for Irene, because within the secret realm existed the statue of Medusa, which could petrify all living things. Some shadows would help Irene destroy Medusa. Only he alone survived. But Perseus' sword only accepted those with S-rank talent, so naturally he couldn't obtain it. Irene, because she had S-rank talent, could control Medusa and take advantage of the situation. In the end, Irene became the genius chosen by the Holy Sword, able to earn endless money and top-tier connections. That was why he couldn't do it, but that didn't mean Irene could. The griffin entered but found no sword nor Medusa's blood, only a broken statue. The door suddenly slammed shut. The griffin began to think he was about to pull something. At that moment, behind her, stone statues came charging forward rapidly. Each one had a terrifying appearance. The griffin didn't know how to survive. She fought with great difficulty. They shattered into many fragments, but immediately, those fragments could reassemble, gradually merging into a single being. Harsh, violent, terrifying. These 3 stone statues all lacked facial features, much like the Grey sisters, who shared a single eye and a single tooth. Moreover, they and Medusa were all sea gods, with the ability to control seawater. He fled in fear. The griffin knew that running away was pointless, and if this continued, this place would explode. Both of them would die here. What needed to be done now was to find a pen. Sarah Lund hurriedly ran off to search, her face full of worry. There were runes on that stone wall, so maybe she could find a way to solve this. But the truth was that everyone was just a character in a movie. He thought everything was going his way, but the scene shattered and everything fell apart in Heir. He would use his past life memories to discover the secret path hidden here, but his current power just wasn't enough yet. He acted terrified, pointed at the rune, and called out, "Griffin! Finn, take down that eye from above only then. Will they stop attacking?" Griffin heard that, so she flew up and took down that eye. The blood automatically melted into water. He explained that it was because the war talisman had records written on it. Perseus had stolen the eye of the three Grey sisters, which was how he learned Medusa's location, so the eye was the sisters' weak point. Griffin wondered where the sword was and whether the blood could heal her child. Were there any writings on it? He pointed to the sword behind them. Perseus used this sword to cut off Medusa's head, and the blood will flow down. The red blood kills all living things, while the blue blood can cure any kind of illness. But that was only in the story, tied to the mystery. When Perseus' sword appeared in the world, it was also the moment Medusa would revive. The Medusa statue kept attacking, and he had already achieved his goal. Now all he had to do was get out. When Medusa appeared, there was no need to use Perseus anymore, because nothing could stop it. As he was about to step through the door, it suddenly attacked, catching him off guard. At the same time, the bloodthirsty monster wanted to devour his new life. Where Griffin was, nobody knew. It turned out she was hiding behind a rock. Whenever something difficult got tangled up, she would pass it back to him, because she didn't want to die. Right then, he realized the Griffin also had a shrinking skill. The monster kept attacking relentlessly. Fortunately, in his past life he had already passed through this secret realm, so he wasn't completely helpless. First, he had to grab a shield from the Stone Round Table Knights. He could use the shield's reflection to pinpoint Medusa's position, avoid her gaze, and not get turned to stone. At the same time, it could also block Medusa's divine eye attack. He used that shield to protect himself from the monster's strikes. However, in his current form, just a shield wasn't enough. He was knocked backward, and the shield flew into the blood box. The secret passage's exit had just been destroyed. Moreover, with his current talent level, he had no way to retrieve Perseus' sword. Even so, how would he know without trying? If he didn't bet on it, he would die here today anyway. So even if it meant risking his life, he had to keep moving forward. For a moment, it felt like he could grab it as easily as picking something up from his hand. Before he could celebrate, a snake impaled his body and then lifted him up into the air. Perhaps because his talent was too low, he couldn't take the sword. He recalled what Irene had said in his past life. Just a D-rank talent brat wanting to defile this sword? He didn't know what he had done wrong. That was when he was hanging on the Holy Cross, with Irene and the Mother Empress standing below. The Mother Empress still meant no good. Don't tell him he could reclaim the throne. Young man, I think we can resolve this issue. From that moment, his sword talent was transferred to that vile Salon Cooper. Back in the present, he was still under Medusa's assault. Griffin peeked from nearby, not sure what was happening. She didn't know if she could escape all the danger. He might even be able to fight and take Medusa's head, only because he was a monster himself. In his past life, he originally had an S-rank sword talent, but the main character used magic to transfer his talent to Irene, and he still kept his memories. That was the whole truth. He collected the blue blood into a glass vial, then laughed loudly. Things were getting more and more interesting. Irene, just stay home and wait to see what happens next. But when Griffin went mad, this kid acted decisively and gently finished off the mouse. Being called back startled the bird, but at this point, she could no longer joke around with her new master. Even an S-rank monster would be wary. So why would you mess with this milk-skinned kid? Sarah Lund asked only one question. Is your head hard? Griffin immediately showed a confused question mark. It turned out he used its hard head to break rocks, successfully flying both of them out of the cave. By now, the Divine Eagle had realized that this brat had planned to use her to destroy the secret realm from the start. But oh well, since he healed her child, she let that slide. After overcoming several obstacles, both of them managed to escape the dangerous area. At that moment, the image of Medusa absorbing power from its head became clearly visible. Then his eyes opened, proving that this young man had not been defeated at all. After everything, Sarah Lund finally received a blessing from the Divine Eagle in Griffin's name. I bless you. I wish you a body that will never be harmed, no matter how you are attacked. A soft light appeared around his body, like a small drop of blood on his face. This was also good, as it could hide his body to avoid suspicion from Irene. Besides that, he also had to temporarily hide his S-rank swordsmanship talent to avoid future trouble. Sarah Lund gave the vial of green blood to Griffin and told her to quickly give it to her child, that its wings would be healed. Very quickly, the baby eagle drank the whole potion. Immediately it could fly, to the mother's excitement. After all the worry, her precious one could finally take to the air. Sarah Lund watched and said, "It's just flying. If it doesn't recognize its master before growing up, it will end up no different from a stupid bird." Griffin didn't understand the meaning of those words, but he didn't know, nor could he intervene. He only had a good chance to eavesdrop a little. If he didn't know, he wouldn't understand anything more. but Griffin thought she said you are very talented. Without a master in life, you will have no power. The master has been dead for hundreds of years. We won't find anyone with strength as high as yours. She suddenly realized that the kid in front of her, Sarah Lund, possessed all those qualities. Immediately, Griffin asked for her child to become Sarah Lund's familiar. She knew he was still young, but already possessed skills and wisdom far beyond his peers, and might even surpass Brad Cooper in the future. Finally, Ka also said that Sarah Lund agreed to take it as his familiar, but the two of them had to make a deal. He had to obtain all the information about Brad Cooper, along with the precious key that the Cooper family consecrated to the sword Linkar. Right now, the lady is very annoyed and angry because she can't find the cause while the young master keeps fainting again and again. Could it all be fabricated? How long will this situation last anyway? She was just a woman who had recently become a mother. She said he was just a child, but having a clearer picture of this woman would be more effective and efficient, even though there was a kind of shadow providing her energy. Although those words weren't wrong, this matter was too strange. It seemed that after the oath ceremony, her precious son became like this. She believed there must be something abnormal. The butler reported that there was still an important matter for the lady to handle, that Sarah Lund Cooper had passed the proficiency test, just as they had expected, only that he had used Griffin to skewer uncle and nephew Walker, and then tamed her child as a familiar. The lady was shocked upon hearing this, and quickly asked where it was, but there was no need to go looking. Sarah Lund proactively stepped in and asked, "My lady, what are you angry about?" She wanted to know why this brat had dealt with uncle and nephew Walker. Sarah Lund replied with a sharp expression, "Isn't it for the family? The dignified supervisor of the shadows being handled by a 3-year-old like me is too useless. The Cooper family doesn't need such trash. Isn't that right, my lady?" Hearing these words from a 3-year-old child, the lady was so scared she turned pale. That was the portrait of a royal full of rage and disgust. If you have any more cards to play, use them all quickly. I will never say a single word of fear. Faced with this, the lady ordered the butler to quickly reward him with access to the electric spring therapy. Sarah Lund happily thanked the lady. "No matter what tricks she pulls, I need them all." Then she ordered the butler to speed up the magical research. Before the spirit sword inheritance ceremony, she must steal Sarah Lund's talent for Irene to use. The butler quickly accepted the order. Once the secret that Irene cannot use swordsmanship talent is exposed, the Heir position cannot be kept. This time she would let the little brat off and see if he could still be arrogant then. At the Paradise Spring, Sarah Lund recalled the conversation between him and Griffin. She said that before dying, the master used a forbidden technique to seal his own soul at the bottom of the Paradise Spring. The purpose was to pass on his lifelong swordsmanship to an heir with S-rank swordsmanship talent, while ensuring the Cooper family's status in the Empire would not decline. She would give him a key and instruct. After Sarah Lund enters, he must dive into the water and go in. This key will lead him to meet the master. But it seemed that when mentioning the house and the city's master, he became strange. In reality, nothing was clear. The only thing that could be said was that master had no intention of cooperating. Sarah Lund felt that the blood demon was indeed quite strange. It was not simple for him to obtain the swordsmanship inheritance before Irene. The nearby children were gossiping about him. They knew he was the first to be trained, and had even tamed Griffin's child. They admired him greatly. But Lucian and Reno Org were brothers of Mafunya Cooper, and he was still a brother of one of his daughters. "Congratulations, man. Didn't expect you to look like a skinny monkey, yet run as fast as a skinny monkey." Being the first to reach the mountain peak, the guy next to him laughed like he had a good harvest. Sarah Lund remembered his past life. On the surface, they were subordinates, but in reality they were pawns set up by Irene, who fabricated false charges of treason against him, and because Irene had their backs, they were used to running wild and acting arrogantly. Seeing that this young man ignored his words, Reno intended to use his fist to test just how powerful the invincible body of his really was. But instantly that fist was completely neutralized. He pulled his hand back, his face full of astonishment. Reno's face twisted in pain. The fat lackey accompanying him quickly drew his blade to save his boss. But the one he begged for help was actually that man, my father, and Sarah Lund had reasons for both of them. Having made a slip, he used him as a shield. After finishing, he handed him back to his underlings. Just as well, the spring water could heal wounds, so you two jump down there and hug each other. Anyway, next time I still want to use you guys for practice. In this life, I'll give you a reason you can't refuse to be my pawns. A harsh magical aura was emerging from the water. How could a cruel forbidden technique, no different from the blood demon, appear inside healing spring water? Griffin had once said something strange. If he couldn't go down this way, he had to think of a way to eliminate it. Suddenly, the familiar sound of a girl calling for help rang out. She was being dragged along the road by a young man grabbing her hair. He yelled angrily, "You can't even serve tea properly. Do you want a beating?" The little girl begged in pain, but it was useless. That madman was about to use violence to suppress her, but immediately he was cut in half by a single sword stroke from Sarah. The children who witnessed the scene fled in fear. He reached out his hand to ask after the girl. From Andrea's perspective, Sarah Lund was a dashing prince, sparkling and glittering like a diamond. But from Sarah's perspective, he thought he had scared her. He awkwardly apologized for frightening her, but standing before the prince, Andrea only saw a handsome guy, leaving her with just a shred of dignity. She shyly thanked him for saving her life and introduced herself as Andrea. Andrea became Sarah Lund's first friend, and she had the ability to advance alongside her friends. The two of them fought together for a long time. Not only that, but they were always by each other's side. Even though she was only 5 years old, Andrea was very cute. The two were grateful to each other, but the beautiful girl couldn't do anything more, even though this was a matter of course and nothing worth mentioning. Sarah Lund asked Andrea if she had a way to drain this spring water, or to get to the bottom without getting wet. He couldn't forget the main task. If anyone could do it, she would have a solution. Andrea looked quite surprised. Could Sarah Lund have already discovered it? Then Thamthai spoke to him. In the spring water, there was a strange magic that could heal wounds, but from now on, he couldn't receive any other healing spells, relying solely on this water source. So this was the Cooper family's method to control their shadows, while also making them endure pain to assist the clan. Andrea took her savior's hand. To thank him for saving her life, she would find a way to help him reach the bottom without getting wet. She used the duck magic. It could make a person like a duck, even underwater, but the inside of the feathers wouldn't get soaked. Sarah Lund smiled awkwardly, because this wasn't a barrier magic. This girl's naming ability was as bizarre as ever. At that moment, the people of the clan also flooded in after hearing the news that some kid had killed someone, so they were about to catch up with the two. Both quickly pulled each other and fled. They both jumped into the water. The underground water vein at the bottom of the lake was probably in the whirlpool on the other side. Andrea warned him not to go through there and to leave quickly. As soon as she finished speaking, that whirlpool sucked them both in. Sarah Lund woke up not knowing where he was. He took the gem key out of his pocket. This was the key that could open the place he was looking for. Only in Heir there was no door to use the key, or maybe it needed to be changed. Although he didn't know what the spirit sword was, Andrea said she could try. Then she began to chant, "Key, oh key, please hear my call. Go find your master. Open the door to his dwelling." Immediately, the nearby flowers transformed into monstrous carnivorous blooms. They opened their mouths wide, filled with sharp teeth, and charged at the two people. Then the door finally appeared. However, Andrea was unconscious at this moment. There was no other choice now, so he had to leave her here temporarily. Then Sarah Lund used an invisibility spell that Andrea had taught her in a past life to conceal her, preventing her from being discovered if danger arose. After all, to obtain the inheritance of the spirit sword, he had to endure a fierce battle. Finally, he stepped in alone. Even though he had prepared for a long time, his face was full of fury. This was the entrance to the dungeon. Before him stood a many-eyed monster. Its knife-sharp teeth were draining the life force from a young woman. Finally, it noticed a stranger had arrived. The Earthvine Spring appeared to be a healing spring, but in truth, it was where the Cooper household arranged its maids. At that moment, he learned the true fate of those maids. All of them eventually became food for the sword. That monster glided over like the wind. It smelled on him the scent of an S-rank talent. He quickly stepped back. He was very surprised that it knew. The demon sword spoke, "Unless you are Irene the brat born with an S-rank talent. But you don't look like a spoiled one. Let's see if you two are the ones bestowed with that thing." As he spoke, he lunged forward to attack. He will not easily hand it over to you unless you pass his trial. But rest assured you came here to take his head, not just for a girl. Look at the arrogant look of this brat before me. He declared that he could not be his descendant. The two sides continued to fight. One side was a monster about 2 meters tall. The other was a boy less than 1 meter tall. They fought from one side of the Cooper salon to the other. Of course, to him, he was just a weak brat. He was beaten continuously and couldn't get up. However, at that moment, he saw the mark of Griffin on his face. He couldn't believe the child bore such a noble title. It had been a long time since he and Griffin had met. Back then, Brad Cooper sacrificed half his energy for the universe to achieve his goal. Based on his current strength, there was still a possibility. He stood up as if nothing had happened. Power enveloped his body, and beside him, a cross appeared. Immediately, his entire body was suspended. This was the blood demon sealing formation. He had been dead for so long that he didn't know that over the years, the Empire had developed a secret technique to counter the blood demon formation. Now, seizing his team would be enough to stop the inheritance. That guy screamed in pain. At the moment his sword thrust forward, he broke free from the formation's suppression. He laughed with delight because it had been a long time since he played with a mouse. But the game was over. Now he didn't want to play anymore. He had to admit the brat before him truly had ability and talent. But that was not enough to deal with him. As he spoke, he summoned countless floating red ghosts, all aimed at him. Controlling blood spirits with blood was an extremely powerful ability. He couldn't do anything because there were too many of them. He quickly used the Guardian Sword. He used Perseus' sword to control the blood fiends. However, just one sharpened strike from Brad Cooper shattered the holy sword sphere into pieces. He gripped his neck tightly and lifted him up. I'm sure you know after a cat toys with a mouse, it will eat the mouse. He gradually became powerless, his magic power depleted and vanished. That guy realized his memory was somewhat familiar. In the past, a maid he had devoured carried this scent. Perhaps that person was his mother. Sarah Lund flinched when that guy mentioned his mother, and he swore he would never let the monster that harmed her go. He recalled the gentle image of his mother singing lullabies to put him to sleep. Until I apologized to Sarah Lund, I have to leave. It turned out that this damned monster was the one who had taken his mother. Sarah Lund went berserk, driven only by revenge. Blood absorption was used, and the sword demon couldn't believe that such a little brat could use his magic so skillfully. Even though he had to burn his own blood, Sarah Lund remained determined to defeat that sword demon. The seal of the blood spirit had just drained too much of his energy, so now he had to eat a child to replenish. At this moment, Sarah Lund was like a madman. He completely lost control. I told your mother to eat it. The image of your mother has returned you to your mother's state. Then, what had to happen happened. One sword strike from him neatly finished off the sword demon. He knew clearly this brat had gone mad. Now he had to go out and devour a few more maids. Otherwise, if this kept up, he feared he'd be finished. But did you think Sarah Lund would let him escape? And he would say, don't kill me. I can augment your sword, make it into your spirit sword. Of course, that guy was no longer alive. Finally, he had triumphed and avenged his mother. Blood sprayed like rain. Sarah Lund absorbed the inherited sword technique and concealed it within his body. He almost forgot. Since birth, he had no mother. It was all a laughable illusion. Sarah Lund knew he was the monster. And a monster is a monster. In my eyes, my mother is a monster. My daughter is a monster. But it still stands before me. At that moment, Andrea rushed in flustered. She was extremely worried when she saw his body covered in blood. If there were any injuries, she would heal them immediately. Saying that, she gently touched Sarah Lund's cheeks and began healing. In the end, Andrea ended up becoming a maid. Sarah Lund hugged her tightly and promised that in this life, he would absolutely not let that tragedy repeat. He would not let this girl fall into the same situation as his mother. What was blood absorption that made the sword demon so afraid? It has a blood demon attribute, costing one's own blood. The condition is a finished grade treasure sword. Offering blood before it's burned increases the weapon's stats. Sword spirits and demons dissipated. The family broke into conflict. The guardians of the underground spring all died. The servants, having witnessed Sarah Lund's cruelty, no longer dared to bully Andrea. Rumors painted him as the culprit who destroyed the sword spirits. But without proof, the mistress could only tighten her oppression. Zam drew blood and administered poison, but Sarah Lund was completely unaffected. 4 years later, at the Cooper family's training lake, Irene arrogantly scorned the defeated soldiers under his sword, saying, "With that little strength you want to beat me. Young master, spare us. You're still the one who's powerful." Then Isaac, the duke and head of the Isaac family, praised him lavishly. "I heard young master Irene has S-rank swordsmanship talent. Now that I see him, he truly deserves his reputation." Leon, the head of the Cooper family and Irene's father, was delighted but acted matter of fact. "You are too kind." Of course, something had happened with Sarah Lund. He was present, not saying a word, just using shadow edge. With a chasing sword wind, he sent all the soldiers flying, leaving them in a heap on the ground. Isaac saw everything and realized that someone this young was truly beyond imagination. But that young man down there had clearly reached the level of Silver Sword Guardian. It was truly unimaginable. Irene felt very upset because Sarah Lund dared to steal his top spot. He channeled all his resentment into challenging him. In his past life, Irene only became dominant by stealing his talent. But in this life, his original strength was nothing but garbage. Sarah Lund agreed at once, intending to use this opportunity to test him. The other also pretended to accidentally send an enemy to heaven. The servants wholeheartedly cheered for the young master, placing absolute trust in him. "Young master, show him the true swordsmanship, genius. Go." Young master. Irene's attack was strong, yet Sarah Lund remained confident in his victory. Sarah Lund wasn't one to be easily beaten. He shot back, "That little strength, young master. Did the mistress not feed you?" He flung that worthless young master away, and the other gritted his teeth in bitterness. His mother had clearly said that his power now was unrivaled within the family. Yet just a simple sword slash was overwhelmingly powerful. The sword force was mystical, clearly from someone who had grown. But he consoled himself that he was overthinking. His opponent originally had no talent for swordsmanship. Sarah Lund decided to show him a real attack. He grabbed his sword and charged from behind. Irene turned around but couldn't react in time. This was the first time Sarah Lund was so terrified that he wanted to disappear from his presence. He rolled on the ground, wailing miserably as he clutched his lost eye with both hands. Isaac witnessed the scene of the previous match and let out a sneer. It seems I misjudged. Irene's strength is only at this level. The servants he beat up probably weren't that old or weak, right? Is the family head reluctant to mobilize the troops? However, Isaac and Irene's girl had a prior agreement, and she couldn't let that woman take her status as a young lady. The two looked into each other's eyes, but still wore polite smiles on their faces, thinking to themselves that this woman was not her husband's queen, and that clueless girl knew nothing. Isaac didn't want to be the master anymore and reminded him that 10 days later, when both of them would act. Then she spoke to him. After Isaac left, Leon realized that his son was truly useless. He asked a servant what that little shadow boy's name was. The servant reported that his name was Sarah Lund, the son of the master and a maid. As for who that maid was, there was no record left. Leon looked at his son. No wonder his tactics were so superb. He ordered that Sarah Lund be brought to the study. Soon Sarah Lund arrived at the study, but when the old man probed with his eyes, he detected not a shred of innate talent. That was a good idea to maintain his own strength after winning the right of succession, although he still had some confidence. Could it be that he couldn't see a single capable person? He told the boy that in 10 days he would lead Shadow Squad number 10, alongside the Isaac family's team, to the Lost Crystal City to retrieve a dragon egg for the family. After that, he would hand over the crystal core to Sarah Lund. The boy knew that to obtain the dragon egg, they'd inevitably clash with the magic dragon inside the city. This trip was surely not well-intentioned, but since he had a chance to get the dragon egg, he couldn't pass it up, so he immediately accepted the role of squad leader. However, there was another thing that worried him. The next day, he set out with Andrea and several other members. His condition was to bring Andrea and Mio along. She sat on Mio's back, Jiffin's child, the whole way. This troubled her because Sarah Lund had said she was a maid accompanying him, but sitting all the time didn't feel right. However, he told her it was fine. They wouldn't have any complaints. The others in the group were already scared stiff just looking at him, so they didn't dare speak up. They arrived at Crystal City, but nobody knew where the dragon egg was. Just then, a voice rang out. I can't believe the Cooper family's elite troops don't even know basic knowledge about Crystal City. How laughable. The girl who spoke was Isaac, the young lady of the Isaac family and also Irene's wife. She raised her hand to greet Sarah Lund and introduced herself as Isaac, but he ignored her. He turned back and told Andrea and Mio to stay here. He would be out soon. Then he went inside with her. Isaac was unwilling to be brushed off so blatantly by a man, so Sarah Lund spoke up. Lady Isaac, if we don't activate the teleportation gate together before sunset, this trip is likely doomed. He remembered that troublesome girl from his past life, yet in this life he still ran into her. Oh well, he'd better pray that the dumb beast Mio successfully completed the task he'd assigned. The Cooper side was astonished to see the altar glowing, and Isaac's people sneered at these country bumpkins. This was the altar of Crystal City, magnificent to behold, but they didn't know if the magic dragon was lurking inside. At that moment, a young man suddenly strode toward the altar. He intended to take out the Cooper family's rabble and bring the dragon egg back to his own family. Then the family head would surely reward him. Just then, Sarah Lund couldn't stop him in time. As a result, everything exploded. The cause of the explosion was the Guardian of Protection, Light from Crystal City. Everyone was surrounded, and Isaac was powerless against her own soldiers. She immediately ran over and used a sword technique to save him. Then he turned back to check, all the while saying it was for humanity. But in truth, at that moment he was acting for himself. Just then, two Guardians suddenly attacked Isaac from behind. He thought it was over. Luckily, Sarah Lund acted in time to save Isaac. He ordered the Shadow Warriors to quickly set up a formation. The Shadow Warriors obeyed and immediately deployed into formation. A purple power enveloped the Guardians. He really wanted to see whether their light energy was stronger or his shadow energy was stronger. Many people in the Isaac family watched this scene, utterly astonished and admiring. This was the Cooper family's formation technique, especially impressive since Sarah Lund was just a young man but had reached this level. Isaac suddenly blushed, deeply admiring what he was doing. Sarah Lund successfully absorbed the core energy from the Silver Sword Guardian and advanced to Gold Sword Master. Next, he used that core to open the secret path. Gray had just placed the essence crystal when suddenly everything around him began to shake. The altar was gradually descending. Everyone hurriedly called to each other to get onto the sacrificial altar quickly. The secret passage leading into the Demon Dragon Lair would be opened. Very soon, everyone was taken inside the Demon Dragon Lair. The scene below was truly terrifying and spine-chilling. Everything was covered in flames, like a flowing river of lava. Lucian cheered. Great, I can't believe there's so many. Reno excitedly said. At this rate, there's no need to split them. Everyone can have some, right? Isaac's soldiers ordered to quickly pack all of them up. Salone Cooper watched them collecting the eggs, finding it amusing in his heart. Fools, are you in a hurry to feed the demon dragon? Suddenly, the dragon roared from behind, startling the whole group. What is that? The demon dragon. The demon dragon has woken up. Isaac and Ceylon Cooper calmed everyone down, raising their swords as they stepped forward. Don't panic. Stand ready for battle. Ceylon Cooper assigned tasks. I'll hold the rear, you guys take the dragon eggs and go. Of course the dragon eggs were taken away in a strange manner. He appeared from somewhere, holding an egg in one arm, his other hand on the elevator switch. He asked, "What's that noise?" The others shouted, "What have you done?" He recalled Duke Leon's instructions. Stab that shadow ball to immobilize the demon dragon. Then after taking the dragon eggs, destroy the transport platform, leaving no chance for House Isaac. As for Ceylon Cooper, leave him to fend for himself. He declared firmly, "I apologize, everyone, but the Empire can only have one family possessing the dragon eggs, and that is House Cooper." He pressed the elevator button, rising upward and disappearing. His parting words echoed back, "For the sake of the family, you all must sacrifice yourselves. I'll take my leave now." Everyone erupted in anger. "You bastard! Get back here!" The sound of shoes hitting the ground was powerful and fierce. Despite fighting, Isaac still had the mood to taunt. "The head of House Cooper is truly cold-blooded. Not just with us, but even your own men are treated as disposable." Ceylon Cooper replied simply, "Just as expected." Isaac was puzzled. "Just as expected? Then why are you still walking to your death?" He wanted to avoid the question and didn't answer directly. "You're overthinking." Ceylon Cooper followed the fiery breath that the demon dragon exhaled to launch an attack. "Because," he asserted, "I can't die here." With one sword stroke, he cut off the dragon's wing. The demon dragon thrashed and roared in pain, flying into a rage. Ceylon Cooper ran away. The dragon turned back and landed a blow on him. A small explosion flashed. Isaac ran over worriedly, calling out as she ran, "Ceylon Cooper." The demon dragon continued its attack. She used the Moonflower Sword shield to block the strike for him. Ceylon Cooper tumbled to the ground. Isaac counterattacked, taking the chance to ask, "Is this your idea of being okay? You still fine?" He propped himself up with his sword, his voice turning serious. "I'm fine. Help me hold it off. I'll take the chance to strike at its heart. I'm counting on you, Lady Isaac. Only you can do it." Hearing this, Isaac blushed a little and immediately agreed. Okay." She charged forward eagerly, with a small private thought. "I'm a gifted swordsman too. I can't let that brat look down on me." Ceylon Cooper only silently smiled, as if he had already calculated the perfect plan. After completing the task, Isaac asked, "Ceylon Cooper now? Attack him." Seeing that he didn't move, she grew angry. "Hey, make a move now. Why are you just standing there like an idiot?" There was no time for Ceylon Cooper to speak. Isaac continued to struggle against the demon dragon, annoyed inside. "Damn it, was that fall too hard? Can't muster any strength to attack. If this keeps up, we'll all die. I have no choice but to use that move." She spun around and unleashed the sword dance of destruction. Caught off guard by the injury, the dragon let out a painful roar. "Don't fall down." Isaac was both relieved and scared. He succeeded. Reno and Lucien moved in, continuously kicking its head as they cursed. "Taste our power, you stupid dragon." Isaac panted heavily, still not believing. Did we really succeed? To their surprise, the demon dragon's eyes suddenly flew open, stunning everyone. It opened its mouth and roared. Lucien panicked. "This is bad. The demon dragon is getting even more ferocious. Find somewhere to take cover." This shocked Isaac. "How is that possible?" Ceylon Cooper raised his hand to his face, sneering at their idea of running away. He drew another sword, concentrating his power. Sword art, third transition. The technique Illusory Shadow Slash was unleashed, and Ceylon Cooper furrowed his brow, his gaze turning sharp. All the blood on Ma Long's body suddenly erupted, turning into blazing red silk ribbons. These were the people who had been thrown onto the ceiling of Ceylon Cooper's house. He concentrated and completed absorbing that red liquid. The man with A-shaped eyes and O-shaped eyebrows, Lucien, was stunned. Ceylon Cooper had turned blood into a body, and Reno made another discovery. Not only that, don't you see it suddenly became a holy grade robe and sword? Isaac's soldiers wondered, could it be a blood demon? Isaac replied, "That's right, but this is a forbidden technique, so the Empire only allows the Cooper family to use it on enemies in battle." She thought back. "I heard the Cooper family's sword spirit had already vanished, unless it was because of him." Then when I realized the problem, she said to me, "Wait, why don't you try not doing that? Let me say something." Isaac got angrier as she cursed. "Ceylon Cooper, you bastard. How dare you take advantage of me?" Ceylon Cooper sneered and rushed forward like the wind. "What if I did? In my past life, I was the one abandoned. I can't just sit and wait to die anymore." He leaped up and raised his sword. Ma Long saw this and was terrified. Blood Shadow Slash is a blood demon skill that requires a gold sword master to use. It creates blood clones from enemy blood for group attacks, but the price is that the user will gradually lose their mind, fall into a demonized state, and die from blood rage. The dragon, after being hit by Ceylon Cooper's Blood Shadow Slash, roared in pain, the sound echoing to the heavens. It fell right before everyone's eyes. No way, Ma Long finally got. Isaac hadn't finished speaking when a blood-red blade suddenly blocked her face. Don't come over here. Salon Cooper held his constantly twitching face with one hand and coughed once. Instead, his eyes turned white, and he pointed the sword at himself, surprising everyone. Salon Cooper? At this moment his soul was grabbed tightly by the demon sword, which whispered in his ear, "You think killing me means you're free? You'll become like me, needing to eat plenty of flesh and blood to maintain your energy." It gestured with one hand toward the men standing in front of Salon Cooper. Kim Ma yanked his hair back. "Go on, you coward. Those guys are all tasty prey. Go enjoy the joy of killing." Salon Cooper, as if hypnotized, charged madly forward, causing everyone to flee in terror, muttering, "Want more blood? It's bad. He used excessive dark magic. He's been demonized. He kills people. Run." At the same time, a gentle voice rang out. "Salon Cooper, don't go." The sudden appearance of Andrea surprised everyone. Andrea! She quickly used magic to soothe the demonic energy enveloping his mind, gradually helping him calm down. "Salon Cooper." Andrea reached out her hand and flew toward him. She tried to penetrate into Salon Cooper's mind. Her face full of worry and eyes brimming with tears appeared before him. "Salon Cooper, wake up." Salon Cooper. He sat by a large rock, raised his eyes to look around. Andrea said, "Great, you finally woke up. I used a purification spell. You're temporarily no longer demonized. The others are also safe and sound." Having said that, she suddenly stood up and presented something extremely surprising before his eyes. She held a large dragon egg in her hands. Behind her, there was also Gray tied up tightly, grunting. "The dragon egg is fine too. This is the only one left." Andrea kept encouraging. "Besides, I didn't tell the Isaac family about the dragon egg. That red-haired girl has already taken her troops away, so don't worry about failing the mission." Salon Cooper's heart lightened, and he immediately spoke. "Thank you, Andrea. I'm not worried about that." He gripped his sword firmly, thinking to himself, "I originally wanted Mayo to take Andrea to safety, then falsely claim she died accidentally so she could leave the family. But I never expected." Salon Cooper angrily swung his sword at Mio. "Can't even handle a simple task. Go die, you useless bird." It fearfully hid behind Andrea, growling a few times. "Not my fault. She was worried about your safety and said she wanted to enter the secret realm." "Getting bold, huh? Learning to talk back, are you?" Andrea quickly defended it. "Salon Cooper, let's talk calmly. Don't get agitated." At that moment a loud call rang out. "Hey!" Salon Cooper, Lucian and Reno, swords in hand and murderous looks on their faces, rushed quickly toward him. Salon Cooper smirked. "Finally showing your fangs? You want to snatch this egg from me?" But the next scene was extremely moving. They used their swords to pierce through the body of Gray, who was kneeling behind him. Fresh blood splattered everywhere. In the end, both of them were in front. The others quickly knelt and said, "Lord Cooper, please accept us. Otherwise we cannot protect ourselves. From now on, we will no longer obey the family's orders, only yours. We will stand by you through life and death. Even if it means dying, we will not refuse. We swear to stand together through life and death, and not refuse even death." Salon Cooper was shocked, stammering, "Everyone." At that moment Andrea suddenly exclaimed, "Then don't you see this?" The egg shook for a while, then cracks appeared. A red-pink dragon just appeared, looking beautiful and graceful at the edge of the area. The demon dragon successfully broke out of its shell. Salon Cooper reached his hand toward it, immediately declaring that the demon dragon only tames the strongest, and asked if it would accept him as its master. The demon dragon obediently growled and rubbed its head against his hand, signaling that it wanted to accept him as its master. One of them exclaimed joyfully that indeed, the demon dragon had agreed. They all chimed in to congratulate the young master on taming the demon dragon. From now on, the traitor army of his family was officially born. Sparkling light emanated from all sides within the circle surrounding Cooper. Irene stood beside her mother, asking when she could go to school, and her mother replied to wait until her brother finished his work. A young man placed a sheet of paper on the table and prepared to leave, no longer wanting to play with him. The mother quickly spoke up to defend him, saying it wasn't her son's fault. She scolded the other boy for getting angry, asserting that if Irene had gone, she would definitely have tamed the demon dragon he is. That's right. She huffily led her son by the hand and walked out, saying there was nothing good here. "Irene, let's go. Today, Mother will take you to school to play." The room door slammed shut right after. Irene happily ran down the hallway, shouting for someone to bring her a riding crop immediately. The mother covered her mouth with a fan and quietly asked how the research on stealing magic was going. The other man replied that Fulham could rest assured he hadn't succeeded in his research yet, and was waiting to see how the Aris-rank target's efforts turned out before deciding to act against Salon Cooper. Her face showed a few sharp edges, and she gritted her teeth as she uttered cruel words. "Excellent. This time we must completely destroy that brat." 5 years later, Salon Cooper had grown into a young man, standing at the forefront with a single voice, after which he could completely stop. He lifted his face and smiled, promising that from now on he would no longer be demonized, and could freely wield his swordsmanship. "Thank you, Andrea." Andrea hugged the staff tightly to herself, saying that he should be the one to thank her, because he gave her her favorite magic staff. As soon as the words ended, a dark figure flashed past outside the window. He immediately rushed to throw open the window, but that person had already slipped away. That silhouette was clearly the butler. Lucian and Reno opened the door and entered, announcing that the task he had arranged had results. Both knelt and placed their hands on their chests, recounting that they had secretly tailed the butler and discovered he had gathered a group of dark magic sorcerers, seemingly planning to conduct some ritual in the next 3 days. Furthermore, those sorcerers also said they had finally found another S-rank genius target with extremely high magic power. He pondered for a moment, did that group really intend to start the stealing ritual? But why didn't they directly target him, instead finding another S-rank genius? As if something in the words struck him, he immediately looked at the other person's face. 3 days later, Andrea was hunched over in a dark storage room, her face dark as she sighed. The storage room was a mess again. She would just use magic to tidy it up. Just as she wasn't paying attention, Duck had somehow been standing behind her, staring at her with murderous eyes. The chloroform-soaked cloth in his hand quickly clamped tightly over Andrea's mouth. She struggled for a moment, then her whole body lost strength, her eyes grew dim and then closed shut. "She's passed out. Let's go." She was taken to a remote forest and placed in the middle of a magic circle by unknown sorcerers. They chanted, "Power of the dark night, heed my command. Deep within the heart, condense in my hand." The incantations rang out. Different forces obeyed the command, and energy flowed like shadow and form. The power of her body formed like a sphere, gradually converging. The one holding a sharp knife lunged toward her, intending to extract her heart blood, and blend it into the magic circle. "Your king will be your daughter." But just as he was about to strike down, she had somehow appeared behind him, firmly gripping her staff, and exclaimed that it was illusion magic. She angrily pointed her weapon at his face, replying to his horror, "Andrea, don't underestimate me." The staff in her hand immediately emitted golden chains after Andrea shouted, "Starlight shimmer chains?" They shot toward that man, quickly tightening around his body. He cursed, "Damn it, this bitch is too cunning." He hastily retreated, shouting at the sorcerers, "What are you still standing around for? Capture her for me." Andrea slumped down, eyes tightly shut, hands covering them, recalling Salon Cooper's instruction. "Next, just close your eyes, don't hear anything, don't see anything." At that moment, several dark silhouettes appeared in the sky accompanied by roaring sounds, startling that man. "What's happening? This sound is..." The sorcerers saw the giant spirit beasts of Salon Cooper flying in, and exclaimed in terror, "Dragons! It's dragons! And there's even a griffin. How can magical creatures appear when everything was peaceful?" They charged in. Some breathed fire, some used their mouths to tear apart the evil sorcerers. Sweat poured from that man's forehead like a shower. His eyes trembled as he watched his minions being destroyed. Dragons and a griffin. Could it be that they've touched Andrea too? "You must think you've lived long enough?" From behind, Salon Cooper, carrying a sword on his shoulder, decisively stepped forward one step at a time and exclaimed, "It's Salon Cooper." He pressed the blade against the old man's face, causing the wrinkled skin to start bleeding, then coldly asked why he wanted to harm Andrea. Dax squeezed his eyes shut and tremblingly replied that the plunder magic could only be used once on a single target. To ensure young Master Irene could obtain his talent, they needed to find a test subject, so he was just following orders. These words made Salon Cooper extremely angry, so it was for this reason that they had to kill Andrea. This young man lowered his head, his voice dropping as he said that he could spare him. He suddenly used the sword to cut deeply into his own palm. However, Dax saw the blood dripping from his opponent's hand onto the ground beside him. His face turned pale. Was this an oath? Salon Cooper grabbed the old man's hair and yanked it back, ordering him to report to the mistress as usual, saying that the plunder ritual had been successfully tested and that they could immediately act against him. Otherwise, the old man knew what his own fate would be. "Why?" While questioning, Salon Cooper immediately sneered, "Why? Of course, because I want to see Irene's expression." Butler Doug approached to report to Hia, "Madam, the plunder experiment was successful." In a corner of the garden, Irene, holding a sweet nectar flower with Isaac, said, "Isaac, you are so beautiful. I ask you, would you like to stroll in the garden?" Isaac immediately replied, "Agreed." Hezer from the other corner spoke up and asked the butler, "What?" "Absolutely correct." He nodded, confirming that the next full moon night was the young master's coming-of-age ceremony. They could make their move. Haya heard this and joyfully said, "Very good, well done," then thought to herself, "What I have waited for so long has finally come true." Irene, mother will definitely help my son sit in the position of family head. This is the most powerful position in the kingdom. Irene still refused to back down. He stood there and said to Isaac, "Are you trying to tie me down with a soft approach? Too bad you've been caught." As he spoke, he thought, mother really telling me to cultivate feelings with my fiancé, ask any young lady who wouldn't enjoy being by my side. As soon as he finished, Isaac sneered, soft approach, huh? She drew her sword and threatened, a useless young master like you thinks you're worthy of being my fiancé? He was a bit startled, wondering to himself if this girl was crazy. While swinging her sword, she taunted, if you can beat me, then say that again. Irene was a bit flustered and shouted, guards, come here quickly and drive her away. Just then, a figure appeared, blocking Isaac's sword with his own blade. It was Ceylon Cooper. He had just rushed over to save her. Ceylon Cooper turned and asked, young master, are you all right? Your subordinate has come to rescue you. Irene angrily scolded, rescue? It's only because I didn't bring my sword. A mongrel like you dares to mock me? Isaac immediately changed her tone and said, Ceylon Cooper, why are you here? She walked over and linked arms with him, saying, great, come spar with me. Ceylon Cooper humbly declined, I have matters today. Irene stood aside, furious that Isaac was being close with that bastard. Could it be? Isaac coquettishly said to him, not just anyone is qualified to spar with this miss. Think it over carefully. Hearing this, the young man suddenly realized so Isaac liked him. He trembled with rage and shouted at Ceylon Cooper, you and my fiancé? At the same time, Heir walked over and told Irene to go home. She had something to call him about. Irene obeyed and, walking past Isaac, said, when we marry later, we'll talk then. He turned sharply and remarked, if Lady Isaac is not in the mood today, then I'll take my leave first. Isaac cheerfully replied, go carefully, no need to see me out. After that, Isaac called him back and said, if you still don't agree with me, I'll teach you a lesson. Ceylon Cooper helplessly nodded in agreement, but you also have to accept one of my requests. Isaac asked curiously, what? He leaned in and whispered to Isaac, recommend me to your elder brother, Duke Isaac. Night fell. Ceylon Cooper met with Isaac and said, I have a way to cancel the engagement between you and Irene, but I hope you can lend me the mystic form storage box, a family heirloom of the Isaac clan. He looked straight at Duke Isaac and said, in the past life, Duke Isaac was never satisfied with the playboy young master Irene, nor did he want to ally with the Cooper family. He repeatedly requested to cancel the engagement but was rejected by the royal family. This young man silently schemed quite cunningly, thinking that in this life, he only needed to exploit a little bit to get it done. Hearing these suggestions, the Duke turned and walked away, shouting, you are truly audacious. The royal marriage decree is not something a lowly person like you can cancel, and you dare to make conditions with me? Ceylon Cooper smiled and repeated, a lowly person like me. As soon as he finished, he drew his sword in challenge. It is a person like me who can help you solve that difficulty. Duke Isaac saw the sword and was stunned to realize that the S-grade talent child that the Cooper family possessed was him. Ceylon Cooper quickly lunged forward. He spoke up, if the engagement cannot be cancelled, then eliminating that useless young master would be the same, wouldn't it? What is your opinion, Duke? Duke Isaac still couldn't decide. He stared him without giving a specific response. Time passed. 1 month later at the castle of Mother Hia, Butler Dark stepped forward to report, Madam, everything is ready. However, Ceylon Cooper is not in the ranks. The young master's illegitimate son has gone to find him. Heir heard this and replied, I know. Go help the young master. The butler obeyed. At the same time, 2 people from the Cooper estate approached a dark corner and whispered, all the invited guests have arrived. Not sure about their personalities, but they probably don't have children, just one son to serve. One person reminded, shh, speak softly or the family head will hear us now. Several people followed Copper Leon to report to the family head. The guests have all taken their seats. To not keep them waiting long, you have started the banquet as you instructed. Copper Leon calmly replied, Duke Isaac suddenly appeared and said, what a coincidence. Duke Cooper, I have something to say. Copper Leon saw him and asked curiously, Duke Isaac, I don't recall inviting you. Duke Isaac stood there, raising his voice. After all, this is the coming-of-age ceremony of my future sister-in-law. I must come to join the fun. In the hallway, Ceylon Cooper overheard the entire conversation and said to the man beside him, everyone is gathered. It's time to activate the mystic form storage box. The man nodded and replied, yes. Suddenly, only he stood there alone. But in the void, something was activated. The deep abyss gate opened, and the image of celestial dark emerged. Cooper's stepchildren all raised their swords toward the treasure at once, and their oath instantly makes the illusion inside the divine box appear. Right after that, countless spells emerge, shining like an incredibly eye-catching magical array. While Salon Cooper stands watching, a figure approaches and exclaims, "Finally found you." But in a strange way, Irene escapes from his body and asks, "He will come to Heir. What do you mean?" Suddenly, a pitch-black door in the basement swings open. Salon Cooper is bound tightly in chains, looking extremely miserable, and Irene stands in front of him and says, "Sorry." He grins sinisterly, swings his sword as he charges, and says, "Your Iron Wealth sword art is mine now. I'll show you a little color, just a little." The stench of mockery. "This is your end, Salon Cooper." In another corner, Andrea is startled when she hears Salon Cooper's voice. She wakes up from the nightmare she just had and calls out loudly. The girl nearby says, "Good, don't go anywhere, I'll do it right away." This is Andrea good, but in her mind she still feels a bit worried, thinking this isn't yet the truth of the past. Spiritual wisdom time system, an awakened mage talent that lets her see fragments of Salon Cooper's past and future time. Andrea immediately runs very fast and thinks to herself, Sao-lan is in danger now. She quickly dashes to a quite dark place, surrounded by a dense forest of trees. Andrea anxiously says she must stop everything before Irene acts, and at the same time she hears a voice. "This is the cup of wine I gave to her." Andrea follows the direction of the voice and whispers, "Found it." When she sees him there, Andrea quickly unleashes a technique. Peace, tranquil, wisdom, light. Follow the spiritual energy, sink into deep sleep. As soon as she finishes, she tells herself she'll put Irene to sleep for a few months and then deal with the rest. Buster appears from behind and shouts loudly, "Andrea, that's Heir." She sees Andrea and immediately pulls her away, a bit flustered. She, all right? Andrea is quickly immobilized, and that man tightly covers her mouth, causing her to let out a few uncomfortable sounds. Heir stands in a corner watching and thinks, didn't Dak say the seizure experiment was successful? Then why is she still able to use magic? I'm thinking a bit, but it's not time to think about that. The important thing is, very quickly the red wine is poured completely into the mouth of the wheelchair. After drinking, the glass involuntarily falls to the ground. Irene stands there, still a good guy with a game that's played twice. Then, he is somewhat dissatisfied and yells, "What makes you deserve an S-rank talent?" He swings his hand and hits Salon Cooper, shouting, "What makes you worthy of possessing the demon dragon?" Irene continues to prance around and says, "That is also what Isaac likes." He beats him until he spits blood and still shouts, "All those things originally belonged to me." Heir at this moment walks over and says, "All right, Irene, don't waste words on him, get started now." Irene nods, "Yes, mother." Butler Dark brings a weapon and says, "This is a specially crafted dagger. Even if his body has invincible strength, it can be temporarily broken." Irene takes it. Not bad. He holds the dagger in his hand and threatens, "Sorry, your Iron Wealth sword art is mine now." Irene stabs Salon Cooper once and laughs loudly. "This is your end, Salon Cooper." He is stabbed at this moment and screams in agony. Seeing Salon Cooper in pain, he laughs loudly and continues, "Cry, scream. From now on, I am the rightful heir of the Cooper family. I am the one with the highest talent and strength. No one can surpass me." Letting Irene talk for a while, he has no reaction, with a calm expression looking down. Buster, Salon Cooper lifts his face up and laughs loudly. "What kind of play are you performing, dear eldest young master?" Instead, both he and Heir are stunned. "What?" Then he quickly breaks free from the chains that had been binding him. Salon Cooper lightly flicks his hand and says, "Open your eyes wide and see clearly, this is whose end it truly is." As soon as he finishes speaking, he snaps his fingers once. Suddenly everything around changes, and Hia and Irene look in confusion. This place is Neat Kai again. She panics. The banquet hall. The distinguished guests are all surprised. Are they crazy? Doing such a thing in front of 100 eyes? Is the eldest young master of the Cooper family really that kind of person? So that means the rumor S-rank sword talent is all fake? That must be it. Disgusting. Does such a person deserve to be the heir? Might as well let me do it. Sai steps out and ponders. Impossible. How did that brat know we would make a move? Didn't the experiment succeed? Where exactly is the problem? No, the most important thing now is how to turn this around. Then, she and Irene quickly explain. It's not that everyone was fooled, it's that bastard who framed me. That's right, that guy has always. At this moment, someone walks over, claps hands grandly, and praises, "What a wonderful act." Isaac spoke to Cooper, but he just kept repeating the same line over and over. Before he saw the bodyguard, his blood boiled and he nearly shouted, "Irene!" Irene hesitated to speak, but Hia quickly explained that everything was done on her orders, and if they wanted to check, they should check her. Leon didn't say a word, he directly threw Irene to the ground. Heir was terrified seeing that and screamed Irene's name frantically. Salon Cooper standing nearby murmured, "Oh, how brutal." Irene yelled. What did I do wrong? He's just an illegitimate son. Everything that's his should be mine. But Leon sternly told her to shut up. The crowd whispered, Duke Cooper's background is nothing special. Back then he climbed up through strength, even though he never avoided that fact, as a son. How dare he expose it in front of outsiders? The Duke values face, truly foolish. Leon drew a sharp, long sword and coldly asked, Is that so? He moved close to Irene's face and growled word by word, You dare? His voice full of threat. The Cooper illegitimate children, hearing this, exclaimed in shock, The inheritance competition decree. What did it really mean? Everyone showed clear ambition, raising their voices arrogantly. We all have the right to compete for the inheritance seat. He could use any means. If he couldn't defeat them, then kill them first, kill them dead. Isaac saw that and laughed mockingly. Is this the spirit of the Cooper family? Supreme strength? Today I finally get to witness it. He said in a deep voice, Things have come to this. The engagement between our two families must be broken off. I will not marry my sister to a liar and a man without real strength. Leon glanced at Ceylon Cooper behind him and thought suspiciously, was everything that just happened the energy of the illusory time box? That brat must have teamed up with it. He said that anyone who had ever been involved with Heir, if news reached the royal family, it would only be bad for Cooper, so it must be dealt with decisively. Thinking that, Leon stepped forward to shake Isaac's hand and calmly replied, Rest assured, I will petition the king to give House Isaac a resolution. Isaac nodded, as expected of the head of the Cooper family, wise and clear-sighted. He went to Ceylon Cooper and said, You want to buy the inheritance rights? That can be arranged, but you can't do it that way. Leon warned, Banjir will get you exiled from the city. Ceylon Cooper heard that and sneered, You think I care about that inheritance, right? He gripped the sword tip until it bled, pulled it close to his own neck, and said with a serious, determined face, If you want me gone, then strike now, father. Leon was slightly shocked and thought to himself, What is this brat really thinking? He threw the sword in his hand down and spoke to him. Gray asked doubtfully, The head of the family really won't be easily convinced by him? Leon replied bluntly, No need. He has real skill. I'm even expecting him to accomplish something. Algun recalled Ceylon Cooper's unpleasant expression and mused, That brat's personality is really disagreeable. I don't know who he takes after. The day ended at the Cooper manor. Heir angrily shouted, Who leaked the news? How did that little brat know about our actions? The butler fearfully replied, I don't know either. A member of the Andrea household entered and asked, My lady, what should be done with this maidservant? Heir gritted her teeth. Throw her to the demon beasts to eat. Do you even have to ask about such a small thing? Her eyes widened in surprise, and she said softly, Wait. Ian thought suspiciously. Was she really using demon beasts before? If the experiment didn't succeed, then she turned to look at the butler and muttered to herself, It hasn't been carried out yet. Heir showed a sinister look and growled, Dak, didn't you steal its talent? How about you demonstrate it for me right now? He stammered, Her talent is too high. I haven't mastered it yet. Please, my lady, give me more time. The butler worriedly thought, Could my lady have seen through it? She said in a deep voice, No need. He angrily ordered, Guards, execute him on the spot. They replied, Yes. The man's eyes widened in shock. He shouted hurriedly, My lady, let me explain. It was Ceylon Cooper who forced me. Before he could finish, the sharp sound of a sword strike rang out, accompanied by a stream of hot blood gushing out. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then rasped in a hoarse voice, Summon soul. She approached Andrea and choked her neck, growling, As for you, why not give me your talent? Consider it making use of everything. With that, she lifted the girl up high and used her power to suppress her. But the truth was that she wasn't affected at all. Heizer's eyes widened, wondering, no burn marks? Could she be an ice soul physique? She mused, females with the ice soul physique become gentle after maturing, and males who form a bond with them can enhance their strength through that. Heizer looked at Andrea's pitifully beautiful face and silently calculated, if that's the case. At the same time, in a room in the castle, Ceylon Cooper pondered, truly unexpected. Even after exposing Irene's troublesome talent and insane personality, it still couldn't make the head of the family decide to eliminate him, perhaps because he fears the power behind Irene's mother. He pursed his lips tightly and muttered to himself, Moreover, last night he arranged for me to stay in the castle. Is he trying to control me? Afraid I'll run away? I must make Irene experience the pain I once suffered. I will not leave this place. Just then, there was a knock on the door. He turned around suspiciously. So early? Is it Andrea? Ceylon Cooper said softly. Come in, the door is unlocked. Isaac stepped in enthusiastically. Today you have to return that item. Since we're both free, I came over myself. Salon Cooper looked at him, frowned, and calculated. If I have the help of the Isaac family, perhaps even if I directly kill Irene, it will be fine. Isaac spoke up in frustration. Hey, what are you thinking about? My young lady is still standing right in front of you. Salon Cooper stepped forward, handed the box back to her, and replied in a low voice. I'm thinking that the Isaac family is on par with the Cooper family. Why would you treat an item that can only control illusions under harsh conditions as a heirloom treasure? She took it and said with interest, Want to know? I'm not telling you. Isaac thought to herself, that legend was never believed by anyone. The nobility already knew about it, so it's perfect to use it to make Salon Cooper agree to my terms. He didn't say much, made a polite gesture and said, Well then, goodbye. She heard that and gaped, letting out a shocked cry. Isaac quickly made a proposal. Salon Cooper, I challenge you to a duel. Upon hearing that, he just gave a very short hug. A moment later, the two were on the arena floor, with no one else around. Isaac channeled power into her sword and dashed at Salon Cooper with swift steps. He immediately raised his sword and lightly blocked her attack. Salon Cooper quickly pushed the sword she was holding to the side. He pointed his sword straight at Isaac and said coldly, You lost again. She yelled in frustration, completely losing her composure. Salon Cooper turned around and said in a deep voice, It was you who wanted me to go all out. Besides, according to the agreement, you have to tell me the secret of the illusory vision box. Isaac replied softly, Actually, it's just a legend. No one knows if it's real or not, and no one has ever verified it. He asked curiously, What legend? She pondered for a moment, then calmly recounted the legend. If the spirit force agrees, and the wielder of time-space magic willingly offers their entire life, then through the illusory vision box, one can bring another person back to life. Willingly offering one's entire life would allow them to use the illusory vision box to resurrect someone else. Salon Cooper heard this, recalled a sad memory from his past life, and muttered to himself, So in my past life, Andrea sacrificed her own life to bring me back. This time, I won't just take care of Andrea, I have to protect her. I can't give Irene's children any chance. Two people ran in from the side door and said, Salon Cooper, big trouble. Andrea's in big trouble. Hearing this, a flash of anger flickered in Salon Cooper's eyes. He was stunned and asked, What? Who captured Andrea? Tell me clearly. They immediately replied, It was last night when we were on a mission. Someone saw Lady Andrea being taken into the forest by a few servants under the mistress' orders. Isaac heard this and added softly, If that's the case, I think this morning in the hallway I overheard two maids saying that Andrea was taken in by the young master as a personal maid, and that when she grows up, she'll become his concubine. She mused to herself, Back then, I thought that young master was Salon Cooper, but it turns out it wasn't. He hurriedly ran off, angrily shouting, Irene, you're asking for death. Isaac reminded them, What are you two standing there for? Hurry up and follow. That look in Salon Cooper's eyes isn't for rescuing someone, it's for killing someone. They replied in unison, Oh right. At the same time, in Irene's room, he was raging and cursing. That damn Salon Cooper made me lose face in front of all those nobles. I'll make sure you die a humiliating death. His servant tried to persuade him. Young master, please calm down. The mistress said everything must wait until you come of age. He didn't care at all, and kicked the servant straight in the chest, shouting, Go die! Another servant stepped forward and pulled aside a curtain, revealing Andrea shackled with a chain around her neck. He offered a suggestion. Young master, I heard that Salon Cooper fellow really likes Andrea, the one the mistress brought in. Don't you want her to pay Salon Cooper's debt instead? Irene heard that and laughed loudly with delight. You're quite clever. He quickly rushed over to her with a sick expression and said, Andrea, my future concubine, I'm going to train you into a proper slut. Andrea thought fearfully, What do I do? My spellcasting ability is locked, I can't resist at all. Salon Cooper, where are you? Come save me! Irene looked at her with a twisted voice. Look at this man's face. Even when you look at her face, you don't react like this. He reached out to grab Andrea, his voice hoarse. Be a good girl, and accept your role as my concubine properly. Suddenly, a voice full of hatred rang out. Irene! Along with that came a powerful punch straight to Salon Cooper's cheek. It seemed he still hadn't vented the anger in his heart. He followed up with another punch, sending him crashing hard to the floor. Andrea saw him and called out happily, Salon Cooper. Without any restraint, he stomped hard on Irene's groin and roared, Go die! Irene immediately clutched his lower body, screaming in agony. Salon Cooper didn't stop, striking him repeatedly and cursing non-stop, Go die! At this moment, cracking sounds came from Irene's body. His ribs were also hit hard, causing excruciating pain. Salon Cooper's face looked terrifying. Black smoke rose quickly, as if he was about to turn into a monster. Seeing that, Irene trembled and said, Help! Help! The group of subordinates shouted, Quick! Save the young master! Salon Cooper immediately gathered a surge of firepower around himself and lifted them into the air. Salon Cooper's subordinates ran over, saw the scene, and cried out in panic, "Master Salon Cooper, this is bad." Isaac slipped behind and quickly unlocked Andrea's shackles. She urged urgently, "Hurry, Andrea. Salon Cooper is about to go demonic again." Andrea immediately ran off, letting out a soft cry. She hugged Salon Cooper from behind and shouted loudly, "Wake up, I'm okay." He turned to look at her and called out in a trembling voice, "Andrea." He turned back, called Irene, and ordered them to bring her to the other side. At the same time, Hia walked in and witnessed Irene's face beaten black and blue, so she panicked and called out, "Irene." She pointed at him and shouted furiously, "Salon Cooper, you bastard, is this how you repay the kindness when your father took you into the castle?" He didn't reply, but slowly placed his hand in front of the necklace. In an instant, he summoned the blood drinker and took heavy steps toward Hia. Andrea saw this and softly called out to him. Seeing him approach, she instinctively stepped back and asked in panic, What do you think you're doing?" He slowly cut a line into his own palm with the sword. He let his blood drip onto Irene's head and began ting a spell. Facing Irene, he initiated a divine life or death duel, no death no end. He silently made up his mind. He absolutely would not let this annoying threat to Andrea continue to exist. 7 days after the war, everyone gathered to watch the match. With a confident expression, he slightly curled his lips and said, "I didn't expect that the one who held out for 7 days actually wasn't trying to escape." Hearing that, Irene was not to be outdone. She directly summoned a shield screen and mocked, "Why would I throw away the chance to kill a pest like you?" But he seemed to notice something, furrowed his brow slightly, and thought that gave him an uneasy feeling. Then a clear voice rang out, "I declare the battle begins." Right after firing, Irene immediately launched her Medusa attack. The petrification beam made his eyes widen in shock when he realized it was Medusa. Facing that series of attacks, he leaped quickly to escape, but then Irene burst out laughing and mocked him. "Ha ha ha, the so-called Gold Sword Grandmaster is nothing but a jumping monkey?" Suddenly at this moment, he received information about the swordsman and demon swordsman ranks, from high to low: Sealed Sword Saint, Gold Sword Grandmaster, Silver Sword Guardian, Iron Sword Apprentice. In that case, not only did it make him suffer Medusa's attack, but the petrified state is not considered an injury, and he cannot move until it ends. But one thing he was certain of was that he would have to destroy it, and Irene hadn't been able to do that yet. He thought he would take her Perseus, forcing her to face Medusa. That was the difference between his soul and Medusa's soul. Despite the danger, he dashed swiftly toward the opponent, but still dodged attacks very precisely. Irene still paid no attention at all and even laughed mockingly. It's useless. Irene saw him jump up and swing his sword, preparing to deliver a finishing blow. Then Irene shouted loudly, "Summon Medusa." Exactly as he predicted, Irene smugly used Medusa as a shield, and Irene thought with satisfaction, "This is exactly what I've been waiting for." Heaven granted him the chance. Why wouldn't he play along? He quickly rushed forward, swung his sword, and sliced it off, causing blue liquid to splash everywhere. Then he proudly raised his sword high, watching his spirit sword merge with that blood. He only opened his mouth faintly and said, "You." His entire body was enveloped in a terrifying aura. He charged ferociously and shouted, "Go die." After saying that, he immediately used a speed so fast it was shocking, rushed forward, and slashed across Irene's body, shattering the ring on her finger. At that point, the corner of Irene's mouth couldn't help but curl up in an extremely sarcastic smile. "Almost forgot, now I am also a gold superior mage." Next, Irene almost shouted, "Swallow everything," and those were dark magic, cursed art, and corruption. Isaac was also angered by his dirty trick and cursed. Outrageous. Isaac didn't understand and asked his brother. Then he explained that it was evil dark magic, requiring 1,000 souls of commoners who died in agony to refine. This shocked her and she exclaimed, "What?" Hearing these words, Leon suddenly frowned unhappily and reminded, "I need an explanation. This is my family's secret." "Duke Isaac, please pay attention to noble traditions." Then he snorted coldly in displeasure. In the face of the vengeful spirit's attack, he still calmly fought back, causing Irene to mock even more. "Fool, not dodging?" Then gasp and weep. Irene's expression suddenly changed from smug to stunned and frozen. She continuously shook her head in denial. "Useless, impossible. How can this be? I've experimented hundreds of times before. No one can easily dispel it without being contaminated by the vengeful spirits." Then Irene became even more confident. She just spoke to him in his mind. As expected, the vengeful spirits quickly approached, determined to finish him off. Irene ordered. Yet Irene, despite all her schemes, still couldn't harm him. She shook her head in horror, thinking, impossible. How can my attack have no effect? Now he had lost patience with Irene, so he said in a reminding tone, "You have struggled enough, now you can die." Irene quickly used the shadow body skill to transfer damage, but he didn't care at all and calmly joked and mocked. Fool, you are my shadow. How could you possibly hurt me? Indeed, everyone was wide-eyed in shock at this attack of his, and they exclaimed in shock, this is, how can it be? In that moment, he scolded himself, thinking, damn it, I forgot that the shadow body on her would automatically transfer fatal damage to the shadow double. But Irene kept mocking, you actually care about the lives of those brats? The dark magic staff of life siphons the life force of others to attack a target. If the target's life force is lower than the staff's collected force, the target dies instantly. This is extremely cruel dark magic. As he kept pondering, although he didn't know why, it seemed the shadow body on her had lost its effect, but she absolutely would not escape this magic. Watching the crowd wailing in agony, Irene grinned wickedly, deciding to use their lives to unleash a magic scepter technique. When Irene raised his scepter, everyone immediately clutched their chests in pain and knelt, begging for their lives in agony. Andrea cried out in horror, Lucian, Reno, what's wrong with you two? Irene held the life scepter and laughed viciously, mocking, is this your posture of giving up resistance? Too bad, I won't forgive these mongrels. That made Salon Cooper frown. His anger was provoked to the extreme by Irene's arrogant nature, so he thrust his sword hard into the ground. In the end, he will never become a child like you. Then Lion closed her eyes, focusing on stabilizing the corpse war forbidden magic blood array. Just a second later, his bloodline power surged, and together with Irene, he revealed terrifying strength. That made the young man unable to help but blurt out in shock. What? The people around witnessed the show of force and cast admiring glances while cheering. He's back. It's Salon Cooper. Long live the boss, long live. But just as they stepped out of the sky clouds, the sky suddenly darkened. A pitch-black demon dragon with majestic might tore through the air, spreading its wings and flying over. It let out a majestic roar, then stood behind Salon Cooper and declared coldly, enjoy your breathing while you can, for this will be your last breath, Irene. The demon dragon kept roaring and spewing streams of fire, then placed its hand on Salon Cooper's shoulder, making him unable to help, asking, are you that furious too? So you're that angry too? Isaac was stunned by the spectacular entrance and exclaimed in awe, the armored demon dragon. So that legend is real. This made her ask in confusion, what are you talking about? Upon hearing that, he had to recount everything. According to legend, if a demon dragon clan shares a heart-to-heart bond with its master, under strong emotional influence, they can undergo a form change, greatly enhancing their master's abilities. The demon dragon's power and majesty were evident all over its body, from its solid shoulders to its sharp claws and the sturdy armor on its arms, along with a sharp sword. All these elements combined to create an unprecedented precedent. This is called the demon dragon armament. But for those who had reduced Irene to this state, no family could escape the consequences. Even a child couldn't do anything about it. At this moment, he still refused to back down, stubbornly activating his power and shouting, it must be an illusion. Watch me defeat you, you grand sorcerer. However, Irene's sorcerer still couldn't survive under the demon dragon's power, and he knew nothing about it. Salon Cooper was already armed and ready to fight, sternly declaring, the reason we share a heart-to-heart bond is because of our fury toward you. With that, he immediately lunged forward with powerful, skillful slashes, his steps like a storm. In an instant, Salon Cooper fiercely confronted Irene head-on, making the latter, despite holding the life scepter, panicked and anxious. Swoosh! A sword strike severed Irene's arm, and he screamed in pain. It hurts. Salon Cooper then growled in accusation. This sword is for the innocent people whose talents you stole. Hugh saw his beloved son being tormented mercilessly, couldn't bear it, and sprang up, shouting worriedly, Irene, but was quickly sternly reminded by Leon. Heir, sit down. Irene never expected he had such great skill. He knelt in agony, his voice trembling. You mongrel, how dare you? How dare you? However, this was only the appetizer that Salon Cooper had prepared. There were still many surprises, so he quickly moved to his target. Unsurprisingly, another painful blow was delivered, along with a cold voice. For the souls who died because of you, for the talent from my past life that you stole and exploited. Salon Cooper's gaze was like a blade, telling Irene that everything he had done in the past and present would have to be paid for. Finally, he carried the blazing flames of hatred, swung his sword and charged. Go to hell, Irene! But just at the climax, an unexpected throw activated Salon Cooper's salvation. Leon saw her intervening regardless, and reminded her displeasedly, Heir, what are you doing? This is a sacred life-or-death duel within the Cooper family. Meanwhile, Irene kept moaning, it hurts so much. Seeing her arrogance, Isaac sneered. Madam is truly worthy of being the stunning S-grade talent sorcerer of her time. Too bad after marrying Leon, I haven't seen her fight anymore. Today is an honor. Not stopping there, whispers reached her ears. Unsealing 8 sacred magic protection shields also requires a treasure. Could the rumors that the mistress assassinated the previous patriarch and was struck down by a magic backlash be true? Sweet. Watch the show. As expected, she clasped her hands together, summoning 9 rings of the sacred white magic mother pattern. Her regretful voice sneered. If I had known you would become such a monster, I should have killed you when you were still in diapers. Now I must correct that mistake. Today you die here. Salon Cooper was used to her personality, just tilted his head slightly, without any fear. Seeing his fighting stance, Leon immediately shouted, "Everyone, stop right there." In the end, his wife didn't want to anger her husband and just tried to pull him back. Salon Cooper also instantly dropped out of his armed state, returning to his original form, looking displeased. Only Isaac stood in the corner, stroking his chin in admiration. As expected of Leon, the Abyss Sword Saint, this triple forbidden magic seal is truly unbeatable. Just as they stopped, Leon stepped forward, needing to distinguish right from wrong, and solemnly declared, "The Cooper family does not welcome you. Take your people and leave," causing Salon Cooper to shout in resentment, "Father, Patriarch, you will regret this." Heather saw him tormenting her son, couldn't hold back. "Leon, let me kill him," but he suddenly pointed at her, coldly demanding, "Before I change my mind, get out of my territory." Thus, Salon Cooper had nothing left to say to himself. They left that place full of gossip together under the clear blue sky and blazing sunlight. He hesitated to speak, but Lord Isaac didn't actually need to leave. However, Isaac smirked and replied, "Kid, an upright man isn't afraid of false accusations. Are you interested in joining the Isaac family?" Which made him exclaim in surprise and ask. He asked, "Sir, you don't mind my exiled status? You're willing to go against the Cooper family?" His words made Isaac pause and look at him with suspicion, but refusal wasn't the end. He suggested, "Sir, although I cannot join your family, I can still make a deal with you." Isaac asked with interest, "Oh, tell me." So he directly stated, "The king is gravely ill, and war among nobles is imminent. If I can successfully enter the Imperial Academy, you might also learn the latest news from the capital." Isaac kept asking, "Do you know what to do with him?" Hearing this, an idea flashed in his mind. He smirked coldly. "If my sword talent is S rank, then it's time to use my trump card." Then he declared confidently, "I can become the closed-door disciple of the hidden sword Saint Chris," which made Isaac somewhat doubtful. The real Chris? At the same time, Chris stood by the window, leaning against the frame. The 6th person said he heard a voice, and his mother asked him what he said. He just stammered a reply. "Hidden sword, Saint Chris, 47 years old, rank sword saint, title hidden, school of silent sword style. Distinctive fast sword, draws faster than sound and reaches before the sound arrives. Outwardly, he uses assassination sword techniques, but in fact he's ferocious and powerful, often killing with overwhelming force that pierces armor. His personality is outwardly lax but inwardly hard to restrain, but he's actually cautious and not easy to trust. He was formerly the leader of the king's private assassin corps. Hobbies: drinking, disguising, often drunk, gambling." Several days later, the St. Golden area, he immediately introduced to Isaac, "See, the 3 towers ahead are the 3 strongest magic towers in St. Golden City. Seeing them means St. Golden City isn't far." Before leaving, Isaac didn't forget to remind him, "I tell you, said Golden City is full of nobles. When you're outside school, you need to be careful." He kept staring at Bobo suspicious, and reassured himself, this guy is unreliable. For his family's benefit, he would do plenty of backstabbing. "I have to handle this myself, and find a chance to break away from the army." Along the way, Isaac kept assuring him, "Don't worry, I will definitely get you into the Imperial Academy. Miss Andrea will have to make an effort to act as your maidservant for enrollment. That way, the 2 of you can be together with justification. As for your guards, they can be settled in the manor and help me protect it, fend off bandits and such." Hearing this, a glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. He thought, bandits near the capital? Is there an opportunity? Isaac said he would explain, but in fact, it's a large part of St. Golden City. Very hard to deal with. But he insisted, "Leave the bandit problem to me." Isaac couldn't help but ask, "Then what about Andrea?" He galloped into the forest without looking back, and added, "Please take Andrea to the Imperial Magic Academy first." Isaac called out in shock, but he had already ridden off. Isaac sighed helplessly and replied, "Let's go back to the manor first and arrange for that kid's subordinates." A second later, he saw a face in the river, but couldn't make it out clearly. Based on his vague memories, he rested his chin and thought. According to the description of Angela in his previous life, she was only about 7 years old now, secretly imprisoned in the bandits' hideout. Then he jumped down, and more importantly, her father Chris had been searching for her and was willing to sacrifice everything for her. But with this information, he still believed that as long as he saved Angela, he could become Chris's son-in-law. Thus, he became even more determined to carry out this plan to the end, quickly switched to combat mode, and prepared to fight the arrogant bandits. At the same time, they also needed to have the ability to train to fight against them. But in the sky, a monster's shadow appeared overhead, making him dare not ask and just look up at its face. Yet everything happened in an instant. Before the bandits could react, he had already swung a sword into the air. That was also one of the highest quality techniques he possessed, named Inheritance Technique First Form, Bloodlight Sweeping Shadow. Another group was aggressively tightening their weapons in front of him, but he forcefully charged forward and used the second form of the Inheritance Sword Technique. Blood Serpent Frenzy Swallow with sharp, fast sword strokes, just like a python opening its mouth wide, devouring them. At this moment, the bandit leader, Fu Long, also appeared, looking at him with furious eyes and shouting, "Who is so arrogant? Die!" Then, without a word, he jumped straight over to slash. But the young man quickly blocked with the treasured sword in his hand. After that, Fu Long leaped up and prepared for the next move. Inheritance Technique Third Form, Blood Shadow Indigo. He heard the name of the move and widened his eyes in shock, turning back and trembling. Blood Shadow Indigo, you are from the Cooper family. Do you know we... But before he could finish the sentence, he delivered a fatal blow, swiftly finishing him off. Suddenly, red lights burst violently, then continuously transformed strongly into a certain shape. He coldly swept past the bandits, speaking sternly with sarcasm. "A bunch of evil beasts with mountains of sin. Do I care who you are?" At that moment, Mio, who had been flying to scout, also returned, chirping Gigi to signal him. As soon as he turned his head, it rubbed against him affectionately, making him chuckle and ask, "Wusk, what's up? I told you to search. Did you find anything?" Looking at its image, he also saw that it could fly away from there. Leading the way, following its clues, he went along Mio's guidance to that place. He carefully examined the entrance inside thoroughly. Finally, the door opens and Ceylon Cooper stands proudly under the blinding light, stepping forward. As he walks, he carefully observes the entrance and quickly approaches the target inside. Angela sees someone enter, tilts her head innocently, and asks if he's a good person coming to save her. He thinks back, remembering that Angela once said she could tell if someone was lying just by looking at them since childhood. So he answers honestly, "I came to take you to find your father so he can teach me swordsmanship." After checking, she has her answer and happily extends her hand, saying, "You're not lying, so let's go." With Angela's trust, he doesn't hesitate and immediately carries her outside. But before they take a few steps, his eyes suddenly flash with concern. "I'm afraid we can't leave." But at that moment, a set of stark white skeletal remains appears before them. He immediately instructs Angela, "That thing outside has terrifying energy. I can only block its attack once. In a moment, I'll go out to draw its attention, and you must run for your life, understand?" She replies, He observes the giant skeletal remains, 4 meters tall, with attack power comparable to a sword saint. Even he is shocked. He taunts, "Demon Dragon, this time we really have to risk our lives." He draws his sword and assumes a stance, then tells Angela to prepare well. She is ready and replies, "Don't worry, big brother, I'm all set." He lets out a sigh. From the very start, he and the skeletal remains were bound together. The skeletal remains then raise a giant hand with sharp claws forward. He uses his sword to block its claws and shouts, "Damn, now, Angela, hurry." She sees the skeletal remains and panics, turning her back and screaming loudly. He calmly smiles and says, "The demon dragon equipment still has one trick. Might as well test its power." Then he shouts, "Demon dragon." From his sword emanates a powerful aura. It creates a massive blast force that pushes the skeletal remains back, and he calls out, "Armor." A notification panel appears. Demon Dragon Armor, Force Dispel, detonating remaining magic power, creating a strong shockwave. He stands upright and declares boldly, "Just a giant pile of bones, how can it stop my revenge?" He looks at Angela running away and thinks, now he just needs to get her out of here. The skeletal remains chase after Angela, spewing a stream of lightning, then screams, "Die." Immediately after, a huge explosion occurs in her spot, and he yells, "Angela." One of the two faces of the skeletal remains appears. It turns out the monstrous bird that Angela had encountered earlier had flown up high and saved her life. The bird looks strained under Angela's weight. Unable to bear it any longer, it releases her, and he is already standing below to catch her. He quickly picks up Angela and runs away from the skeletal remains attacks. He runs while worrying. The magic barrier has closed. We have to break the formation core to escape. In this critical situation, he mutters to himself. But now the demonic beast is still attacking, and he has no time to examine the formation and find the core. Angela, who is holding his neck, asks, Big brother, you said the formation core is a very important place that no one is allowed near, right? He wonders and replies, yes. Do you know where it is? Angela points toward a distant door and reveals, when they let me out to move around, there were 3 places they wouldn't let me near, and that's over there. He replies, alright, let's check it out. He changes direction while running and says, even though this demonic beast has strong energy, it's slow. From a distance, it only uses its skeletal cannon attack. He runs for his life and shouts, but right now I don't have the demon dragon armament. If I get hit, I'll be seriously injured. At this moment, their group has entered inside the door. He looks around and says, this room has been reinforced, but it probably won't hold out long. Suddenly Angela's eyes light up, and she unconsciously says, Big brother, that bow seems to be calling me. He carries Angela closer to the lightning magic sphere and says, okay, let's see. From Angela's hands, a bolt of lightning shoots out, making him watch curiously. Finally, she summons a bow. He wonders, is this Silver's blessing? Angela hurriedly urges, yes, big brother, that monster is about to catch up. Let's hurry to the next place. He replies, okay. Angela raises the bow forward and guides. Big brother, another place is just ahead. Next, there are 2 skeletal remains moving on their own. He runs into a room, his footsteps echoing, and moves toward a large black gem inside. He shouts, found it, this is the place. He looks at the black gem with violet flames inside, floating above a circular formation. He stares in shock. No way, this is... A rare skeletal remains appears, surrounded by walls of demonic energy. At this moment, Salon Cooper realized and shouted loudly. The mage who set up the magic circle had activated the pair of giant self-destructing bones. He set Angela down and carefully instructed that after he unleashes his skill, he might lose his reason. If he had to attack her, she must definitely find a way to protect herself well. And she replied, yes, rest assured, Angela trusts you. He then drew his sword and used the 4th form of the inheritance sword technique. From his back, he summoned a demon sword, and he told himself he could only use it before that. He swung his sword at the rough egg. His sword strike created dense streams of fire. He then shouted the technique's name, Starwind Blood Rain. The rough egg emitted rays of light that seeped through the cracks in its shell. The demon sword grabbed this young man's hand and tried to pull him away. She said that he had once been told that she was a good friend. Now you are mine. Angela, shocked in the Imperial tongue, said, brother, at Dato St. Gordon City, Imperial Academy, Chris sat holding a wine bottle elegantly before the main gate. A mysterious person asked. He asked him. He said he was the king of Prince His Highness, and we must go with him. Chris suddenly opened his eyes and said Sandrew had blocked the way. He then disappeared without a trace, leaving only the empty bottle and said, keep the rest for me. I'll go check it out myself. I'll drink it when I get back. He took it laughing to himself, but in the end it was a good time. At the same time at the bandit's lair the sky was gloomy and dark. The blood demon emitted a powerful dark aura and slowly advanced. Angela, frozen in fear, called out, Big brother! His eyes didn't need much attention. He cried out like a beast. The blood demon attacked without hesitation. Perhaps she still had time to escape from her, but Angela was still knocked to the ground, crying in pain, Big brother. He approached her with a sneer, unable to escape from her. The demon dragon launched a fireball to block the blood demon's path. He swiftly cut its neck with a sharp, cold sword stroke. Mio rubbed its beak against the bow in Angela's hand as if to remind her. She then remembered his earlier instructions. Angela, later after I unleash my skill, I may lose my reason. If I want to attack you, you must definitely find a way to protect yourself well. She said resolutely, brother, rest assured, Angela trusts Big brother. Angela steadied herself, drew her bow. Big brother, rest assured, I will definitely survive. She shot an arrow toward the ground, wanting to impede the blood demon's movement. But that didn't happen. He had to leave the place where Angela was standing. Thanks to Mio pulling her in time, she remained safe. It and the demon dragon joined forces to protect Angela with all their might. The blood demon laughed malevolently. Completely under control, so many attractive fresh little apples. I wonder which part to eat first. She trembled in fear. No, it's no use, I can't even take a single step. The blood demon lifted Angela by the neck. Such pure blood. I should tear open her chest so it can slowly flow into my throat. Even in a life-threatening situation, she still tried to comfort him. Big brother, don't be sad, you did your best. Tears fell onto the blood demon's cheek. They touched his sleeping consciousness. He awakened from his stupor, opened his eyes and shouted, Blood demon, don't go too far. His body and eyes began to evade, and he was shocked. How could he? The blood demon sneered. Stop struggling, you cannot stop me. Your will cannot escape my control. He said, that's right, your influence on my mind is truly terrifying. But time is not enough. He forced himself to unleash a blood palm strike, and the blood demon tried to stop him. No, you want to destroy yourself. Don't ever dream of becoming a swordsman again. He said confidently, don't worry, Chris will help me solve these problems. Very soon you will be dealt with too. He said that he would be happy to be happy. After a moment, Sandru appeared and grabbed his hand, handing him a phone. Tusei glared and charged into attack, shouting, "Go die." Angela rushed out to block, yelling, "You can't harm Big Brother." Immediately after, his sword and hand were both chopped into several pieces, and he exclaimed in shock, "How could my hand?" Chris came and said to her, "Angela, for many years I've been suffering from illness. Dad has arrived. Let's go, we're going home." He was very close with Cody, but Angela did not want to leave Ceylon Cooper. "No, I want Big Brother. I cannot abandon Big Brother." Chris asked him, "Hey, do you need help with your body?" Ceylon Cooper laughed and said, "What I want doesn't stop there. I risked saving Angela in order to inherit the Master's legacy." He grabbed his collar and lifted him, saying, "Explain clearly." "But right now, Angela was personally saved by me," Ceylon Cooper countered. "Although my risky plan had some small hiccups, it also helped you escape the second prince's control, didn't it?" 7 days later, at the Imperial Academy, the two had reached an agreement. "The matter of you inheriting my title has been announced nationwide," he said. Ceylon Cooper jokingly asked, "So I am now the public enemy of the entire Imperial Academy?" The old man coldly promised, "You can always choose not to be my inheriting disciple." Around them, many people whispered, "Come on, just because he personally killed his own brother. How dare he say that he killed his whole family? He said he still has to kill him. How can he hold back? You don't just want the Master's legacy, do you? One of the disciples couldn't do this. How can he stop the Master's advance?" Of course, a sword would be pointed straight at his face. He was William, the top commoner student of the Imperial Academy's battle branch, and also a master of the Golden Sword. He glared hatefully at Ceylon Cooper, "An evil scoundrel like you who goes around killing disciples, plotting to deceive the Sword Saint. I, William, today challenge you to a duel to strip you of all your honor." You didn't need to be perceptive to see that this group of disciples was scheming against him. With so much hostility yet unable to suppress the killing intent, I suspect this is the work of the thugs behind Second Prince Sandru. Is this your arrangement? Using William's sense of justice to deal with me? He swung his sword. "Hey, if you dare not accept my challenge, then obediently leave the Sword Saint and give up your noble status." Ceylon Cooper thought to himself, "William, in our past life, our first meeting was exactly like this, with you being used by others to duel me. I didn't expect that even after my rebirth, it's still the same. Then let it be as before." He drew his sword. "William, I accept your challenge. But if you admit defeat, I want you to be forever loyal to me." Teacher, William, kill him. William, teach him a lesson, so he knows the Imperial Academy is not a place where any riffraff can enter. He seemed to gain more strength, fiercely charging forward. "Ceylon Cooper, take this. This is a battle between king-level fighters of Sufang and the Blood Demon Sword Art, Bloodlight Skimming Shadow." Of course, he was completely outclassing his opponent. "William, you are no match for me." He turned pale from the terrifying aura, but with his top strength at the academy, William executed a refined technique. Ceylon Cooper was pushed back a bit. "Not good. I just used Bloodlight Skimming Shadow. I need at least 10 seconds to adjust before I can use it again." But at that moment he quickly closed the distance. The blade grazed his throat. That was William's deadly consecutive strike. He actually mastered this technique during his time at the Imperial Academy. He leaped off the ground, preparing to unleash another killing move, Sword Reversal. Righteousness is truly admirable. He can overwhelm many other talented swordsmen. Repent for your deep-seated actions. But Ceylon Cooper was undaunted. He remembered Chris's words that his magic and his magic were not much different. With his current state, he might be able to use the second technique of the Demon Sword Art at the Silver Sword level. He knew that if he used the third technique, he would not be able to control his blood pressure, but he had no other choice. But Ceylon Cooper had to fight. He apologized, but William's love for justice was truly precious, so he activated the power of the blood sword again. He dodged the attack that seemed like it would end the battle, which William had launched, shouting, "It's over." Ceylon Cooper unleashed a blood-red hidden weapon, Blood Demon Sword Art Heart, Blood Shadow Heavenly Sword. The attack formed dozens of sharp swords that shot straight at the target. Another student quickly warned, "William, look at the swords." He exclaimed in shock, "Can sword techniques really do something like this?" His blood sword blade was already pressed against William's neck. "Oh, my honest and reliable William, I finally get to see that interesting expression on your face again. It really makes me nostalgic." And of course, Ceylon Cooper screamed in distress. It seemed the blood demon had taken over his body again. He feared the aura on Ceylon's body is very wrong. What can I do? Seeing the danger, everyone stepped back to keep their distance. The mages immediately shot magic from afar, blazing fiercely. Freezing ice magic held Ceylon Cooper in place, and powerful lightning magic continuously struck. They all agreed that blood demon is indeed a shameless user of magic. All students raised their weapons, magic power surging violently. They believed this young man must be a villain who slaughters the innocent, and everyone felt they had to kill him. However, they were angry with William, and he had no intention of helping this young man. Even if he's a bad guy, he still loves you, will protect you, and come back to your side. But even if war breaks out, it doesn't matter at all. Chris and Malden charged in to attack this young man. He looked just like he did when he was young, truly happy. Chris didn't forget to warn that taking advantage of someone's difficulty wasn't the Academy's style, and he promised that once this young man recovered, he'd let everyone have a match. Just one glance from him was enough to terrify them, making them feel like death was imminent. I truly felt like I had already died once. Chronomy of the Sahwat family and Moran Saad anxiously asked the prince what to do now. Sandru sneered, reminding everyone that he had enrolled through a noble recommendation, then told them to follow him to the trial mission hall. Han thought to himself, blood demon again? Truly a formidable school of death. Andrea worriedly asked Cassidon if he wanted to help this young man, since only she could handle the blood demon illusion on him. She scolded him not to be foolish, to stay away because he cultivated the evil blood demon. But she was puzzled, hadn't she once said that schools of magic aren't inherently good or evil? Cassidon understood the student's feelings, patted Andrea's head to comfort her, and agreed that most schools aren't tied to good or evil. But blood demon was completely different. Chris was yelling at this young man, saying blood magic is different from ordinary magic. To perfectly execute the blood demon's technique, one must have absolute spiritual power, will and physical condition. He will remember that he is something good, and will help heal the body. I teach you to use bloodline magic power instead of physical strength to perform the blood demon sword technique, controlling and enhancing the body. Rick obviously got angry. Is this your reward? Using an unhealed body to do stupid things? Who will settle the grudge between you and the Cooper family? He said he wanted to use his advantage and certainly wasn't afraid, but he was always busy and had paid a lot of money to avoid doing it. Chris pressed him, asking whether he would die or kill others, and the young man replied that he couldn't go mad with his inheritance. George, the principal of the Combat Academy, suddenly walked in with a less than friendly attitude, asking what he was doing there and that he wasn't allowed in. The man bluntly replied, "I am outside the door." George turned his attention to this young man, saying that as a student enrolled through a noble recommendation, according to school rules, he must complete a trial mission within 1 week to prove his right to stay. After saying that, he left directly, telling Chris not to let personal feelings affect teaching order. The principal might be lenient, but he was not. He dazedly asked his teacher if there was a grudge between them. Chris snorted coldly, saying it was just a stubborn old man lucky not to have died by his hands, and as long as the student didn't break rules, there was no need to worry. The young man then asked to start the trial mission quickly, and the teacher sighed, saying if the old stubborn man arranged it himself, it likely wouldn't be easy. At that moment he had arrived at the wild site. Sandru ordered Moran Sawat, saying that George had assigned Salandan a trial mission right in this secret realm. He should go early and pour the potion vial into the secret realm's water source. Many people in the world have been affected. Everything began to turn tragic. He sat back smugly to watch the fun. As for how crazy he could become, it depended on when Chris could no longer hold back and kill someone. On the second day, this young man irritably drove people away, telling William he would find him after accepting the mission. William stubbornly said he feared this mission wouldn't be easy to complete, and he sighed, replying that he had known for a long time George didn't like his teacher and deliberately made things difficult. William said it was a bit complicated now. Everyone was already at the scene. They were waiting to see how foolish he was. Sure enough, all eyes fell on the wheelchair as soon as he appeared. Philip, a student of George, was ready to meet him. Andrea wanted to speak up and get closer to him, but was signaled to stay away. Both sides kept their distance. Silon Cooper came to the reception desk and announced he was there to accept the trial mission. Philip gave a professional smile, said his registration was complete, and asked which academy. He said, Silon Cooper, Combat Academy. Sure enough, George had made it difficult. He announced that your trial mission had been upgraded to high-risk difficulty, and the altered secret realm required at least 4 people. William immediately suggested changing it to a normal one-person mission. Philip calmly replied that a mission suitable for a solo player wouldn't be released until next week, but according to regulations, this young man had to complete it within 3 days before official registration. A person named Woody said, "The Imperial Academy does not welcome you. You are nothing but scum." He sneered and asked this young man if he wanted to find a way to laugh at him by accepting the mission or retreat safely. Another guy criticized that if it were him, he would shut the door for 3 days and not accept the mission. Salon Cooper glared and asked if he thought he couldn't find teammates. Philip didn't deny it, saying personally he didn't care, but thought no one really wanted him to enter the academy. Even more, he didn't want to be threatened into becoming a lackey like William. He immediately grabbed his blood sword and held it close to his own neck. He made a bet. If he found enough teammates, he wanted him to kneel, admit his blindness, and apologize for humiliating William. Philip stubbornly replied, "You dare? If you want to make me kneel, kill me first." The young man sarcastically said he would tell the truth to Master Chris, and asked if he thought the teacher would act to protect his disciple. He said that since he was a friend of Salon Cooper, he could lead the team to meet their teammates, but he wouldn't be afraid even if it were just 4 people. 2 people arrived, Andrea from the Magic Academy and Isaac from the Combat Academy, and they said they were with Salon Cooper. He proudly told this big-eyed senior to register the mission, and then Salon Cooper used the oppressive aura of the blood demon to give an order. "Kneel down, apologize to me." He strode away arrogantly, saying, "You want to make things hard for me? Are you ready to risk your life?" Lang Yuan whispered about his attitude. Senior Philip strictly follows the rules, yet he uses Lord Crit's name to bully others. William spoke up. "Salon Cooper, you really didn't have to go this far for me." He taught him. "William, remember, as long as we don't make mistakes, no bastard can stand above us. And I, Cooper, will never make a mistake." Philip, humiliated, knelt on the floor. "Master, I want to kill him with my own hands." George reminded, "Act appropriately. Remember today's humiliation. Turn it into power, so you can use the rules like death to take his life." He endured. "Yes, master." The scene at Mesa Forest was magnificent. Salon Cooper's group arrived and prepared to accept the mission. William said this was the Mesa River. The inheritance of the ancient mage Mesa was hidden in Heir. However, the Academy had owned this secret realm for hundreds of years, yet no one had ever found that inheritance. He explained further, the exit was at the lake on the mountain peak, and below was the most dangerous place. Nightmare-level magic beasts roamed there. The area near the peak was safest, with only low-level magic beasts. If you stayed close to the lake, even if you encountered magic beasts, they wouldn't attack anyone. The fog in the mountain forest was poisonous. A gold sword grandmaster could survive about 10 hours thanks to physical strength. A mage without corresponding spells could only rely on mana to resist. And a gold sting mage would be fully effective for about 6 hours of combat. Salon Cooper detected a foul mood. "Everyone, prepare to fight. Something is coming." One of them bumped into him, then spoke to him. William offered to protect them. "That's a swarm of Mesa bugs. Troublesome and useless. We just need to avoid their path." That girl asserted. "Useless. We ran for 20 minutes, changed direction 5 times, but they still chased us." Andrea activated defensive magic. Fat Cat Howl. A powerful shield layer was formed. He sighed. "Fat Cat Howl? What kind of magic is that?" Salon Cooper sneered. "It took you 20 minutes to escape, but you don't even have the courage to draw your sword, and you call yourselves geniuses? Huh?" He swung a slash, summoning the Blood Summoner. The large snake charged straight at the crowd. They were wiped out in just a few short seconds. And naturally, not even a speck of weight increased in the same manner. Of course, there were many who were unworthy and worthy. That group of adventurers sighed in relief. "Phew, we're saved," Salon taunted. "Don't you feel humiliated being saved by an enemy?" She snorted coldly. "These rustic barbarians have no interest at all." That person continued. "If there's a guy who looks like a girl and doesn't even know how to do it, he's that one. If you have reason and escort me out, I might even give you a position as a servant." She was startled in fear when she saw magic beasts surrounding everywhere. They alertly held their weapons. Surely the magic beasts are attracted by the insect swarm. Everyone be careful. Something is very wrong with these magic beasts. Its feet were abnormally large. A large bear aggressively charged at them. Salon Cooper calmly reassured everyone. "It's fine, just kill them one by one." Salon Cooper could relax with that creature because he had to do it. Cooper's humanity was the core of the blood demon. Because energy provided power, the strength of the blood demon sword varied greatly, making it hard to defend against. The creature transformed our bodies into solid rock and blood light sweeping shadow. The blood demon wanted to increase mana capacity, like a warrior trained physical strength, just by killing. He followed the instructions. Control the bloodline, use the bloodline, absorb the bloodline, evolve the bloodline. That was the core of the blood demon. A blood demon mage couldn't level up quickly because of a weak body, but a blood demon swordsman was different. Andrea was extremely worried for Salon Cooper. Although the blood quantity followed the same pattern, the blood remained unchanged. The only problem was the disease in the bloodline, the disease of the dead and the living, which would be used to create the image of a demon, forever lingering in the body. That was the honor of the eternal, only the power of the enduring pool. She never took her eyes off Salon Cooper. Salon Cooper, are you okay? He immediately reassured. Don't worry, Chris can handle it. It's just one high-level magic beast. How could anything happen to me? Salon Cooper suddenly exploded with power from within the human body. Andrea created a black hole to protect everyone. The wall behind converged. Isaac felt that this time was completely different from the previous dragon den, but he was briefly confused. Something seemed very off. She rattled off a long explanation about the barrier, saying that everyone who cultivated the blood demon eventually went mad. It was basically common knowledge. The first and second heads of the Cooper family both went insane from the blood demon, and rumor had it that the current patriarch had become the Silent Sword Saint just to suppress its influence on the bloodline. Andrea remained determined to save him. She said, "Please create a connection for me, the star-linking spell." The girl with glasses couldn't help and butted in, claiming that using soul resonance magic on a madman was suicide. She was utterly astonished at the scene unfolding before her. It was the soul world of Salon Cooper. The sword demon couldn't believe it. He kept clicking his tongue because someone had actually risked their life to save him. Andrea only had one question. What is Salon Cooper? They hurriedly explained that it wasn't that they had done anything, that Brat had eaten something he shouldn't have. The first generation Cooper who created them had been killed by this demonic thing. In truth, the sword demon only wanted to use her. He sneered, "What's the matter, kid? Want to save him? Let me plant a blood demon seed in your heart, then I'll show you how to save him." Without a moment's hesitation, Andrea replied, "I agree." The sword demon laughed loudly, having achieved his goal, and said that you good-hearted people were always the most foolish. Only one thought echoed in her mind. Salon Cooper, I will definitely save you. At last, Andrea mustered the power to help him restore his mind. She shouted, "Hey, hey, purify wandering light spell." The girl with glasses commented that relaxed people talk too much, and using a 7-circle star spell at such a young age, Ella had spent her whole life cultivating it. Truly, commoners didn't know how to enjoy things. Just then, Isaac spoke up. "Hey, noble lady over there, either come here and help, or shut your mouth and hide behind us, okay?" The girl with glasses immediately blushed and looked flustered. The dark magic still clung to Salon Cooper's body. The sword demon flew to his side and mocked, "Task, saved by that girl again, you really are useless." Salon Cooper hadn't even reacted yet. The sword demon put on an air of superiority. "Task, if I hadn't already agreed to let that girl save you, I would never show up in this filthy place." They took control of Salon Cooper's body and said, "I'll only teach you once. Remember it well." The power of the sword demon inside him was terrifying. Carefully distinguish the differences among the blood essences, and see clearly what made you lose control. If you let that demonic thing into your bloodline again, I'll kill the girl you care about, understand? The dark blood essence gradually faded from the crimson heart. They still cheerfully said they'd meet again soon. Salon Cooper made a vow to himself. "Next time we meet, you will regret this." He began using his own power to destroy the monsters at the blood banquet. William also defended the Crimson Heart after their attack. The girl with glasses thought the strange phenomenon in the back mountain was a good sign, saying that a half-saint level powerhouse had entered the secret realm. Probably the academy had sent teachers to pick them up. But Salon Cooper was worried. How could this have alerted a half-saint? Had the refinement mission changed? Regardless, he was determined to complete it. Oliver and his sword flew out of the lake. A single sword strike from him was enough to knock the monsters away. He sneered, "A bunch of beasts who don't know when to die." Oliver's goal was clear. If he could just bring back that bastard's corpse, he was sure to earn the favor of Princess Sunru. William was deep in thought. He had a tracking device for blood demon users designed by the Magic Academy, which would let him easily find and finish off the brat. Of course, someone called out to him from the side, "William, do you know why he could betray you?" William saw that Salon Cooper had a crowd around him and didn't want to cause chaos. He muttered, Is this a group of students rescued along the way? Too many students watching, not a good time to deal with that brat." The students from the Imperial Academy shouted joyfully, "Teacher Oliver, are you here to get us out? Thank you so much." Still believing he was in the right, he tried to look cool. "After all, I'm the beloved teacher. Eliminate the villain who made the secret realm go haywire. Expose him, the students will be grateful." He sensed something abnormal, murderous intent. Oliver struck him instantly. Andrea was utterly panicked. Salon Cooper and William were caught off guard. She screamed, "Watch out." He quickly withdrew his sword and said smugly, "To die by the sword of a sword saint-level user. That brat must be satisfied. A half-saint is a golden sword master who can unleash sword saint-level blows." Unexpectedly, Salon Cooper appeared behind him and mocked, "No wonder you're from the academic faction, all talk, like an empty barrel." Oliver swiftly counterattacked, thinking, "Still not dead? Is this the weirdness of the blood demon? Then let me kill you again." Do you finally understand now? Earlier, the blood demon had taught him to use it to sense toxins in the blood, but right now this thing wasn't a toxin, it was. Hanta had to dart from one direction to another fighting Ceylon Cooper, and his energy circulation began to shift. He grew more confident in understanding the flow of power inside his opponent. Using this sensing method, he could see through the enemy's moves and actions. Not only did Ceylon Cooper have the strength to knock Oliver back, he also had a protective star shield, and a fat cat purred. He raised his sword, wanting to avenge Ceylon Cooper, using the Imperial Sword technique. This time he had met a tough opponent. Oliver couldn't hold his own against two people at once. He cursed, "Damn, harder to kill than expected. That William's attacks are tricky. Looks like I'll have to use that move." But her power had changed ever since his death. It was no longer what it used to be. The blade skimmed across the water and struck the monster, slicing down to hit it directly. The enraged magical beast suddenly charged straight at the students of the Imperial Academy. He quickly escaped, and the students will surely thank the teacher for arranging this real combat training, right? Now the students realized Oliver's true face. Damn it, he wanted to kill them. They couldn't believe it. Teacher Oliver wasn't that kind of person, but he used a magic scroll to flee, making him a rabid dog biting everyone. He hugged his head, trembling. "I can't die. I still have to earn money to support my family. I need to succeed. I can't die. I want to fight." But the magical beast had no intention of stopping. He turned back and urged, "William, use your strength. We have to block it." Facing that danger, Silent Head ordered, "Andrea, Isaac, protect those useless ones, they are witnesses." She suddenly had an idea: a wall. Isaac also found it unique. Andrea said, "My magic is slightly stronger if I don't chant the name." Ceylon Cooper coordinated smoothly with him. "William, give me the quartz." William was a bit worried about his trial mission, but Ceylon Cooper decided, "If we don't deal with it, the mission fails anyway. Take me." Suddenly he felt confident in his decision. Disaster level magic. If I use the Blood Shadow Sword technique at that rank, the Blood Demon will surely take the chance to control my body. Then what if I rely only on silver rank sword techniques and magic? Ceylon Cooper, and he still coordinated smoothly. "William, shield me, I need some time," Ceylon Cooper said. William is a monster, and he is also a monster, but he was quickly knocked away by it. His magical power hadn't fully taken effect yet. Suddenly a loud shout came. "Ceylon Cooper, watch out." The swarm of wyverns surrounded Ceylon Cooper. They roared, each looking ferocious with glowing eyes and bared sharp teeth. Ceylon Cooper seemed a bit tense, but he only worried slightly to prepare for a cool-down move. William leaped out, raising his sword and shouting, "Imperial Sword Art." Undaunted, he jumped straight at the dragon and struck, still asking, "How much longer until you finish absorbing the blood demon essence?" He quickly replied, "A few more seconds." Isaac rushes in to help, wielding only a single sword. Disperse, sword dance. She seems lost and plunges straight down. Andrea says he called everyone around. Isaac, "I don't know, come to her." She seems lost and plunges straight down. She falls into a large pool of blood. After recovering his power, Ceylon single-handedly battles the swarm of demonic beasts, threatening. The end of the demon beasts has come. He dives down, his hands swiftly slicing all three creatures cleanly. Blood Flame and Serpent's Bite. The three beasts let out miserable howls. He finishes them off with a strike that splits them apart like cutting through a slab. He sneers with contempt. "That's all you've got." The smoke from the battle slowly clears, and all the academy students lie crumpled on the ground. Only one boy, holding a sword larger than his own body, struggles to stand. William calls out, "Lewis." The kid seems not to hear and instead accuses a demon practicing blood purification magic, a traitor who betrays the family, a scoundrel who slaughters his brothers. He shouts from behind, "Lewis, I can't." The kid yells, "Ah!" Then he slams the sword firmly into the ground. Instead of charging forward, Lewis kneels sincerely. "Classmate Ceylon Cooper, without your help, I would already be dead. Please accept my most sincere apology and gratitude. Please forgive my past foolishness and ignorance. Please accept our sincere apology and gratitude." One girl among the group points to the sky. "What is that?" In the sky, several creatures have just appeared. Celentum's eyes widen as for Macthagia. This swarm of insects certainly hides no secrets. Before leaving, he glares angrily at her. "Andrea, protect yourself well, and look after these students." Bloodlight fleeting shadow. Sure enough, the insects mainly target Ceylon Cooper, because when they see him jump into the water, they quickly dive after him. So that's it. These so-called shell carrier insects are just tools for harvesting life force. The real goal is to resurrect the mage named Misa through the heart in that dusty magic crystal. Damn crazy mage demon again. This chaos wants to harvest others' life force to prolong its own life. Better die obediently. The real goal is to resurrect the mage named Misa through the heart in that dusty magic crystal. Yet another damn crazy mage demon. This chaotic battle wants to harvest life force from others to keep living. Better just die obediently. He walks over and takes it, then together with Yen, throws a punch that sends the insects flying. Outside, the students also recover their magic and spirits, all feeling elated. My magic power is back. My stamina is restored. Is that the secret realm gate? What a surprise to find the exit by chance. Oliver can infiltrate minds and see the past. If he can't turn things around, the plan to buy a house for Wang Zi will fail, and he fears he'll have no standing left. He took a sip from his liquor flask. Sure enough, things always take a turn for the worse. The secret realm's great gate opens. First, who will survive? This time he must go all out and ensure no loopholes. Seeing Salon Cooper step out from the rippling water, the trainees cheered joyfully. The big gate is open. Once he's settled, we can leave. Great, I don't want to stay in this cursed place a second longer. Andrew approached to ask, "You're back? Are you okay?" He didn't look tired at all, same as everyone else. My stamina and mana have recovered, plus I found these two things at the bottom of the lake. She gazed thoughtfully at the azure crystal vial. This vial smells of toxins from those aberrant beasts earlier. It's probably a poison container. This kind of crystal vial is very rare. When we get back, I'll ask the teacher to inspect it. He nodded in agreement. All right, thanks for your trouble. William held the core in his hand and remarked, "From its size, this is probably a calamity-level power crystal left by the five-headed dragon. Unfortunately, the power crystal reserves have already been depleted. We can't stay long in this poison bone." He asked Santoy about her mission. "I don't plan to say anything about this thing. I just want to look at it for a bit." Seeing that, the crowd behind burst into commotion. "Take ours too, thank him." Everyone felt relieved finally. He was accepted by everyone. How wonderful. As everyone cheered and prepared to return, suddenly a strange voice sounded from behind. That's why people don't want to die in a situation like this. He softly realized, danger. The figure behind, bearing a bloodlight, skimming shadow, threatened. "Go die." Isaac and Andrea ran over worriedly. "Are you okay?" "I'm here to help you." He spread his wings and calmly persuaded. "Bloodline death sight, Oliver. I've already seen your death." He didn't let up, always wanting to attack. "You damn poisoner. Get lost to hell." He shot back. "The one dying is you." Oliver used his power. His shimmering golden wings continuously unleashed attacks toward him. Suddenly, the crystal vial on his person fell due to the scuffle. George Barton jumped in between and shouted, "Everyone, stop at once." Onesaw turned and yelled, "Oliver, do you know what you're doing?" The principal had grown angry at his recklessness, silently scolding, "A rule-ignoring fool with no brains. Just a brute. As long as the second prince's mission is complete, students' lives don't matter." He stubbornly retorted, "I'm hunting down the evildoer who poisoned and caused chaos in the secret realm." The trainees panicked. "What, poison? Am I poisoned?" "Dean George, do you have evidence?" He replied, "Of course." Then he presented some magic to explain. This was magic commissioned by the chairman. "You might know about slime. If you are slime, then you will become slime." The crystal vial that had fallen to the side suddenly glowed brightly. Trainees doubted. Did he really poison? Impossible, he just saved us. Maybe he used a forbidden drug for his own mission, and seized the chance to save us to flip his reputation. Ha! Are there really people so shameless? He reached for his only target, a person he couldn't escape from this crowd. He stood in front of him and said, "Now, do you still have anything to say? You won't say anything, but if you want to catch me with my hands tied, you're dreaming." Salon Cooper faces off against Principal George, who is enraged and rushes to choke him. George wonders how the boy is so fast. Could it be the true power of the Holy Sword? After being restrained, George cannot move, and even his magic power is sealed. Ankiga, feigning expertise, pulls out the rules to threaten. According to Article 367, anyone who attacks a teacher can be killed on the spot except the punishment. Just as George lowers his sword, he is stopped by an invisible force, frozen stiff as glue. The dean has now arrived and warns, "Wait, George, it's not time yet." Seeing the dean arrive, George pulls out a crystal bottle to explain. "Principal, you see, this is the magic scroll you gave me, but I found it on Salon Cooper's person. We used an advanced appraisal spell, and it's Imperial secret poison for countering blood demon mages. Chris understands that he will have to remove that item for me. But this isn't over. This makes no sense. We still need to take them home first, and then we can investigate." After a wave of his hand, both Salon Cooper and Oliver are bound. The dean sighs in relief. Better to lock them up first, or that kid will become a target for murderers. George is still dissatisfied, but the dean cuts in. "All right, we'll research this further later. Don't let the children laugh at us." The students have a new topic to discuss. Is Ceylon Cooper the poisoner? Certainly, the teacher used the magic scroll created by the principal to find the poison. But Mr. Greens denies it, and the principal hasn't dealt with it immediately. Some think Ceylon Cooper is the culprit, or that he was instigated by teacher Oliver in the secret realm. We witnessed with our own eyes how Oliver didn't care about our lives. Scene shifts to the Academy's dormitory. Chris is applying medicine to Oliver. This is a secret royal poison used against blood demon mages. According to the investigation, this poison came from the second Prince Sandroyu. Oliver grinds his teeth. I will not forgive him, I will kill. Before Oliver finishes speaking, Chris steps outside and sneers. Haha, childish, stay here and think. Enemies in this world can never be killed off. That's one thing. Teacher's duty is to protect royal members, but Oliver also says he wants to kill him. Oliver grits his teeth in pain and continues listening. Really? At this moment, you are still striving for your master. Sandro doesn't care about your life at all. Oliver lowers his head. To be able to devote myself to His Highness is truly an honor for me. Becoming the shadow of the royal family, Oliver, is the most important thing to us. Seeing Oliver's hurt feelings, Chris asks, have you never thought whether it's worth it? Your talent and hard work only serve to fulfill that selfish desire. You are also not reconciled, are you? Treated as a sacrificial object, able to be discarded at any moment. Oliver seems to agree but remains silent, listening. Do you have nothing left to care about? What about your family? If you confess everything about the secret realm to Principal George, I promise to help you escape the second prince's control. As soon as Oliver hears second prince, he flares up. Shut up, you scum. Don't you dare make me a traitor to my master, a traitor to my family like you. Chris shrugs. Is that so? I want to see how the master you are loyal to will treat you. From outside, a soldier's voice announces, Oliver, His Highness has arranged a duel between you and him at the Beast Arena. This is your last chance. The soldier throws Oliver a mysterious bottle. This precious life bottle will grant you final glory. Receiving it, Oliver grits his teeth in determination. I will carry out His Highness's orders until death. An outsider cheers. Good that you understand. What use is glory brought about by death? Oliver looks back on what he has done for the royal family, having devoted his entire life to the clan. It was all just a joke, becoming a sin for the clan. Then Chris's words flash in his mind. Is glory really that important? Is it worth throwing away your own life? The final moment has arrived. The referee starts. All right, prepare to begin. With that come excited cheers. The referee explains the rules. Tonight's match will follow ancient traditions. Two warriors fight under the attack of demon beasts. Whether they kill the opponent or join forces to eliminate the demon beasts, the brave one who endures will receive cheers and rewards from the king. The demon beasts have awakened. The decisive battle begins. Oliver attacks first. Your blood demon sword technique has been seen through by me. If I attack wide enough, your trick of turning into blood will be useless. But Oliver is immediately knocked far back, leaving him stunned. Ceylon Cooper grins maliciously. How did you do that? Do you know how strong an S-rank swordsman who is trained since age 4 can be? He turns and charges toward the demon beast to attack. He mutters to himself, just when my body has recovered, I'll try Chris's inherited sword technique. Silent sword break, he says with delight. I have regained all my strength. You are no match for me. Outside, the second prince wonders why Oliver hasn't used the bottle of medicine, then orders, guards, summon Gray immediately. Gray is Oliver's mother, the second prince's chef, now standing beside him with her howled in fear. Oliver sees this and becomes distracted. Mother, what will His Highness do to you if I fail? After a moment of hesitation and wavering, he is forced to drink the medicine. I cannot fail. Sure enough, the medicine takes effect immediately. His whole body seems infused with new power, his physique becoming stronger. Oliver crazily rushes towards Ceylon Cooper. For my mother, I want you dead. When their eyes meet, Oliver makes an offer. Please help me take my mother away from the second prince. In return, I will help you deal with the Hell Vine. Ceylon Cooper is surprised. What do you want to do? Before he can answer, Oliver leaps away. Only if I die will my mother survive tonight. Ceylon Cooper, on the other side, is still eliminating the demon beasts. Oliver growls each word. I beg you to kill me with all your might. Full wind sword. Ceylon Cooper witnessed the chaos, then everything sank into an eerie silence. Only the screams of Gray, Oliver's mother, remained. She frantically called out her son's name. The second prince scornfully remarked that a waste is forever a waste, unable to accomplish even small tasks. Oliver was pierced through by a demon beast's tentacle, secretly hoping his death would soothe the prince's fury and let Ceylon Cooper see his sacrifice and save his mother. The Hellvine core shot a beam of light straight into Oliver's heart, causing him to choke out. Please, you must save my mother. Salon Cooper asked him if that was the reason he became Sandro's lackey. His face was full of glee as he said if he died, he wouldn't help save anyone. The sword quickly pierced through Oliver's body, along with a message to take care of his family and repay debts while alive, activating the bloodline of flesh regeneration. Oliver died under his blade. He breathed a sigh of relief. The Hellvine bloodline could nullify the side effects of the Vine of Life potion, then told him to quietly recover and wait for teacher Chris to arrive. The second prince sat on his throne showing regret, not expecting this magic to be so powerful, defeating both the Calamity Demon Beast and a half-step swordsman at once. Sandro smiled smugly, saying as the victor of the arena, "You may request a reward from me. Do you want a treasure or to beg for forgiveness of sins?" Salon Cooper pointed at Gray. "I want her," he asked in surprise. "A servant. What do you like about her? Or do you want to take revenge on Oliver and his family?" Gray was grabbed by the hair, her whole body trembling. Sandro said with amusement, "I was right, Salon Cooper. You are indeed a natural enemy of magic." He looked at him, his voice firm. "Greed, bloodlust, murderous intent, and anger are embedded in your bones. Become my subordinate, a new sharp blade in my hand." Salon Cooper was unmoved by his words. His attitude shifted as if Oliver could do something after death, and his family immediately arrived. He stood up to face Oliver, putting on a fake, sorrowful expression. "I'm sorry about Oliver's death." He showed no fear, instead challenging. "What if I don't want to follow you, Your Highness?" He immediately threatened. "Blood demons are naturally hated. Only those with supreme power can protect you. Become my sword, or you'll be expelled from the academy for conspiring to cause the Secret Realm incident." The subordinate behind him rushed forward. "You still dare refuse the prince's favor? Take this, you sinner." Salon Cooper was agile and threw a precise counterattack. The group of subordinates shouted in unison, "An assassin! Protect the prince!" In the dead of night, Gray saw her son alive and rejoiced. "Are you still alive?" Sandro cursed. "Oliver, you're not really dead. Didn't you go to hell already?" Salon Cooper held two swords, single-handedly fighting Sandro's weak subordinates, shouting, "The one who should go to hell is you." A blood light flashed. Salon Cooper pressed his sword to his neck. The second prince's face panicked, and he sneered, "Your power is useless now." The second prince turned to Chris for help. "Chris, you're acting strange. Where is your duty as captain of the Royal Guard? Why don't you execute this assassin who killed a royal member? Or do you also want to be a traitor?" Chris didn't reply. He directly called the name of the person beside him. He swung his sword and replied, "My loyalty is only to the king." Chris presented 3 potions and explained, "These are 3 secret royal potions found in the Misa jungle and on Oliver's body. As the guard captain, it's my duty to trace their origin." Fortunately, Salon Cooper saved Angela in time, or I would have been manipulated by Sandro, like Oliver. He showed a worried expression, calculating silently. If he continued investigating, the truth would be exposed, and he might be grounded. The new student exchange meeting was about to happen. At this time, his older brother would push to drop this matter and delay his grand plan. Putting away that expression, Sandro turned to Salon Cooper, who was crossing his arms looking at the 3 potions. "I gave these 3 to Moran Sawat earlier. How they ended up on Oliver, I don't know." Chris questioned. "Your Highness means everything was done by Moran and Oliver on their own, with no involvement from you." He revealed his vile nature. "That's right, I will teach Moran Sawat a lesson, and give Chris the Sword Saint an explanation. Go bring Moran Sawat here." Salon Cooper had already guessed his intention. Clearly this guy was behind everything, controlling all because he was a prince and had countless people working for him. If he actually hurt him, teacher Chris would get in trouble, so he had to kill Moran Sawat first and break his arm. Moran Sawat pushed the door open and entered, panting. "Your Highness, you called for me." A snake-like demon beast rushed at him. "Die." A piece of paper quickly flew in front of Irene along with a voice. "I think the one who can eliminate those people in the United States is a madman. By law, Moran Sawat is a man of the underworld. Even if Sean were actually killed, he would only need to forgive Cooper and pay money to escape guilt." He pointed at Salon Cooper, but Salon Cooper is not dead. So as a baron, Mr. Moran Sawat hasn't broken any royal laws, right? Sandro is the disgrace of the family's discipline, letting bastards like beasts conflict with the prince. Please accept the Cooper family's apology. Just lock that Cooper hunting dog in a cage and don't let it bite people. Your Highness, rest assured." After showing reverence to the second prince, he turned to Salon Cooper. "Salon Cooper, long time no see. you little brat. So, ready to be caught by me and put back in the cage? Chris put his hands on his hips and patted Salon Cooper's shoulder. Your reaction today surprised me a bit. That illiterate Cooper guy always mumbles in front of many people. And yet you didn't get angry at all? He sighed. Getting angry is too trivial. I've dealt with him many times. But Alan had a vow, as long as he didn't die, the only one who would get hurt was the shadow of the Cooper family. Cooper's mother wouldn't let Alan seek death alone. I'm afraid the Cooper head couple might also come here. After all, the second prince is supervising the new student exchange to cultivate members who want to vie for power, so he must have invited all 7 hereditary families. The Cooper family members kept falsely accusing him, wanting to cut him with swords, cursing that he was an evil guy who specializes in poisoning and causing chaos, punishing in the name of holy light. We cannot let Lord Chris be deceived. Let me tear off his hypocritical mask. Salon Cooper tricked them into cursing. No need to pretend to be blind, because the dog that doesn't bark is the one that bites hardest. At the freshman exchange tournament, there will be many S-rank players more talented than you, all waiting for me to win and end this. I don't have time to argue with you, Salon Cooper. Every word he said was a blow that sent the Cooper family members flying. Chris and then fuck. Haha, fine, treat it as the eldest son having a dry spell. After reconciling, both sat under the tree shade. Chris said to him, I've arranged a meeting with Dean Ambrose for you. He's more interested in you than in the first generation Blood Demon Sword Saint Inheritance, and might even teach you a few new moves. At the Imperial Academy training grounds, the dean was waiting, and as soon as he saw him, he called out, Hey, come over here and attack me with your strongest move. He hesitated. This doesn't seem like a good idea. He possessed extraordinary power and said, Haha, you're a young girl, so I'll come back to you. He was somewhat surprised. Summoning magic without incantation? Quickly counter the dean's attack if you don't want to lose face. Luckily, I have the blood demon to block. This force is no less than a full power sword slash. Amber's trains S-rank golems. I'm an old man now, though not as skilled as in my golden age. No matter how hard I try, I still have more than enough to deal with that gold sword grandmaster. So go ahead and use all your strength. He reminded, then it's better to obey than to be respectful. I humbly asked the dean for guidance. His body combined with the transmission technique, 4th skill star Wind Blood Rain, trapped the monster in a ring of fire. The dean spoke, No, your attack is quite large, but the effect isn't flashy enough. If you concentrate on one spot it will be better. When he found the fatal spot, he finished it off with Blood Flame. Arkansas beside him, still at home. This is burning your own blood to increase damage? Truly crazy. It's a mess. The blood demon puppet will take this chance to devour its master. The dean's albus suddenly merged into the sea of fire he created. It went mad and provoked. Ahaha, great kill. In the end, the blood demon takes flesh and food. His burning blood and Kai will strengthen that blood demon's power. Moreover, he is forcefully activating high-level blood demon sword art, so his bloodline is being depleted gradually, which is why the blood demon puppet is rebelling against him. The dean just stood aside watching the two fight. It turned to him and threatened, Old man, let me out. I must kill you, kill all of you. The dean raised his hand to signal silence and said sarcastically, still conscious. Why does that tone sound exactly like Brad Cooper Jr's back then? Chris worried about his situation and stopped the dean. We can't continue. He won't be able to withstand it. The monster roared, its neck still held back by a chain. The old man beside him waved his hand. What are you afraid of? I'm here. To protect him, we need to temporarily imprison it. The dean continued with a serious tone. Before, when you used power to control the blood demon puppet, you wouldn't be able to use the blood demon. He shouted in frustration. The freshman exchange tournament is about to start. I can't use my strongest moves. Chris knew he was very talented, so he suggested, that's why you need to master it as soon as possible. The core of the blood demon is blood control. Next, I will give you special training. The old dean nodded and added, You're truly addicted to blood demon sword art. If you can't control the power, it will be a disaster. The monster knew he was shaken by the words, so it probed. The legion led by the first and second generation Coopers was invincible, but they all died overnight. Are you curious why that happened? He thought, I've read about it somewhere. Then he calmed down. Loss of control of the blood demon sword art. No wonder there's no record of this part in the Empire's history. The Din turned his back and said to him, There are many caring friends in the academy. Only when you fully master the blood demon sword art can you prevent them from being drawn into danger. Chris was somewhat relieved and cheerfully said, I understand, Dean, thank you. Let's go. There's not much time left. We have to conduct special training on the blood demon. Chris looked outside. It seemed like a good thing. The more people know, the better. He approached the door of a white-skinned man, then walked in. The scene of him taking off all his clothes, revealing a taut six-pack body, made anyone who saw it blush. Truly a breathtaking beauty. Chris leaned against the tree trunk and sneered. A big forest has all kinds of birds, huh? The Imperial Academy is about to get noisy. In the night sky, a bird kept circling, and then spiraled straight down to the ground. That was Luna Forrester, an S-rank female scientist from Forrester City. She is beautiful and very intelligent, stunningly gorgeous. Her face showed clear annoyance. That drunk cat uncle definitely did it on purpose, so annoying. The second prince kept emphasizing that he cannot let him use the blood demon sword, which would be like cutting off his own arm. Then I can definitely take him down in this freshman exchange tournament. The voices of those watching worldwide about the freshman exchange event of the Imperial Capital Academy will be announced as scheduled. This is a major event in Golden City ST, not a single seat empty, and the audience not only get to admire the unique styles of the students. Morin Sawat stood the host, holding a mic and shouting, and also get to meet the Grand Dukes, heads of the families. High-ranking members gather. Morin Sawat is very important when introducing the Prince His Highness, a member of the esteemed community. To everyone at this Imperial Capital Academy, today we will together admire the talents and potential of the students. He gestured toward Sandru, saying that this great agreement is under the directive of Prince Sandru, and the winner will not only receive top priority at the Imperial Capital Academy, but can also receive Prince Sandru, the best of the winner's wishes. He stood in the middle, looking at Sandru from the side, thinking that this prince is not simple at all. This is also a good thing. If he wins this match, then the Cooper family can still run faster than that. Right after, Morin Sawat began explaining the rules. The competition of this exchange meet will be divided into preliminaries and group competition. 8 eligible students will participate in the preliminaries. There will be 1-1 duels on the arena until a winner is determined. The preliminaries follow the old rules. The top 8 students will cut off the Hydra's head, pass the preliminaries, and then compete in the arena. The giant serpent with countless heads was the undying beast known as the Hydra. As soon as the host's shout ended, the match began and all participants excitedly rushed toward the beast. Within a minute, a Hydra head was slashed by pink magic, but not destroyed, making Ceylon Cooper silently realize that wasn't ordinary academy magic. That's right, the magic just now had been fired from the crossbow in that girl's hand, a female hunter he didn't recognize. Ceylon Cooper watched from a corner and quietly assessed. She was young yet already skilled in magic, and could transform into a crow. Talent likely S-rank, a newcomer from the Forest Sound family, very impressive. He sighed inwardly. This freshman exchange tournament truly had hidden dragons and crouching tigers. That girl turned into a crow and flew quickly toward the Hydra head that had just fallen. She shot like an arrow straight to the Hydra head that had just hit the ground. But at the same time, a giant axe tore through the air. Right before the crow girl flew close to the Hydra head, the axe was a step faster and slammed into the Hydra head, leaving Luna stunned. Who dared to steal the Forest family's prize? That guy laughed smugly. Thanks for the opportunity, little crow sister. The iron axe was pulled back. A blonde teenage boy, the owner of the axe, Thoradin Dark, quickly caught the Hydra head and shouted victory. Luna, still in crow form, flared with rage and fiercely flapped her wings, sending sharp spirit arrows flying toward him. Amid the tense battle, Ceylon Cooper was still hiding in a corner, gleefully commenting, "Let's see who's stronger, the Forest family kings of the Green Woods or the Delac family lords of the storm." Even though the spirit arrows fell like rain, Thoradin stood still, clutching the Hydra head tight, and even sneered. "You think these flowery tricks can break my defense?" He ran off with the Hydra head under his arm while taunting, "Careful you don't choke," making Ceylon Cooper marvel that the Dillon family was indeed famous for monstrous defense. At the same time, an announcement rang out. Thoradin Drak advanced, earning arena qualification. The news made the remaining fighters murmur in admiration. Amazing, he got it that fast. That young man seemed even more dangerous than the 5-headed dragon he'd encountered in the previous secret realm. Fortunately, the suppression barrier was in place, or he'd be very hard to deal with. At that moment, a large blue spirit orb was hurled high, startling the Hydra, accompanied by an arrogant voice. "That's just a sneak attack, watch this." The blue spirit energy surged from a fiery red-haired woman. Isaac lightly swung her scythe, cutting off a Hydra head, and declared majestically, "Don't let a northern barbarian look down on us Imperial soldiers." Ceylon Cooper was surprised to see Isaac dubbed the King of Kings appear. Those words spurred William to charge forward bravely, braving, "Kill! Kill! This is our Imperial Academy's home turf. Everyone, charge together!" He yelled a warning. "The Hydra is getting angry. Defend immediately." As the Hydra closed in on Andrea from behind, a voice rang out. "Andrea, watch out! Get back!" That voice belonged to Ceylon Cooper. He finally joined the fight, swinging his sword powerfully. He unleashed a sword strike red as fire, easily taking down the Hydra head behind Andrea. She stared wide-eyed at the Hydra head on the ground and exclaimed, Salon Cooper is incredible. He cut off a beast head with just sword energy. Meanwhile, he calmly assessed. The Hydra's strength had been suppressed to a very low level. It seemed the Academy didn't want casualties in the preliminaries. Finally, William managed to chop off a Hydra head and said, I got a little piece too. If anyone wants something, let's all do it together. Ceylon Cooper looked at a Hydra head pinned to the ground by iron chains from the suppression formation. One head remained intact, while the others had been severed. He pondered. It was rare to see a Hydra so restrained in power. Besides the head, he wanted something else. No sooner said than done. He rushed toward the beast like the wind, shouting, Andrea, Isaac, William, you guys get out first. I want to practice a bit. They had no objection, only warned, okay, be careful. After almost everyone had left, even though he could only use Blood Demon. Fortunately, his physical strength had increased enough to withstand the Hydra's attacks. Meanwhile, the beast opened its mouth to form a purple magic sphere for a counterattack. However, before it could finish, he leaped up, grabbed its head, and thought about the Hydra's fire magic. Better keep that for you to eat yourself. Then he twisted the Hydra's head lightning fast, causing its magic to blast straight back into its remaining head. At that moment, he calculated. The Hydra's ultra-fast regeneration shield had been shattered by its own strongest attack. He didn't hesitate, charging straight at the Hydra, because he knew that when all 8 heads were severed, the center head's energy would be consumed immediately to regenerate the others. He applied fire magic to his sword. Like lightning, he cut off one of the remaining side heads. Salon Cooper was certain the Hydra would now enter an extremely weakened state. He gripped the sword with both hands, leaped high, aiming for the Hydra's central head, every move carefully calculated. All he needed was to strike the Hydra with this sword. Combining the Blood Demon skill Chris had taught him to acquire the ultra-fast regeneration talent. But just as his flaming sword descended, a gate suddenly flashed open. A huge rift appeared in the sky, swallowing the Hydra's head right before his eyes. Taking advantage of his stunned moment, countless strands of black hair flew in and coiled around his limbs, accompanied by a gleeful laugh. Salon Cooper, you're still as stupid as ever. Irene controlled those strands of hair to wrap around a Hydra head and pulled it away. Salon Cooper put his hands in his pockets and arrogantly insulted him, daring to challenge the hardest head. This will only make you struggle and even cost you your final qualifying spot. Irene shouted, and Gong Kung said, why don't you kneel down and beg me? Maybe I'll give you that spot. Although wrapped all over in black hair, he showed no fear and even smirked sarcastically. Make me kneel and beg. You've got some nerve. Irene hadn't thought of that, but if you don't care about that matter, then you don't care about them either. And William's friends are the same. Isaac and Andrea thought they had escaped safely. But now Lisa's black hair, hidden underwater, caught them, tightly bound them, and lifted them up high. He was startled, quickly cut the hair that was restraining him, and angrily shouted, Irene. At the same time, the ship on top of Hydra's head also shattered. Just then, Hydra had timely regenerated with countless heads and mouths and rows of sharp teeth. It suddenly emerged from the water right behind him. He swung his blood-drenched sword forward and roared, Do you want to die? He sat cross-legged on a chair, chin in hand, watching the battle and commenting excitedly, Oh, Hydra's seal has been broken. Is that bastard of the Cooper family really seeking death? Seeing those toys in front of me, I hope more of them die, because that would be more fun. Amid a cluster of beast heads, facing him who was angrily charging to attack, Irene stood still and calmly spoke. Salon Cooper, today I want to repay all the humiliation you've inflicted on me before, and take revenge with your blood. He suddenly shouted, Lisa, go! Lisa, who was hiding underwater, swiftly controlled her jet black strands of hair to shoot upward. He lightly cut the strands of hair, but Irene gleefully declared, What I brought here is the most vicious dog of the Sana family. Looking at Lisa with her thick hair radiating oppressive demonic energy, he thought seriously. Lisa uses dark magic to weaken, debilitate, and drain life force. Fighting her will only result in continuous attrition. Because Irene was still in the middle of the Hydras, she had completely removed the seal. For some reason, he suddenly rushed toward one of Hydra's heads and plunged his sword deep into its center. Hydra immediately went mad, all of its heads furiously spewing purple fire, just as he had planned. If that's the case, then let you all face the consequences and taste Hydra's power. But Lisa quickly moved in front of Irene, raised both hands to chant a spell, and Irene sneered, Fool, do you think cutting Lisa's hair will stop her? To complete the spell, Lisa suddenly fell to the middle of the floor. Her long hair spread out everywhere. She thus transformed into a new state. The gloomy dark magic consumed the entire arena. Right after, Lisa landed and summoned 4 ferocious dark hyenas. This made him ponder. The idea about Hydra was to change it, but a bit disappointing, truly sad. He leaped high into the air, swung out a fiery sword slash that sent the dark hyenas flying toward Hydra, and he carefully calculated. After striking Hydra and drawing its power, this was a trial for it, and Hydra would surely go out of control. As for Hydra, it had just broken free from the seal, so its combat burst was limited at this moment. He needed to deal with Irene quickly. Thinking this, he seized this golden opportunity and charged toward Irene, startling her. Finally, Lisa and Irene locked eyes, and Irene would be able to move to one side. However, he only needed to be gentle and tender, so he rushed to Irene's front, and when Irene prepared for her next move, she could only do a new half-action, but it was enough to prevent her from killing him. Yet Irene still used old dirt magic on her as a moving damage, directly causing his powerful attack, which was originally aimed at her, to pierce through Lisa's body. Lisa collapsed to the ground, and William was thus freed. Hurriedly, William shouted, "Ceylon Cooper, do you need help?" Lisa was convulsing on the ground, her body writhing and crying, while he replied, "No need. You should leave the arena as soon as possible and take her with you." William loudly replied, "All right," then quickly grabbed Lisa tightly and ran off, ignoring her frantic biting of his arm. But he couldn't help crying out, "That hurts!" Then came an announcement. Isaac, number 4, Andrea, good chance to join the tournament. Number 5 is Nameless Knight, also has a chance to join. When she left the match, William had to abandon Lisa, who was trying to kill her. She tried to take her out of the field and said she didn't want to kill her, and the announcement also said that number 6 is William, the best way to win the game. He placed his hand on Lisa's head and gently explained, "But if you stay inside, it will prevent him from settling his score with Irene." William suddenly asked, "For such a scumbag, is it worth risking your life like that?" This remark made Lisa suddenly snap out of it, her cheeks blushing. In her eyes at this moment, William with his handsome face was smiling sincerely. He thus stood before her, and William gently comforted, "When we grow up and become stronger, we can protect ourselves better." He sat down beside Lisa. "I'm really happy for you. This is the qualification you've earned. I hope that in the next battlefield we'll have a chance to fight a fair match to decide the winner." Right after, an announcement sounded. Position 7, Lisa, promoted and qualified to join the arena. At the same time, inside the arena, Irene was frantically dodging Hydra's attacks and cursing in rage. "You bastard! This dog dares to betray its master!" He was simultaneously fighting against Hydra's heads and coldly asking, "Now no one is protecting you anymore, Irene. Are you ready to die?" Irene was truly deaf to reason. She casually tossed a Hydra head in her hand and loudly said, "You want to kill me? Too bad you won't have that chance today. I will be the last member to be promoted, and you are only fit to be Hydra's food." Upon hearing that, Ceylon Cooper immediately swung his sword and delivered a vicious strike. With a single sword stroke, several of the Hydra's secondary heads fell to the ground, rolling away. The young man calmly asked back, "Oh, is that so?" "Indeed. I couldn't have easily beheaded the Hydra like this. Fortunately, you had already exhausted most of its strength." He sprang high into the air, ramming the blood-soaked sword with all his might into the center of the Hydra's main head, and quickly replied, "Only then could I complete the final ritual while it was at its weakest." The Hydra crashed to the ground, blood spilling all over the earth. At that moment, the red flag beneath his feet blazed bright, and an ancient blood demon magic appeared from within the tome. This meant mixing his own blood with the monster's blood, merging them into one to create a harmonic magic. The system immediately notified him that he had acquired S-rank regeneration, instantly healing wounds and eliminating all painful side effects. Ceylon Cooper held up the beast's heart and explained further. At this point, a human can achieve ultra-high bloodline synchronization with the monster, both controlling its behavior and acquiring special skills. As soon as he finished speaking, before Irene could react, one of his arms was severed from his body, making Irene's face turn pale. He collapsed, clutching the severed arm, and roared in agony, "How dare you cut off my arm again?" When the Hydra's tail appeared, it transformed into a real tail, and Ceylon Cooper coldly replied, "Too bad, you no longer have a chance to save that tail." Because he had acquired the Hydra's A-rank item detection ability, allowing him to instantly devour the target's vitality. He pointed to the ground and coldly questioned, "As the master of the Shadow Oath, have you never personally experienced what it feels like to be a shadow?" Hearing this, Irene's face turned purple, his veins bulging with rage as he screamed madly, "So that's it, no wonder you survived until now. You think this revenge has any effect? My pain will be filled by countless shadows with their lives." Hearing that ridiculous talk, Ceylon Cooper kindly explained, "It seems you really don't understand the Shadow Realm. When a shadow takes damage for its master, it cannot be passed on to later generations. After acquiring the Hydra's regeneration talent, this level of attack does me no harm. I feel no pain. That sensation is meant for you." He raised his sharp sword, and along with his earlier words, it genuinely terrified Irene, who screamed, "No, Ceylon Cooper, you're insane. You've completely lost your mind." When the sharp sword slashes cut into his flesh, Irene could no longer be tough. He whimpered miserably in pain, "Ceylon Cooper, spare me. Even if you kill me, just kill me quickly, please." Ignoring Irene's pleas, after the final sword stroke, he turned his back and walked away. Cam still declared, "I won't let you die so easily. I'll force you to continue living a life of suffering like slime." He was both in pain and furious, because he should never have ended up in this situation. When Ceylon Cooper raised the Hydra head high, a clear announcement echoed everywhere. 8th place, Shion Cooper, promotion and qualification to enter the battlefield. Thoradin, standing on the bleachers looking down, exclaimed in admiration, "What a huge head. This is the Hydra's main head, never severed by anyone before. This person is truly strong." He smirked excitedly and arrogantly challenged, as the first promoted member of the Dillon family, possessing monstrous defensive power and the inherited secret technique of tide control. At the same time, Ceylon Cooper also looked up at Thoradin, their minds in sync as they said in unison, "I very much hope to fight you." Just as they shared that desire, the leader's messenger announced that the first battle would take place tomorrow between Thoradin and Zan. Ceylon Cooper recalled the fully arranged tournament bracket, including his match against Thoradin tomorrow, and pondered, having to face a strong opponent like Thoradin in the first match, the second prince's intentions are all too clear. On the arena, Ceylon Cooper turned around and saw Thoradin leaping to attack with an axe in each hand, but he was not afraid at all. He thought to himself, "If I want to win, I can definitely do it together with her." Thoradin swung his axe down with momentum and yelled, "Take this, brat!" But Ceylon Cooper swiftly dodged to the side, causing the axe to smash a crack in the middle of the arena. He analyzed mentally, "The power is strong, and the speed is also very fast. I can't go head to head." Without stopping, Thoradin swung his axe toward him again like lightning. This young man kept dodging relentlessly, but Ceylon Cooper was no pushover either. He nimbly slipped away from every strike. He leaped up to create distance from Thoradin, prompting the opponent to yell in frustration, "You don't dare face me directly. Are you just gonna hop around like a loach?" That's right, Ceylon Cooper immediately grabbed hold of Thoradin's axe handle. The weight made Thoradin tremble and unable to lift the axe, while Ceylon Cooper calmly pulled out the ring emitting purple magic from his hand and retorted, "Who's afraid of a direct fight? The Drank family has been famous as sea warriors since ancient times, and a true man doesn't just know how to run and use ranged weapons, right?" These words enraged Thoradin. He clenched his fist, jumped up to punch him, and roared, "Say that again." Ceylon Cooper didn't dodge but directly blocked his fist with his hand. The tremendous force caused the ground behind to explode. Yet he calmly smiled and said, "A true man with great strength wouldn't be petty." Thoradin shouted loudly, face red, "What kind of joke is this? He wants to kill you before you get a chance. He doesn't care at all." He immediately tossed his axes high into the air, spinning them in midair. When the two axes returned to Thoradin's hands, that was also when the deep purple magic surged violently from him like a tidal wave, making Ceylon Cooper carefully calculate. Unexpected, Thoradin's defense is this strong neither the stacking thorns nor the erosion can inflict a wound. Thoradin valiantly jumped up again and arrogantly declared, "Weren't you very arrogant just now? I'll make you pay for what you said." Ceylon Cooper calmly replied, "Is that so? Then I'll play with you to the end." Just as Thoradin yelled "Die!" and brought the axe down right in front of his face, Ceylon Cooper smiled and shouted, "Blood Demon, harmonic frequency freeze." Even though it was only 1 mm away, both Thoradin's body and his axe were frozen stiff in midair. He panicked and yelled, "Damn it, what did you do?" Beneath Thoradin's axe blade, Ceylon Cooper grinned with delight and taunted, "All is fair in war, kid. When your fighting spirit erupts, you must still keep your wits, or else a cunning hedgehog will find an opportunity to establish a blood link with you." Having said that, he swung his sword and slashed a magic arc that sent Thoradin's weapons flying far away. Tell him loudly to accept it obediently and stop resisting. Along with his pair of kites, Master Thoradin was sent flying, falling face first onto the cracked ground with his legs up in the air. But at that moment he was summoned. Thoradin, the dark blue and black magic dragon, appeared in the sky. A giant blue dragon quickly flew out from the magic formation. That was the A-rank star element dragon named Fiza, capable of using wind and ice magic. At the same time, Ceylon Cooper quickly analyzed in his mind. Fiza, famous for speed and freezing ability, was somewhat incompatible with Thoradin, who had an erratic personality. Fiza immediately spat out an ice pillar, Thoradin used that opportunity to proceed, but he did not intend to end the match today. Seeing the situation, Chris frowned and said, "The Academy rules do not allow summoning spirit beasts in the arena. This is unfair to Ceylon Cooper." Morin Sawat heard that and quickly stuck his head out to defend. "Rules are rules, but Thoradin is a dragon knight, so he is exempt. And if you disagree, Ceylon Cooper can also summon one." Ceylon Cooper looked pleased, quietly clapping for this utterly sycophantic defense. Back in the arena, Thoradin controlled Fiza to spit an ice key pillar while arrogantly shouting, "See who can escape now." Large spheres surrounded Ceylon Cooper in the middle, his face worried as he tried to calm down and thought, "It would be very disadvantageous to keep consuming like this. I must find an opportunity to attack the opponent." Right at this moment, Thoradin with bright eyes raised the kite in his hand, arrogantly declared, "Today I will show you the strongest attack of a dragon knight. We will be back shortly." Ceylon Cooper sat on the presiding seat praising Thoradin as indeed the most talented dragon knight of the Dellen Claw family. Thoradin's father quickly stuck his head out to flatter, thanking the second prince for the compliment, saying, "Thoradin is my most proud son. He is the only person in Delank village in 100 years to have a dragon clan, using Fiza to connect with the villagers and the power of thunder." Fiza spat out an ice key pillar accompanied by sparks of lightning, shooting straight down onto the arena floor, causing the ground to crack. Thoradin's father proudly affirmed that he would lead the Dilink family and the Dragon clan to a glorious future. Thoradin arrogantly spoke, "Dying under such a powerful thunder strike is an honor for you." However, in the past, one person still lived and even had the ability to use S-rank magic, able to use all kinds of magic such as air, smoke, fire, and smoke. Ceylon Cooper coldly said, "Don't get too cocky so soon." The audience buzzed with discussion. Why is there another dragon? Could it be that Ceylon Cooper is also a dragon knight? Thoradin's father and he simultaneously exclaimed in shock, "That is a demon dragon. Is that the legendary extinct demon dragon?" He put his hands on his hips and smiled, thinking to himself that only a natural disaster could help the demon dragon upgrade its abilities. In the previous life, Irene received a demon dragon, but could not evolve it. The demon dragon evolves into Thunder Flame, a rare SS rank species that can use 3 magic attributes, wind, thunder, and fire simultaneously. Today, that demon dragon has potential for success. Its future development will be great. Ceylon Cooper commanded, "Go ahead, show me your new abilities." The demon dragon quickly spat out a stream of ice thunder ki, immediately shooting toward Thoradin, causing him to fall over and shout, "Impossible, it can't be like this." The demon dragon stomped heavily on the ground. Ceylon Cooper immediately appeared before Thoradin. The demon dragon has an S-rank thunder kill attack skill, able to use thunder power to instantaneously move over short distances. He spoke, "Thoradin, the winner of this match is me." Ceylon Cooper swung his sword, and the demon dragon also opened its mouth to form a magic sphere. He clearly affirmed, "It can only be me." The electric current was returned fully to Thoradin, shocking him until he was burnt black. Ceylon Cooper calmly reminded, "The referee can announce the result now." He rode the demon dragon, looking down at the cheering audience, and joyfully asked himself, "So this is the feeling of standing under the sunlight, the glory that a shadow never deserved to obtain?" Right at this moment, Thoradin's father unexpectedly jumped from the stands onto the arena floor, his face furious, shouting accusations. "You are the thief who stole my family's treasure." He stood on Thoradin's side and 2 kites quickly flew back to Thoradin's hands. Using that strong and fast flight momentum, he put all his strength into striking the pair of kites, causing them to launch into the air, aiming directly at Ceylon Cooper on the dragon's back. Thoradin's father screamed in resentment, "Give the demon dragon back to me." But before he could, the demon dragon reacted. Ceylon Cooper lifted his face high, with a dark demeanor and sharp eyes coldly gritted out, "Your demon dragon?" He calmly sat on the dragon's back, commanding the demon dragon to fiercely charge and attack him. He even didn't forget to throw a sarcastic remark at Thoradin's father, "This shameless old man. Today I'll show you how reality clearly is. In this world, there are only weapons and magic. The demon dragon knight is the one who fights against the strongest." Later, in order to use the abilities of all demon dragons in one battle, the old king killed all demon dragons in a war, and the demon dragon egg was created within crystal. The key was divided into 2 parts. The Cooper family and Isaac each hold 1 part. Thoradin's father sat on the ground looking at the dragon before him and shouted, "The demon dragon guard has not been destroyed. That's too good." But unfortunately it accepted a cunning person as its master. He thought dragons are the most loyal creatures. A dragon that has accepted a master will not betray, and if forced to abandon, it will only stimulate it to commit suicide. Thoradin's father angrily asked, "You rotten brat, where did you get this last demon dragon. Does it have any siblings? In his heart, he calculated that if the Dylan family obtained the demon dragon, they would surely top the 7 hereditary families. Salon Cooper answered, "It is the last demon dragon remaining in the world. The remaining demon dragon eggs were ordered destroyed by someone else." Hearing this, Thoradin's father was stunned. "What? Who gave the order?" He approached, waving his hand at him. Leaning close to his hand, he said, "Who doesn't want to see the Durang family return to its most glorious period? Sometimes what you receive in exchange for submission is not necessarily protection." He realized something. The second prince. Why would he? Salon Cooper said that only a dragon that has completely lost its fangs is best to manage, isn't it? At the same time, he landed next to William and said, "William, your opponent is the forest family of the invading bloodline. What they do best is leverage the environment to create an advantage for themselves. Therefore, he must quickly close in and unleash his strongest moves to achieve a swift victory. Otherwise, he'll fall into a passive position." Luna immediately jumps down onto the arena floor to face him. William charges in with the Imperial Sword Art, charge, shouting, "Luna, take this." Luna nimbly responds with ice arrows. This pleases Salon Cooper. He watches the match intently, noticing that Luna still can't handle William's powerful attack, but the opponent will soon counterattack. At this moment, the best move is to use Luna's attack to break free from the vines, taking advantage of the slow reaction time after her technique to quickly close in and counterattack. William continues with the Imperial Sword Art, explosive strike, and Salon Cooper is disappointed. William chooses to counter this attack again, even though the explosive energy could help him escape from the vine's shackles. But before he could think, he unleashes another move, Imperial Sword Art, swallows counter. William attacks continuously. Imperial Sword Art, Storm Rush, Imperial Sword Art, Thrust. Watching his fighting style, Salon Cooper concludes that he is exhausting too much stamina. Luna is very agile, easily dodging William's attacks while still firing arrows. He uses the Imperial Sword Art to counterattack. Salon Cooper realizes, if William cannot defeat his opponent with this technique, then he will be in danger later. William swings his sword, creating a streak of light like a bridge spanning the horizon. Seeing this, he already knows the outcome. William has lost. After the strike ends, all he sees is an empty piece of land. Where did she go? Luna appears from nowhere beside William, her sword against his back. It's the Imperial Sword Art. William is surprised. "How did you do that? Why couldn't I escape? Something is strange." William's entire body emits a blue light while Luna is ready to finish him off. Salon Cooper senses trouble. Something is wrong with William's condition. Could it be due to excessive stamina consumption from the previous match? No, it's the effect of a special plant. It turns out that from the start, Luna had planted Amanita muscaria spores inside the thorns of the small plant. Amanita muscaria is a type of mushroom that releases hallucinogenic spores. When the vines are destroyed, the Amanita muscaria is also destroyed. In the end, William inhales a large amount of spores, causing him to fall into a state of delirium. William plants his sword into the ground and declares forcefully, "So this is Luna's hidden trump card? Then, let me take back the victory in this duel." Luna delivers a blow that sends him flying out, and the result is clear. William is thrown outside the boundary. Luna wins. Salon Cooper runs over anxiously. "Who are you? What do you want with William?" While delirious, William is lifted by the shadow following him, and he murmurs, "William, save." Salon Cooper is puzzled. Since when did those two have such a good relationship? Did Lisa really catch William faster than he did? How strange. Why save someone and then run away like that? Andrea is treating William, angrily scolds, "That Miss Luna is too vicious." There's a strange hallucinogenic energy inside William's body. I can't wake him up from that kind of energy. Salon Cooper turns to Lisa and says, "I have a way, but I need your help. Can you use dark magic to give William a small electric shock? He needs to wake up as soon as possible." After a while, William wakes up and mutters, "Why didn't she say thank you?" He turns to Salon Cooper, then looks at Lisa. "Thanks, Lisa." This makes her blush. She runs away. After the teasing, he wonders, why did she see me and then run off? Andrea suddenly speaks. "Just now, when Lisa's and my magic entered William's body, I accidentally saw Lisa's memories. Earlier she couldn't protect Alan, and now she saved William. I'm afraid the Poison Lord will punish Lisa. Don't worry, Lisa still has the next arena match, so that mistress won't be crazy enough to attack Lisa right now." Just as he said, Lisa is scolded by her master, the Dark Mistress. "You useless thing. Not only did you fail to protect your master, but you also want to show off on the arena." She continuously torments and beats her, even shouting, "You're worse than a dog." Lisa, small girl with big round eyes, looking up in shock. The Sana family is famous for their dark magic. Every year they go around collecting abandoned children and bring them into the family's dark temple. She leads a golden dog and other children follow along. After that, she has to witness the other children being turned into monsters, born from the pain and suffering inflicted by the Sana family. The Sana family relentlessly destroys their last psychological defenses and erases their humanity. Some children found ways to escape the mutual physical torture. Lisa used Medusa on herself to deal with the other children. She was just a lucky girl who survived, and afterward had to become a tool for the Sana family. At this moment, Lisa is tied with ropes, kneeling on the ground with many cuts on her body, but Hia still isn't satisfied. She curses, "As a loyal dog of the Sana house, have you forgotten how much Sana spent to raise you?" She holds a weapon that looks like an iron chain and shouts, "Your body, your soul, everything about you must be ready to sacrifice for your master at any time." One of the weapons presses against Lisa's face. She says, "If you cannot protect your master's body, then your hands will be cut off." Looking up with clear eyes, Lisa whispers, "It was I who failed the mission and couldn't protect the young master Alan." Then she bows her head low and accepts her guilt. "Please punish me, master." Of course, a monkey will bring red light along with a loud shout. Flames blaze through her hand, causing Hia to drop her weapon, then embedded itself into the wall behind her. Salon Cooper both laughed and grit his teeth in anger, while Andrea beside him saw the situation and gasped, covering her mouth, "Madam, this is the Imperial Academy. She is not something you can bully." Salon Cooper raised his hand, revealing a skull ring, and shouted, "After that incident, I couldn't find a chance to attack you. I never expected you to be stupid enough to deliver yourself to me." Then he raised his hand and placed it on top of his head. At the same time, on Lisa's neck and chest, a green curse mark appeared, and the person sneered, "You will be like this dog, always chained by dark magic, living worse than death, only kneeling at my feet begging." On this side, Salon Cooper laughed wildly and mocked, "It seems Youngmaster Allen hasn't told you yet that shadow oath the Cooper family planted in my body earlier had a little problem. Now Allen has become my shadow." Hearing that, Hia roared in anger, "You bastard, despicable. How dare you do that to him? You deserve to die." But the person, paying no attention to Lisa standing on the ground, said, "You'd better pray for me to live long. Otherwise, poor Alan will have to endure all the pain for me." Then he approached, bent one leg and sat down, lifting Lisa's head. Seeing this, Hia screeched, "What's this? You think you've betrayed the family. Now you want to take this dog away as an act of mercy?" Suddenly, she grabbed Lisa's hair, forcing her head back. "Look closely. She will never escape the control of the Sana family for her whole life. Not everyone is foolish enough to raise a white-eyed wolf like you." One of them, Lisa murmured, begging the master to punish. At the same time, Heir conjured a sharp weapon with red energy. Behind him was a red demon with sharp claws, saying, "You people never care about others' lives." Then she continued, "Salon Cooper, don't be impulsive. If you dare lay a hand on a noble, the second prince will take the opportunity to revoke its commoner status." Of course, Andrea was still standing behind, waving her staff and shooting golden energy toward the green magic on Lisa's neck. Angrily, "I have seen Lisa's memories. Just awaken the warmest memories to help her break free from the control of dark magic." A moment later, after seeing Lisa open her eyes, she hurriedly asked, "Lisa, can you hear me?" Reminding her that the arena competition was still ongoing, meaning if she won, she could stay at the Imperial Academy. Before the image of William smiling appeared, Lisa said vaguely, "I will have a chance to fight him fair and square and decide the outcome." Her eyes gradually focused, Lisa murmured, "The match." Then she gripped the magic ring on her neck, trembling, and heard a voice in her ear, "As long as you successfully escape this prison today, from that moment on you will be completely free." At the same time, Heir furiously used the skull ring against the green energy, shouting, "You things under the stars, how dare you dream of breaking the chains? I will make your soul suffer. You won't dare to disobey a single word." But at this moment, Lisa was also struggling against her mother's magic and couldn't die like this. Then Lisa stood up, her face turned into a head, and she had to face him with her own face. Then she quietly ran out the door, saying, "I promised him, I can't lose my life here." Lisa, dazed, just plunged forward, mumbling, "Must not die." Of course she was in William's hands while his wife's face loomed above. He was so kind that he didn't intervene, couldn't help her, didn't come to her aid. Meanwhile, he knelt on all fours on the floor, staring at the shattered skull ring. "Don't you be arrogant. Even if Lisa breaks free from the dark magic's restraint, she is still the private property of the Sana family. None of you can take her away." The dean, accompanied by Oliver, stood right at the door and said, "Lisa is the winner of the competition, not the private property of any family." Hearing that, Hia frowned with disdain and denied, "Unfortunately, once the freshman exchange event ends, the academy will no longer be able to provide her with protection." This remark made the dean angrily radiate a fierce aura and ask, "What if she becomes my student? Would the Sana family offend me for you?" Lady Cooper, a member who married out. Getting nowhere, Heir left in a huff. Then Ceylon Cooper turned back and said, "Thank you, Dean, for stepping in to help." The Dean replied politely, "This is what William was trying to beg me for. As a teacher, I must always meet the needs of my students." Ceylon Cooper thought, Sarah Lund William has already convinced the Dean. It seems he cares a lot about Lisa. Then a voice rang out, "William, I'll entrust Lisa to your care." At that moment, he was holding Lisa while Andrea used healing magic, so he asked in confusion, "Why? This is really inconvenient. Why not Andrea?" Then the other person said, "Be careful. Don't wake her up now." At the same time, Lisa's face turned bright red with embarrassment, and she buried her head in William's chest. A moment later, Ceylon Cooper came over and patted Oliver on the shoulder, saying, "Thank you for your hard work, Teacher Oliver. The successful rescue of Lisa today was thanks to you telling me the location of this secret basement." Hanta bowed his head, thinking about the match rankings of the contestants, and mentioned another matter. After the previous time when Dean George was invited by me, Lisa's representative from the Sana family gave up her rights, and Morin Sod announced that Lady Andrea would be automatically promoted. Then Oliver tried to think about Isaac's enemy, recalling that she had to throw her weapon in front of the enemy, and in another team, Isaac was fighting an unknown soldier. Finally, Oliver told him that the unknown singer was very close to Isaac, but was not injured at all, and he used numbers that a teacher with many years of experience could not understand. Suddenly he shouted, "Now it's your turn to enter the arena. If you don't make it in time, the second prince will directly cancel your qualification." In one place, Morin Sawat shouted in a low voice to make a decision about his team. If he didn't leave the board, he would be able to make the next decision. 3-2. Naturally, a jade-green lightning bolt struck the microphone in Morin Sawat's hand, making him break out in a cold sweat from fear. On this side, after standing on the back of a magic dragon that was still gently inspecting within the canopy, he crossed his arms and taunted, "Morin Sawat, you people are really impatient. Lady Luna, we can begin now." Then he spread his arms to control the dragon to lower its head and fly down. Immediately, Luna raised her weapon and shouted, "Then take this." She fired an arrow made of blue magic. On this side, the magic dragon opened its mouth and used a thunder flame roar to strike directly at Luna, along with Ceylon Cooper's shout, "I will go for a quick victory, and won't give you a chance to repeat your old tricks. I must be rude then." On the floor, Luna blushed in embarrassment, using her hands to cover the exposed parts caused by her clothes being torn by the magic dragon's fire, and stammered, "Damn it, that move was really cool." At the same time, Morin Sawat's voice loudly announced Luna's fall from the arena after the victory. On this side, he rubbed his head while listening to him announce, "Because the magic dragon's thunder flame is too domineering, His Highness the Second Prince and the Academy leaders have unanimously decided that contract beasts will be banned from the arena." He thought to himself, "The Academy always treats me fairly, huh?" Then, Morin Sawat looked at the list and announced that the next person after Andrea would face Vozen. Meanwhile, Ceylon Cooper leisurely walked forward, his blood boiling, moving toward Andrea, who was listening to Cassidon's reminders. Cassidon said, "Andrea, the guy across from you has an extremely twisted defensive ability. Isaac couldn't hurt him, so don't show any mercy when you strike." Turning away, Cassidon spat bitterly, "You little brat, instead of making peace, take Andrea's place." However, Ceylon Cooper simply encouraged, "Andrea, be careful. If you're in danger, give up and leave the rest to me." He looked at the masked man holding a large sword. At that moment, the girl thanked Ceylon Cooper and said, "Then I'll go up now. But perhaps this name is someone. I've never heard of a character like this before." Then Andrea also gave her a blazing red hue. "Look at this. Smooth ice crystals, Toto lightning, and the moist stone." Cassidon sweated, his eyes wide with admiration. "I never expected Andrea to use 3 types of high-level attack magic at the same time, but that name is really cute." At the same time, all 3 energy sources simultaneously surged toward the nameless knight. However, they only passed through a thin protective membrane and vanished before reaching him. Leonard Richard remarked, "Your attacks are useless against me." Ceylon Cooper whispered in confusion, "How can the attacks disappear so absurdly? If all the elemental magical energy is devoured, then, of course, the one who once descended to the house and formed a small group of people who could help her." Suddenly, someone shouted a warning, "Andrea, be careful, this guy is about to use a big move." On the other side, Leonard pointed his sword to the sky, creating a giant tornado heading towards Andrea from above. Ceylon Cooper shouted, "Pull back." He thought, So it's wind magic. Not only can it devour energy, but it also uses the wind to counterattack. Salon Cooper caught Andrea and landed on the ground, staring ahead as he silently evaluated. And to be able to instantly kill and win, this guy's strength is even greater than the other participants. At the same time, Morin Sawat commented, Andrea has been swept out of the arena. The nameless knight wins. When the tornado dissipated, Morin announced, in the final match, Salon Cooper will duel the nameless knight to see who takes the ultimate victory. The winner will become the new chairman of Dedo, and if you are a student, you will follow him for the upcoming time at school. Morin Sawat emphasized, the one who will lead us in the future is Salian, the loser expelled from the clan. Hearing this, George's group murmured, him? A loser like him? Is he worthy? Your lucky brat ends here. Then Morin Sawat said, he is a mysterious knight, can do that with one move. Then Leonard spoke loudly when he heard the audience call him a noisy guy. As for Salon Cooper, he observed his surrounding. Finally, Morin Sawat shouted, the match begins. Salon Cooper and Leonard faced each other, their eyes blazing red. He said, you are the strongest enemy I have ever met, but today victory belongs only to me. Then, Salon Cooper erupted in blazing red flames, launching into the sky to clash with Leonard's blue tornado. He yelled, I will cut off your camouflaged armor and sever the prejudice of those arrogant people against this loser. With that, Leonard looked towards him with dreamy eyes. He said, it's been a long time, let's go. Salon Cooper slashed out a sword strike carrying red fire, wondering, is this what devoured Andrea's attack? Sarah Lund seems more like a weapon that relies on devouring magic to accumulate energy rather than a skill. Watching his attack from one side, Leonard said, can that happen to me? Very interesting. Of course, Leonard radiated eerie yellow energy, strengthening the shield, causing Salon Cooper's sword slashes to only leave small cuts. He sneered, let me see if you can really break it. Then, Leonard stepped forward in front of Salon Cooper, his eyes blazing red, saying, stop struggling in vain. You cannot break my absolute defense. At the end of the day, his body will be punished for the crime of killing him. Then he simply smiled, eyes cold and sharp, raising his finger to the gem, and a few blazing red drops of blood appeared around Leonard's corner. He laughed loudly, questioning, do you really think you are a lofty judge? Look closely. The passion in my body has not been swept away by your wind. Nothing based on this material will have a blind spot or a fatal point. Then he stomped his foot on the floor, causing the boiling red liquid, blood-soaked lava, to use blood to build the lava domain, doubling the power and speed of the bloodline swordsman. The blood droplets seemed alive as they flew up together towards one place. Salon Cooper stated, the others couldn't penetrate your defense, or their attacks were simply not strong enough. Then, the blood droplets flowed towards Leonard's protective membrane, and he added, or the attacks weren't dense enough. Then Salon Cooper thrust his sword into the yellow-white membrane, taunting, I want to see how much more of my blood demon you can devour. But after a moment, the membrane still showed no signs of cracking. Leonard remained a big guy, his face like that of someone with enough power to be your enemy. Then he waved his hand and conjured a blue-yellow spell like a storm on the East Bow Sea, saying, come on, then let's fight fair and square. With blazing red eyes, he sneered, fight fair and square. How ridiculous. I told you all, you lofty nobles. Don't look down on blood demon swordsmen who live in the shadows. When Leonard pulled his sword out of the ground, the surrounding blood threads shattered and sprayed onto his body and blade. Leonard stood inside the yellow protective sphere, shocked. At this moment, a pool of red lava appeared inside the sphere. He couldn't believe it, but while I was blocking the attack from above, he already set up the blood demon below. Suddenly, Salon Cooper charged in with his sword and shattered the yellow protective membrane. He shouted, arrogant knight, show me your true face hidden beneath that mask. Leonard grabbed the blade of Salon Cooper's sword and spoke, you are still the first to hold a sword to my throat. Then he transformed into two white figures, saying, the outcome is still unclear. Don't celebrate too soon. The two angels are weapons that can kill attack continuously and have no value for DQ. The shield form surrounded him with super strong wind force, creating a defensive layer. No, Salon Cooper is stable and absolute. Immediately, Salon Cooper stepped back, holding his sword horizontally to block Leonard's wind force, thinking, so it's a pair of angel wings. This guy is not simple. Leonard spread his angel wings that perfectly fit his physique, increasing his strength and speed while absorbing sword energy from the surrounding wind. When he had accumulated enough, the sword energy burst out powerfully, forcing his opponent to exclaim that this was his true strength. Such a pity. Salon Cooper also created a pair of blood-colored wings, sword into the air and taunted, "Then I won't give you a chance to breathe." He was forced to use his hands to block, but every move became difficult. Then he knocked Salenza's sword high into the air, continuously pushing back his opponent. Facing him, he smiled faintly and replied, "If you're so good, then come at me." After that, the two clashed in battle, their hands drawing red and yellow lines. Leonard came up with a plan. In a corner, Chris wondered suspiciously, "Aren't those weapons and techniques the ones I taught? But why is he here?" Mid-battle, Salon Cooper flew up and swung his sword straight at Leonard. The strength of both shattered the ground beneath their feet. On the second prince's side, Moran Sawat approached and whispered something that made him laugh smugly. "I can't believe he dared to barge in here. Moran Sawat, our secret group is ready. Today is the day this nameless knight dies." At this moment, he held his sword with both hands pointed forward, admitting that his opponent's swordsmanship was no less than his own, even stronger with each encounter, and wondered why that was. Flying high, Salon Cooper explained, "You think the blood demon is just a trap?" At the same time, his wings turned into red tentacles that plunged into the ground, regenerating at extreme speed. Salon Cooper's blood-colored lava and blood energy created a field, establishing a link that sensed every movement on the arena and provided power. Immediately, he spread his wings, summoned sword blades from golden energy, and exclaimed, "So that's it. Then I just need to drain all your blood energy." The storm sword had the ability to absorb sword energy within a storm, turning into countless sword shadows for long-range attacks. On the other side, after they clasped hands, he formed a blood net from his fingers and sneered, "I told you, don't underestimate the power of the blood demon swordsman." When Leonard reached his hand over the edge of the island, a giant monster creature appeared and looked down. He laughed delightedly. "Go ahead, let's see who is stronger in this battle between light and darkness." The swords pierced through the giant blood body, shooting straight towards Salon Cooper behind it. Leonard sneered, "At this point, you still think you can die easily?" Hearing that, Salon Cooper frowned then smiled. At the same time, the blood monster exploded, spraying pools of blood that hit Leonard, startling him. Salon Cooper laughed, "The one struggling is you." Then the monster's blood transformed into something smaller. Leonard's blood heated up, and he angrily shouted, "What have you done?" Salon Cooper controlled the blood energy into threads that tightly wrapped around Leonard's wings, saying, "It's useless. The blood energy is a living organism. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets. Let's see how many cards you have left." Suddenly, he took out a gray bone arm, the Death Spirit Hand, the original weapon of the Lisa family, which naturally counters all living skills. It is an S-grade dark cursed weapon, a classic treasure of the Empire. In that instant, it was used to destroy the enemy, turning everything into deathly hues. That was Leonard's voice, the reason why he could not abandon this weapon. When the blood energy in the air froze into black soil, he stepped out, approached Salon Cooper, and said, "In this battle, if it were just based on strength, you would have already won." The second prince was worried, sweat on his forehead, thinking, "No, clearly he actively showed kindness to me. But why do I sense a more dangerous aura?" Suddenly, a hidden weapon flew swiftly toward the arena. Dan launches a weapon cloaked in black energy, making someone cry out in alarm. "Watch out!" Salon Cooper quickly uses a blood-red rope to coil around Leonard, pulling him inches away from that weapon, and silently deduces, "How can there be an ambush of this scale at the Imperial Academy? The identity of the mastermind behind this and the enemies before us are both far from ordinary." At the same time, Leonard's mask falls off, revealing his true face. It turns out he is Leonard Richard, the Crown Prince, the King of Kings, the Supreme Ruler. The king had heard that he was deeply beloved, but when standing before the army facing his enemies, he was afraid of death. At this moment, looking at the group of black-clad figures appearing from nowhere, he suddenly realizes, perhaps he died because of the constant assassination attempts by the nobles. Moran Sawat shouts, "Assassins! Capture the assassins! Everyone, prioritize protecting the second prince's safety!" Meanwhile, Leonard calmly raises his undead hand, emitting a blue-black energy toward the black-clad figures. It's these lingering spirit seekers again. In the blink of an eye, they are turned into shattered earth and stone in midair. Leonard comments coldly, "Once they catch a scent, they bite down and never let go." After that, he continues to use his ability to summon any weapon in the world, and countless weapons appear in his hands. Leonard roars, "All rebels who dare to plot the assassination of a member of the royal family must die." On this side, Salon Cooper also summons the magic dragon, which opens its mouth and unleashes thunder and lightning toward the people below, stirring up a dense cloud of dust and smoke. He thinks that if he can suppress this assassination, he will make an ally of the first prince. and then no longer have to worry about being bullied by the second prince. Salon Cooper waves his hand and uses magic to turn the black-clad figures into white bones, thinking to himself, since my rebirth, I haven't had a chance to go on a killing spree. Today, I'll show you how fearsome the god of death from my past life really is. Then he transforms half of his body into a form radiating red fire energy, while the other half crackles with blue lightning, his eyes burning with rage. Tula appears and blood flows like a river. After that, the scene becomes incredibly chaotic, with enemies being wiped out in droves. Over on the other side, Leonard is no slouch either, shouting, "Destroy them!" The two of them stand back to back, as the black-clad assassins surround them from all sides. Leonard hovers high above, holding a purple orb staff, looking down at the assassins lying scattered on the ground, and yells, "How dare a firefly's light compete with the brightness of the moon?" Davis wields the eternal astral staff, the magic staff of the first patriarch of many houses, capable of unleashing magic that can destroy even the stars. Meanwhile, after commanding the magic dragon to release lightning, he shouts, "I'll show you the true power of the Thunder Flame Dragon." Suddenly, three people try to attack him from behind, but Salon Cooper whips out a scarlet blood rope to strike them down, sneering, "Such despicable assassination tactics, truly a bunch of amateurs." On the other side, Leonard pulls out a purple scythe and cleaves two foes in half, bellowing, "You will pay with your lives for the crime of treason." The blood scythe of the first generation of the Isaac family has the ability to eliminate enemies over a wide area, bypassing all defenses. And of course, a volley of arrows is already flying toward them. One arrow is aimed directly at Leonard's leg to strike. Then flesh and blood splatter into the air, accompanied by cries of agony. But Leonard is not injured at all. He used a blood magic barrier just before the arrow touched him, then warns, "Be careful of dangers from behind." After that, he raises his hand and hears Leonard say, "Data says it's time to end all of this now." At the same time, a person is encircled by jade green energy and turns into a white skeleton. In the end, Salon Cooper stands opposite Leonard, with no trace of the assassins left around them. Over by the second prince, he holds a dagger, cutting the blood on his arm that holds a golden magic circle, thinking, "Leonard, today you will surely die." This is sacrificial alchemy, sacrificing a large amount of flesh and blood to refine creations that can shake heaven and earth. And at the bottom of the battle, the outcome for Salon Cooper and Leonard isn't necessarily a bad thing. Then, a few people try to fix things and continue, while Leonard's weapons gradually begin to disintegrate. When the user's strength is insufficient, all equipment will be discarded. Then, suddenly, some kind of liquid is splashed directly into his face. Salon Cooper speaks up to explain, "A potion that can suppress the angel wings. Looks like the person behind this knows a lot about that day." Leonard covers his face, thinking, "Damn it, I've got no strength left in my body." But he overlooks a monster crawling up behind him. Amid the thick smoke, the magic dragon hovers above Salon Cooper's head. He emerges completely unharmed, holding a sword, and boasts, "If I hadn't shown up today, the first prince might have been assassinated, just like in his past life. What a pity, isn't it?" Extremely rapid regeneration, regenerating into the flesh and blood of a hydra, immune to all poisons. Then the magic dragon spews thunderous flames, a highly yang force that can dispel toxic mist magic. Naturally, a sand worm, the outer shell of a mysterious monster immune to magic, feeding on flesh and blood, rears its head to attack the two. Salon Cooper shouts, "Watch out!" He shoves Leonard away just as the sandworm lunges, thinking its outer shell is immune to magic and the first prince is weakened by poison right now. "I can't let it get close," he commands. "Magic Dragon Lightning Flame," and orders the dragon to dive down. Instantly, the magic dragon attacks the sandworm with its claws, relying on its enormous weight to deliver the strongest physical strike. After analysis, the sandworm's shell is immune to magic, so it needs a direct magical attack on its body. Next, the magic dragon opens its mouth and shoots lightning into the sandworm's head. The breath of the magic dragon line condenses, releasing temporary magic to create the strongest magical attack. Salon Cooper praises, "Beautifully done." Following the motion of his hand, the magic dragon also crashes to the ground. A scythe falls to the ground before him, and Salon Cooper is terrified. Hector shouts, "Salon Cooper, do you dare to openly attack a member of the royal family?" Leonard says to Salon Cooper, "It's because of you and your friend. You are the one responsible for this tournament. Why did you attack the team like that?" Salon Cooper raised his bleeding arm to defend himself, saying this assassination was far too dangerous. Even someone as heavily girded as himself was affected, and he swore to investigate thoroughly and show no mercy to the mastermind. A moment later, Leonard sat in the chair and declared that thanks to Salon Cooper, according to royal law, anyone who saves the life of a royal family member would be granted a noble title. Then he looked at Sandro and said he must compensate Salon Cooper and also take responsibility for the assassination, which infuriated Sandro, but all he could do was cry. Suddenly, this young man stepped on the motionless monster, thinking about the relationship between the sandworm and the alchemy holder truly surprising. Then he bowed to Leonard to express gratitude, while mentioning that the second prince could achieve the final thing in the tournament. With sharp cold eyes he asked, "Within the scope of my power, what do you want?" Then cursed inwardly, "Damn it, I was going to use this as bait to get the winner to work for me." But Leonard moved first to bribe Salon Cooper. Over here, he glared and demanded to take the Silverbone Marsh of the Cooper family as the fiefdom for a viscount title. Hearing that, Leon frowned in annoyance and cursed, "Salon Cooper, you really are a shamelessly greedy hyena. The size of a fief directly represents power and status, the most important thing for a family." Then Leonard said he saw Salon Cooper was very upset. "What's wrong? The king wants to talk to him, but there's nothing worth mentioning about it." After that, he looked at Salon Cooper and said that if he didn't side with him, he would have to use other means to bring him to his faction in Odedo. Right then, he thought of the purple crystals, muttering that everyone knew that land had black gold veins, and he had spent great effort to get the king's promise. He could not let that fall into the hands of the opposition. That was completely unacceptable. In the mine, workers were extracting purple crystals and black gold, materials with extremely high magical properties, essential ingredients for high-grade magical artifacts, incredibly valuable. That black gold was actually charcoal coal. A person looked at the broken piece of black gold on the table. Items made from black gold had quite intelligent properties and could not be easily bypassed. They were a kind of super consumption item but still became famous and a symbol of status. At this moment, the arena still emitted a hazy smoke full of gunpowder smell. Leonard looked at Salon Cooper and said that he had thought of that. Then he mentioned Mokyun Ridge. Damn it, he had no choice but to relent. "On behalf of the Cooper family, I will hand over the Silverbone Marsh to Salon Cooper." Therefore, Leon was very satisfied. He was the best person to swallow the Cooper family whole, but he never expected to be betrayed by him. Pressed by his oppressive aura, the young man calmly thought about the strongest shadow from his previous life. Back then, the Cooper family rewarded him with the Frost Marsh. Then he knew about the gray crystals and muttered that a new type of mithril had been found in the Bone Marsh. This material was more expensive than red gold, so Cooper had another opportunity to seize the city. Leon flared green energy, suppressing Salon Cooper's orange energy, saying that every inch of the Cooper family's land was bought with blood, and unless he could withstand his attacks for 15 minutes without falling, the family would not hand the Silver Bone Marsh over to a traitor. Immediately, he agreed, determined to win the Silver Bone Marsh this time, something that rightfully belonged to him. Of course, a giant monster in the darkness. That was the Wrath Giant, merging the monster's power into the sword, and when wielding the sword, it was no less than the monster. Then Leon swung his sword, releasing sword energy so blinding that he had to realize the difference in himself. Over here, after parrying with his sword, "I swear by my soul on what was said and used. Blood flame will burn all the blood in the body, breaking limits to form supreme defense." Then he glared with determination, "I will definitely do it." These words made Leon startle, remembering the image of his younger self saying the same. "I will definitely lead the family to regain glory." Then he said to me, "Do you think a little life-draining magic can stop you?" Leon and the Wrath Giant bickered, saying without the first-generation Blood Demon sword weapon, no Blood Demon swordsman lived more than 10 years. At this moment, Leonard happily took out a black box containing the scabbard of the first-generation Blood Demon sword. Master Cooper said that the dazzling demon scabbard couldn't stop the Blood Demon sword spirit. Then he came to Salon Cooper's side and said the time was 15 minutes. Cooper should prepare. Treasures are given to heroes, and this scabbard will be given to you. Thank you for saving my life and showing me a wonderful duel. He grabbed the dazzling demon scabbard, closed his eyes and expressed, "Thank you, First Prince." Then he opened the door and said, "In a moment I want a tree bearing my name by my side." A while later, the young man walked through the academy corridor. Oliver said that the upper floors were investigating assassin accomplices and blocking entry. If he wanted to find a training place, he would have to come here. He asked how to register for a high-level training room here, a place always showing full status. Of course, ahead, 2 male students were grabbing a girl's hair, yelling that she looked like an assassin's accomplice, forcing her to strip for inspection. Oliver explained that the high-level training rooms were occupied by Noble Alliance students, who used their noble status to run rampant in the academy. Suddenly, from a nearby room, someone was thrown flying out, startling the 2 bullies into releasing the girl. Then they turned their heads, helped the beaten person up, and ran away, shouting, "Just wait, I'll call people to deal with you." Suddenly, swordsman Chippy and Gron came out of that room, waving, "Get lost quickly." Then they saw Oliver and King Ho, and one answered, "This is Ceylon Cooper. We need to borrow a high-level training room." Chippy leaned in and asked Oliver if he could start. "You're Ceylon Cooper, the winner of the freshman exchange competition. You're also tough for daring to go head-to-head with the second prince. Well done. So this training room is yours to use freely," he replied. "Thank you both." Then the young man entered the room. Chippy and Gron waved goodbye. A moment later, he turned around, spread his arms, and asked Oliver to slash him, making him startled. "I really don't understand you. But you also have to get past a corner," and he explained that it was a large part of the body. If he wanted to escape the body's protection, the only way was to do so. Then a green glow appeared on his chest. He said that now he had the Hydra's rapid regeneration ability. Relying on youthful blood and continuous recovery, he could slowly eliminate the blood demon's influence from his body. After Ceylon Cooper finished his slash, Oliver curiously asked why he had chosen to help him, since Chris was clearly much better. The young man, whose entire body emitted red blood, explained that if he hadn't been threatened by Chris, the blood demon would have completely taken over his body. Then he walked away, reasoning that he was risking his life, and Chris would definitely not accept that risky approach. After that, he took out the demon glare scabbard covered in blood, regretting that the cowardly blood demon was afraid of this scabbard and didn't dare show its face. Of course, a bloody monster appeared, asking why he said that and whether he wanted to find him right now. He said he could do it with this kind of sword, repeating himself with emphasis. At the same time, blood arrows slipped through the demon glare scabbard and pierced Ceylon Cooper's body, accompanied by the monster's mocking laughter. The scabbard is indeed a shackle to restrain the blood demon, but the user must be strong enough. Suddenly, he yanked the blood arrows out of his body and shouted, "The scabbard only needs me to awaken to be sufficient." Then he charged in barehanded, slashing a line at the provoking monster, yelling, "To make you submit, I have to do it myself." Of course, someone kicked the door open, shouting, "Where is the bastard who kicked me? Get out here, I've come to settle the score." A member of the aristocracy was about to fight him, saying, "This is Ceylon Cooper, who once defeated the king of the rebel prince. Let him handle it." Instead of replying, Ceylon Cooper turned around, and the blood beast behind him erupted with blazing red energy. "Just in time, all of you shall be test subjects for my blood essence." Seeing him charge at them with flames of red fire all over his body, the noble students cried in fear, "Ceylon Cooper, do you still want to fight to the death?" But this young man ignored them, throwing a punch that made them grimace, cursing, "You are the ones who want to fight to the death." Then the pool of blood on the floor enveloped the lying noble students, and he sneered, "Daring to break into my training room, you're practically asking for death." And of course an iron chain was pulled out, two staff members each grabbing one of Ceylon Cooper's arms, forcing him to turn back. Clearly, he used the immovable as a mountain technique, relying on his immense strength to keep his body steady, withstanding blows weighing 10,000 pounds. One of the noble leaders, radiating a fierce aura, said, "Oliver, thanks to you we captured Ceylon Cooper. I believe the second prince will soon forgive you." But he warned, "I advise you to leave immediately." Exactly, the leader, enveloped in smoke. What? The absolute freedom Ceylon Cooper wanted has already broken the noble rules. He won't survive. He pointed his sword at Ceylon Cooper, ferocious. Meanwhile, the pool of blood on the floor was slowly spreading. Then, they transformed into a blood monster beside Ceylon Cooper. The power of Hydra came from Samathu inside a piece of chocolate. As for him, his face dark and sinister, eyes ferocious, he declared domineeringly, "I am someone who doesn't believe in fate." Then Ceylon Cooper's hand was tied tightly to one side next to his head, making him shout in fear, "Ceylon Cooper, if you dare touch me, you will become the enemy of the entire noble alliance, the enemy of the sword saints within the alliance." Suddenly he crushed the blue stone he always wore around his neck. Then he laughed gleefully and threatened, "You're done. I've reported your evil deeds to the strongest sword saint. You will be hunted forever. Even Chris can't save you." Of course, the many-eyed blood demon monster appeared behind him, grinning. "Unfortunately, you won't live until they come to save you." So he turned around in horror and asked what kind of demonic thing this was. The moment he finished speaking, the blood monster bit off his head. While that guy was still squirming in its stomach, the blood demon looked down and sneered, "These guys are not as tasty as human flesh and blood." Then they said, "You lost. Are you going to eat flesh?" After that they moved to the side. I'm not sure what kind of person they will become. It could be that they have completely left my body. Body shattered and body shattered and body shattered. He stood to one side. Oliver asked, "If I can help you, this guy can't handle even a little bit." On the other side, the students inside the monster's belly screamed, "Teacher Oliver, save me, it hurts, save me." But Ceylon Cooper picked up his sword and refused. "No need, you'll have a hard time attacking these students." He kept dodging the monster's dark red tentacles, silently determined. In the academy, fatal fights are strictly forbidden. Today they cannot die here. Then, holding the demon glare scabbard in one hand, he swung his sword and sliced off a tentacle, thinking, now I just need to exhaust the blood demon's blood essence, wait for it to weaken, then absorb it into the scabbard to fully control it. This young man's eyes became transparent. His talent allowed him to see through the monster's blood layer, clearly discerning each student inside its stomach. He calculated, the blood demon's blood essence has scattered, and it has also absorbed the student's blood essence, making things a bit troublesome. Looking at Cellon Cooper's red sword, the monster grinned. What can you do even if you know? You can't save them. Suddenly a person was split in half. Then, he will take energy from the body and transfer it to the body. The person said that he will not lose power. He will not lose power. Lauren silently realized. So that's it. The demon relies on this eye to recover blood essence. We just need to eliminate this eye at the same time. Then he created many copies of himself, using the super regeneration bloodline skill to quickly restore lost blood. With the blood shadow skill, and no longer having the blood demon's threat inside his body, plus the fast regeneration ability of Hydra blood, now he could use the blood demon's high energy consumption without exerting himself. Next, all the blood shadows simultaneously charged with swords, attacking the monster, causing it to roar furiously. Cellon Cooper, you bastard. Meanwhile, he remarked, the blood demon's clone ability is stronger than before, almost equal to itself. The monster's body had been slashed in many places. Cellon Cooper raised the demon glare scabbard and said, accept it, you were meant for me to use, to be commanded by me. Then, Cellon Cooper saw some people fall onto the water accompanied by the sound of a pool of blood breaking. They said that they had to do that first before they could cry. Shortly after, the system announced that it had sealed a portion of the blood demon's power, while he sheathed his sword into the demon glare scabbard and wondered why only part of the blood demon's power was sealed. At the same time, a stream of blood energy shot out the door. At the same time, Cassidon entered the room and spoke to Andrea. Seeing the tragic scene, the servants angrily cursed. Cellon Cooper, what have you done to these students? Then Oliver said, you need to ask the ones who were in the room earlier. Hearing that, Cassidon used his staff to cast healing magic on the students and replied, I will thoroughly investigate today's incident. If the Mercenary Alliance has any tricks, they won't escape punishment. Holy light healing can treat a group within a certain range and restore stamina. Over here, he watched Andrea go to rest and thought to himself, I didn't pay attention to what the blood demon meant when he said he would make me regret it. Of course, Andrea fell down. Seeing that, he anxiously shouted, Andrea, and ran over to lift her up in confusion. He called out, Andrea, wake up, and used divine healing, a skill that can quickly heal and restore the target's consciousness. Suddenly, Andrea frowned, closed her eyes, and blurted out, Cellon Cooper, have you regretted it yet? Hearing that, he shouted in alarm, Blood demon, it's you again. And at that same moment, a moon-shaped mark appeared on Andrea's face along with a voice. It's not the first time he has had a blood demon's heart inside a host. Then another eye grew out of the mark on Andrea's face. The blood demon grinned and said, Cellon Cooper, I'm taking this girl's body. An image of him kneeling on the ground calling out William's name while being controlled by the blood demon monster in the past came back to his mind. He thought, why do I always bring misfortune to those around me? At that time he held William's body, who also had a third eye on his forehead, and heard someone say, Cellon Cooper, calm down. Only by using a subordinate to nourish the blood demon can we win the war. He truly deserves to be your most loyal subordinate. He willingly let the blood demon drain every last drop of blood without any resistance. Now Andrea is in his hands. In the end, all the people around him throughout his life have died because of him. Andrea will be the same because of his bloodline. She opened her eyes wide, glowing red with fire, and looked at him with hatred. Nevertheless, she was still in his heart, and he could not change anything. With his hand, he reached behind his head and manifested sharp claws. Suddenly a voice shouted, What are you doing? Jason, quickly think of a way to save him. And then, within a hair's breadth, as the claws struck the blood demon, a solid object appeared. Cassidon angrily scolded, Behave yourself. Don't think you can use her body to do evil. Then Cassidon conjured sharp ice blocks around himself and said, I can only restrict that demon's actions. As for you, you must drive it out of Andrea's body as soon as possible. Teacher Oliver, please take the other students out of here first. And then, they used water and ice to create a stream of cold air to cool down all the monsters. Immediately Oliver led the noble students out, while he stepped back to think, Andrea's still alive. I must save her in time. At this moment, from the blue magic circle on the floor, large ice blocks appeared surrounding Andrea. The system stated, the purification barrier gathers elemental forces between heaven and earth to create a cleansing zone, using blood as a conduit to purify the blood demon's power. Then Cassidon worriedly asked him, Have you thought of a solution yet? The longer we delay, the more dangerous it becomes for Andrea. At the same time, light shone from within each ice block, intertwining with each other. When attacked by those beams of light, the blood demon shouted, "You fool! Doing this will only kill the girl." Then she said, "She will become one of you. If you want to take care of her, you will not be able to protect her." Over here, he cut a line into the palm of his hand. Then he let the blood flow down and shot it straight toward Andrea. "Then let's see whether your blood energy runs out first or mine." "Teacher Kassadin, I will use my own blood to replace Andrea as the necessary conduit for the purification formation. Please use all your power to maintain the formation." "Replace?" The blood demon turned his arm into a sharp weapon and charged forward, shouting, "You madman, do you think you can destroy me like this?" But before he could take a few steps, he was held back inside. The monster exuded killing intent and threatened. "Once I break this formation, I will devour every single one of you," Kassadin worriedly warned. "This is bad. He actually has the power to break this formation." But he threw the demon glare scabbard forward and shouted, "Calm down. This is just the struggle of a trapped beast. Stop dreaming." The scabbard and the sealing sword stabbed straight into the floor, causing the ground to explode and debris to fly up. Right there was another array eye, connected to the ice blocks, emitting blue lightning energy, causing the blood demon to clutch his head and scream, "Impossible! Why is the formation increasing its suppression on me?" And he explained, "The scabbard seals a portion of your power. To deal with you, the blood demon's own power is still the most suitable." Then a sound rang out. Finally, Andrea coughed up a shadow of blood, and the eye on her forehead also disappeared. Kassadin quickly caught her. Andrea knelt on the ground and expressed, "Thank you, Teacher Kassadin." "Thank you, Salon Cooper. I'm fine now." And Kassadin replied, "No need to thank me. It's good that you're okay." Over here, he held the sword that was still emitting killing intent, pondering deeply. "Of course he is angry with me." Then he turned his head and shouted loudly, "Danger! The blood demon has not been completely destroyed. Teacher Kassadin, be careful." At that moment, she asked in confusion, "What's going on, Andrea?" Ma suddenly transformed her hand into a claw, and with a single swipe, she shattered the purple crystal on the magic staff. Ma let out a blood-curdling scream that echoed throughout the entire space. She continued attacking with her sharp claws, but Ceylon Cooper quickly rushed in front of Kassadin, shouting, "We've been tricked." Hearing that, Ma laughed madly. "Caught on, have you? Too bad without the staff. There's no way you can contain me." But he said he didn't want to let that person escape. Then, the young man placed the demon-glowing scabbard onto the central point. He cleaved it in two, declaring he would annihilate his enemy's soul. At the same time, a light flashed in the sky and Ma cried out in horror, "You madman! That's the Cooper family's most treasured heirloom." But of course, the blood spurting from Ma's mouth into the magic circle was none other than the first soul of the Cooper lineage, Mr. Brad Cooper. A moment later, the soul of Brad Cooper, the first sword saint, and the creator of Ma appeared, gripping Ma tightly, and said calmly, "Calm and decisive, worthy of being my descendant. How did you know I was sleeping inside the scabbard?" Salon Cooper pointed and explained, Ma is a creation of the family's first generation. For it to survive until now, its creator must be hiding somewhere. Since the scabbard can suppress Ma's power, I guessed you were sleeping inside it. He added more evidence. "I heard that the sword of Perseus could unlock the true hidden treasure of a sword saint-level powerhouse, the creator of and this heirloom is a reference to you." Upon hearing this, Brad Cooper transformed into a blood-red soul and praised him. "Clever child, you deserve to inherit the ability I am most proud of." The system immediately announced, "The ability obtained is bloodline domination, which allows control over other creatures through blood." Brad Cooper said, "I hope you keep a clear mind and don't end up like this." Immediately, Salon Cooper accepted the inheritance from the Ma soul. Then he asked Kassadin, "Is Andrea's body okay?" While helping the unconscious female student, Kassadin replied, "She just expended too much and is exhausted." Kassadin warned Salon Cooper, "If you plan to walk the path of Ma, you must be careful not to become its puppet." At the same time, Andrea woke up and exclaimed, "Teacher Kassadin, it's all my fault. The magic staff you've used for years is broken, and tomorrow is the Academy's final defense battle." Kassadin comforted her, "As long as everyone is fine, that's what matters. I'll go to the Noble Alliance auction house and buy a temporary one." Suddenly, Ma Long appeared, holding a crystal in its mouth. Beside him, Salon Cooper said, "Teacher Kassadin, thank you for caring about Andrea. Leave the matter of the staff to me." Then Ma Long spat out the crystal. He stepped on it and declared generously, "I'll make you a more powerful weapon, so you can shine in the competition." In the auction hall, a cloak was brought out. The leader of the noble students said to his friend, "If I had this hockey magic cloak back then, I definitely could have dealt with that Salon Cooper." Sitting nearby, he turned his head and smiled. So you're the one who wanted to deal with me? Seeing him, the other guy fell back in fear and asked, "Why are you here too?" Salon Cooper remarked sarcastically, "Why is the Noble Alliance full of idiots who only rely on their family's power?" On the other side, the auctioneer pointed at Luna and announced, 20,000, going once, twice sold. Congratulations to Luna of the Forrester family for winning the Hakim magic cloak. He wondered, she got it? Luna propped a leg on the chair, pointed at the person next to her and smiled. Thoradin, if you've got the balls, keep bidding. He rested his chin on his hand and scoffed. 25,000 gold for a magic robe? The Forrester family members are really stupid, but they sure have a lot of money. Then, the director brought out a staff. Next, he wanted to introduce the final item of this auction session. The best choice for high-level mages. Starting bid is 10,000. Immediately, George raised his hand to interrupt as Kassadin bid 11,000, and he shouted, "I bid 50,000. Kassadin stood up angrily and turned to curse. "Teacher George, may I ask why a warrior would need a magic staff?" The man laughed and replied, "I can buy it and keep it." "Teacher Kassadin, if you don't have the money, you can choose not to follow." Kassadin left behind George's mockery, a man who would stop at nothing to become the head of the Noble Alliance. Suddenly, Ceylon Cooper bid, "I'll pay 100,000, bought as a gift for Teacher Kassadin." Hearing that, George laughed loudly and mocked, "Ceylon Cooper, this isn't a place for you to joke. Do you even have that kind of money?" Thoradin stood up and declared, "Today I will cover all of Ceylon Cooper's expenses. For a chance to keep the Ma Long bloodline, my family is willing to die." George put his hands on his thighs, leaned forward, and taunted, "You think you can be so arrogant just because that brat supports you? I bid 200,000. Ceylon Cooper refused to back down and shouted, 400,000. "No matter how much you bid, I'll double it." Then came George's yell, "Fine, you've got guts. 550,000. On this side, he stood up, pointed his thumb downward with the support of the Sardins, and retorted, 1,000,000. "Why don't you raise it more?" "Oh, so the wealth of our esteemed Teacher George is only this much." Provoked, George went red, raised his sword, and shouted, "I bid 1,000,000 plus all my combat medals and this Katina sword." Hearing that, Kassadin broke out in a cold sweat and exclaimed, "He actually brought out the Katina sword, the broken sword that symbolizes strength, which Teacher George always considered his glorious war trophy." Ceylon Cooper released a killing intent from his bright eyes and said with a smile, "It seems George is determined to get the staff this way, so I won't play along anymore. The staff is yours." Finally, the chairman announced, "Sold. Thank you very much, George, for donating such a wonderful item to us." Sheldon spoke up, "If you dare take advantage when someone is in danger, then you should be prepared to be slapped in the face, right, teacher?" Kassadin walked to the back and asked, "Ceylon Cooper, although you made George bleed a lot to get the staff, didn't you promise to solve my weapon problem?" Ceylon Cooper thought about Ma Long, who was carrying out a task he gave, and replied, "Don't worry, it won't delay your afternoon tournament." In his memory, he remembered sending Ma Long out to get Midrin, an extremely dense material that can only be destroyed by high-level fire spells. He recalled how he had crafted weapons by himself and thought to himself, in the old days, weapons made from Midrin helped the Cooper people fight against war. At that moment, Ceylon Cooper held the brilliantly glowing staff and exclaimed, "This Midrin magic staff has energy and intensity far surpassing all other cheat weapons." Sometime later at the arena event of the Noble Secret Magic Tower, Kassadin held the staff Ceylon Cooper had given her, closed her eyes to sense the magic flowing within it, and felt a surge of excitement to test its power. Meanwhile, George swung his sword at Hector during the noble succession struggle, still distracted, and said to Kassadin, "Are you scared?" The system prompted him to use the Imperial Sword technique, the Gale Heavy Strike. Kassadin raised her staff to block him, and the force of the impact shattered the ground beneath her feet. George lost his favored weapon and could only stand still, but Kassadin realized the staff was unleashing chaotic energy, and the system's warning rang in her ears. Down in the arena, George pointed his green glowing sword. "Your staff is powerful, but in your hands it's just a piece of hard iron. A mage who can't release a spell is doomed to lose." Kassadin's eyes lit up as she raised her hand to conjure a purple-red spell. "I don't need high-level magic to deal with you, just an ordinary fireball." The fireball concentrated her body's energy and released it as a sphere of flame, compressing the excess energy to maintain control. His father stood nearby, watching George get engulfed but unable to intervene in time. Right before their eyes, the massive fireball swallowed George whole. George panicked and tried to flee, but the magic was even stronger than Hakim had anticipated. Luna stood beside Ceylon Cooper and shouted, "Master Kassadin, control that magic, someone's going to die." Cassidon snapped back to awareness, her eyes wide, startled by what she had done. She turned her gaze back to the staff. Looking at the scattered embers around her, she marveled. The magic channeled through this staff isn't just cost-free, it's massively amplified. At the same moment, the fireball shot into the sky, struck the top of the secret tower, and snapped it in two. Salon Cooper stood before Ma Long, arms crossed, and asked Master Cassidon, "Are you satisfied with the Mydran magic staff I gifted you?" Before she could answer, Thoradin and Luna gasped in amazement. He murmured to himself, calculating, "Today the Mydran creation succeeded. If we secure the mine, we'll have endless business deals." Cassidon immediately dropped her mage disguise, revealing her female identity in the night, leaving everyone stunned. Salon Cooper blushed. "Master Cassidon, you're a woman?" She transformed the staff into a rose branch. Using it, she gently touched his chest and said, "Tonight I must invite you to my office. I have something to ask you." That evening at the Imperial Academy office, the Cassidon room, Cassidon, back in her mage robes, held the rose branch and said, "I asked you here to tell you a secret, and I don't want anyone to disturb us." Salon Cooper was suspicious. "Don't joke with me. What could you possibly need to ask me?" Cassidon touched his chest with the rose branch and flirted. "Don't you know what it means to give a woman a rose?" Then she turned serious. "I know the power of this weapon. I don't need to know your secret. I just want to know what you plan to do. With my help, everything will go more smoothly." Salon Cooper replied, "With your help, I couldn't ask for more." Cassidon said, "I'll show you a new product, something no one else in the world has. Let's celebrate our cooperation, and please accept this gift." The young man remarked, "Today the nobles witnessed its power. I think I don't need to say much. They'll go crazy for it." Salon Cooper replied, "I only have one request. Never hand this weapon over to the Cooper family." Cassidon laughed, "No problem. This vengeful little wolf is quite interesting." She continued, "Don't you care about the red-eyed rat Eve is dropping on us? Do you know whether Cooper pushed me out in my previous life, or whether I left on my own in this one? Then get ready for my revenge." Sometime later, Salon Cooper was surrounded by a group of nobles. "Baron, just cooperate with our family on weapons, and you'll be an honored guest, served at all times. My family can exchange heavenly treasures for your Mydran weapons." He listened until he was sweating and extremely annoyed, but they kept going. "Baron, I have a beautiful unmarried sister. Please consider her." He thought to himself, "These shameless nobles chase me every day like flies. I'm going crazy." Those nobles ran into the barrier of the training tower. Only those who had broken through to gold sword level could enter, ensuring the safety of the trainees. Salon Cooper speculated, will these greedy nobles continue their alliance with Cooper, or will they betray each other? I have to wait and see. He stood watching Chippy and Gron fight monsters on the lower floor of the training tower, taking down 100 shadow wolves to advance to the middle floor. Salon Cooper told himself, while Cassidon auctions the Mydran weapons, I need to level up my abilities quickly. Chippy was excited. The swordsman noted the wolves breaking through the encirclement, and the others focused their attacks. The entire group surrounded one shadow wolf in the center. Chippy, sitting on Gron's shoulder, commanded, "Come here to grab resources. After you take the beast core, fall back, pay attention to the rhythm of the battle." He rested his chin on his hand and commented, "These people are from the Mercenary Alliance. With a leader like Chippy guiding them, no wonder they secured a spot in the academy." Suddenly, a shadow wolf charged toward Lisa, its jaws open to attack. William quickly slashed his sword to block it. "Lisa, get out of here!" Chippy yelled, "You two reckless idiots. The most important thing is everyone's lives." William stubbornly continued fighting the shadow wolf, turning his head to reply, "Never mind us, you all go ahead." Chippy urgently directed Gron, "Go save those two idiots." At the same time, he used his shoulder to knock away another shadow wolf. The two came to assist William and Lisa. William said, "Sorry, I thought I could handle the wolf on my own." Lisa replied, "It's all my fault." Gron spoke up, "Wolves live in packs and are good at group attacks. Next time, you two will have more experience." Hearing that, Lisa nodded in agreement and immediately transformed her Medusa hair into weapons, using the special skill Heavenly Silk Massacre, causing each strand of hair to strangle all the demonic beasts in range. Suddenly, one of the photos of his face appeared from a very long time ago. The wild call rang out. The wolves, when in danger, would howl, increasing the attack power of their allies, an effect that could stack. Replacing William the charcoal seller, this time it was truly difficult. Unexpectedly, they summoned so many of their kind. Gron blocked a wolf with his bare hands, but there were too many. Suddenly, Salon Cooper chopped off the head of a wolf in front of Gron and said, "Then wouldn't it be better to just take care of all of them?" Seeing this, Chippy and Gron were stunned, their jaws dropping. "Are you the Salon Cooper who defeated those nobles earlier?" But But Ceylon Cooper didn't rush to answer. Instead, he swung his sword and dealt with a series of phantom wolves. At the same time, the system announced 25 out of 100 phantom wolves in the beast realm had been eliminated. Then, when he blocked all of them, they would be able to rush into his bloodstream. A moment later, Ceylon Cooper glanced back and replied, "Thank you all for letting me use the training room. That helped me a lot." Then, he tossed 2 bottles to Chippy and said, "Thank you for saving my teammates. You all go ahead and heal. Leave the rest to me." Then Ceylon Cooper created a vortex of air around himself, drawing all the blood energy of the dead wolves into his body. Instead, the other wolves growled angrily. Ceylon Cooper just raised a cold red eye, and then he would wear a red shirt, showing everyone how to use it. He said that those who carry heavy weight can be used by a heavy person because of body weight, causing the wolves to tremble all over. Chippy, with eyes like O and mouth like A in astonishment, blurted out, "So you actually scared the phantom wolves directly. Quite a clever trick." On this side, after raising his sword high and looking at the pack of wolves, he shouted, "Reverse elimination." He used bloodline dominion through his bloodline to control other creatures. Immediately, the wolves lunged at each other, biting and tearing. Gron watched in horror. "So you can control phantom wolves to attack each other. The blood demon is unexpectedly terrifying." At the same time, the system indicated 67 out of 100 phantom wolves in the beast realm eliminated. A moment later, they continued dealing with each other, and the system reported 78 out of 100 phantom wolves in the beast realm eliminated. Instead, Ceylon Cooper looked at his hand joyfully. "Good dogs there. For me, offer up your hearts, and you will live forever in my blood." He was receiving the power to absorb heart-blood creatures under bloodline dominion, could be arbitrarily controlled by the master. At this moment, in Ceylon Cooper's hand was a heart, which channeled blood energy to the wolves in front of him. Then, Ceylon Cooper looked at the heart cheerfully and said, "I will reclaim the rightful name of Blood Demon and open up a land that belongs to us." Finally, the system reported that the Beast Realm area had been cleared 100%. Immediately, a pillar of light shone down on the ground, and the system spoke. "Congratulations to all trainees for clearing the lower floor of the Beast Training Tower and opening the way to the middle floor." Ceylon Cooper stood before the teleportation gate, turned his head and asked, "I will continue to challenge. Do you all want to join?" Immediately Chippy, on behalf of Gron, William, and Lisa, replied, "The Mercenary Alliance always values loyalty. Having received your favor, there's no reason to flee in the face of battle." As they entered through the gate, Chippy spoke up. "First, let me reiterate, the middle floor is not a place with corporeal demonic beasts." At the same time, the teleportation gate brought them to a place. In the middle of the night, someone would see the universe around them. This was not the universe from the past war. Chippy also had to wonder, this is the war ruins and the bones of fallen soldiers. Suddenly, the system announced, "Living entities detected. The forgotten heroes are being activated." Then, it looked toward the White Mist mission. The objective in the middle floor soul realm was to eliminate all forgotten heroes, and they had done it again. All of them were people who had once been there. Their 2 codes were sent to the academy to stay in the training tower, while also repelling newcomers. Then he clasped his hands in a salute. "Forgive my offense, seniors." After saying that, after releasing the blood wolves, he shouted loudly, "Everyone, please get out of the way." One of the captured ones, the other also quickly found the enemy. The former said that the objective of the middle floor soul realm is to protect all heroes to 100. On this side, Lisa watched the wolves working and sighed. Blood spheres really like to eat bones. Some people also suggested that the skin was still hot. Then, the system announced, "The objective of the middle floor soul realm is to eliminate all forgotten heroes 0-100. This information made Ceylon Cooper wonder whether the forgotten heroes could be eliminated by absorbing blood energy. Of course, a hero holding a staff emitted a green light and struck towards Ceylon Cooper, but he timely jumped up to evade, turning his head to silently analyze. Blood energy only provides nourishment to them, so I cannot use the blood demon recklessly. Suddenly, a loud warning shout came as a hero wielding a sword appeared right behind him. "Ceylon Cooper, watch out." He used his own sword to block the attack of the other person. Then, he thought that if they were soldiers trained in war, they still had the ability to fight against the war. In the sky, countless blue meteor-like stars fell down. They struck according to each step of Ceylon Cooper's movement. He glanced around and silently thought that the attack rhythm was linked together. He couldn't continue like this. Then, William set up a defense line. Immediately he rushed forward to dodge the falling meteorites, while Land stood behind his back. Then he ordered, "Lisa, take me over there." With that, she used her Medusa hair to toss Ceylon Cooper high into the air and replied, "Okay." He flew up and slashed a circular sword line, taking out several heroes. When the system announced the elimination of all forgotten heroes, having eliminated 5 out of 100, Salon Cooper, with his sharp eyes, exclaimed, "Please, everyone, rest in peace." On the other side, Chippy looked up, sweating, and remarked, "Everyone's individual and coordinated fighting is very good, but the mid-tier environment is not as simple as you think." A moment later, the heroes who seemed to have been eliminated recovered, and the system confirmed that the number of eliminated was still 0. After the night, the king could still return at the end of the day. Lisa made a face, using her expression to show discomfort. She was sweating, gritting her teeth as she heard someone speak. "In my experience, the forgotten heroes will keep reviving as long as they are not eliminated at the same time." Elsewhere, William used his shield to block the swords of 2 people, hearing the voice continue. "They will drain our strength until we are completely defeated." Then, Chippy added that we could take everyone outside. As for Ceylon Cooper, he recalled the scene of being surrounded before and thought to himself, "I never expected to encounter a battle situation like my previous life in this life." Then he happily spoke up, "I already know how to eliminate them." He seriously commanded, "Everyone, listen to my orders, stop attacking and move close to me." Chippy heard that and retorted, "Ceylon Cooper, you are not familiar with the terrain here. If you want to escape, you need to follow me closely." Then, William and Lisa advanced forward. "Without any doubt, I have to fight." Chippy smiled contently and, along with Gron, followed him. "Very bloodthirsty, very much liked by our mercenary alliance. This time I will follow your arrangements." He rushed forward while thinking. While William blocked a slash from an iron armor, he relied on his past life experience. If those dry bones can revive infinitely, then there must be a source for their recovery. He also observed as Lisa blocked between 2 skeletons, noticing that the positions and actions of the skeletons had a priority target of protecting this source. He quickly visualized each point at every position, thinking that by moving randomly across the battlefield, we could find their action rules. Salon Cooper charged forward, slashing a path that cut a skeleton in 2, and shouted, "This place is the key to breaking the situation." His eyes looked ahead. "I will meet you soon." In front of him was a giant skeleton with a blinding blue light emanating from its belly. It spoke soul manipulation? From the beginning, a giant monster appeared throughout the entire area. It was a codling, one of the codlings created by the surrounding dry bone death key, both offensive and defensive. There were 2 skeletons around him that also had to sit back and watch. Suddenly, one silently stepped up from behind Ceylon Cooper. William spoke up to warn, "Ceylon Cooper, be careful." Immediately another one rushed to attack him. Lisa also got angry, controlling her strands of hair to attack, and yelled, "Get lost." However, a skeleton grabbed her hair. She was quickly thrown away by it, only able to scream in panic. Suddenly from somewhere a hand reached out in front of Lisa. She then straightforwardly reminded, "Lisa, pay attention to your own safety." He also carefully instructed, "William, don't worry about me, you just need to protect Lisa." Chippy and Gron, fighting as well, felt something was wrong, and they shouted, "Zan, the strategy is too bold." As soon as the words ended, a rock fell down blocking the path ahead. He gritted his teeth. "Oh no, the exit is completely blocked." Then he did not hesitate, drew his sword and leaped up. "Then we can only fight to the death, risk our lives against them." Gron also felt annoyed. This forgotten sacrificial priest setup is exactly meant to wear us down to death. He looked at William and Lisa who were struggling to fight. The power of the forgotten heroes had increased, making William and Lisa have to defend with difficulty. Ceylon Cooper then activated his own ability, Bloodline Dominance, activated by burning blood Kai, stimulating himself as well as his teammates. He strongly declared, "The battle is nearly over, now it's our turn to counterattack." William and Lisa also felt the fire spreading within them, the power that Ceylon Cooper had given them. Lisa said, "I feel like I can fight another battle now." They advanced, continuously slaughtering the skeletons. The objective of the mid-tier environment was to eliminate all forgotten heroes. They had eliminated 6 out of 100. Chippy seemed surprised when he saw his sword glowing red. Blood Demon can not only activate human potential, but also enhance weapons. Both he and Gron were ablaze. They had moved closer to the target. The mid-tier environment objective, eliminate all forgotten heroes. They had eliminated 12 out of 100. Chippy smirked triumphantly. "If we keep stimulating like this, we might just win." Ceylon Cooper lightly touched his sword and said, "Too slow." Bloodline Dominance King Sword, concentrating the bloodline dominance into the weapon, creating super strong destructive force. His eyes looked ahead. The blood demon magic was too much. It would damage the bodies of all of them. After saying that, he raised the blazing sword straight to the sky. "Then you will regret it, so let me end it all." Salon Cooper set the entire area ablaze, smoke and dust billowing. Chippy covered his face, channeled blood energy into his sword, and shouted, "Just how many tricks are you still hiding?" A pillar of fire descended from the sky to the ground at a terrifying speed. He stood tall, plunging his sword into the ground. He left a few final words, "May you rest in peace, esteemed predecessors." The pillar of fire triggered an earth-shattering explosion that echoed everywhere. The pile of bones gradually completely disintegrated. They had completed their objective on the middle floor: eliminate 100 forgotten heroes. After disappearing, they left behind a book, the Book of the Undead, capable of using dark magic to summon the souls of heroes from the battlefield, making them fight for the user. He picked up the book and handed it to Lisa. "Lisa, this Book of the Undead is for you. It will help you make a ton of money." Chippy also spoke up in praise. "You are more suited to be the leader of the Mercenary Alliance than I am. You can lead us to a bright future." He placed a hand on Chippy's shoulder to comfort him. "Only with life is there a future. I need you to help me protect our precious friends." Just then, a voice rang out, truly a master and servant with deep affection. Dutch appeared and announced, "Congratulations, trainees, for passing the floor of the mixed training tower, opening the path to the upper floor of the sacred realm." There was a hint of annoyance in his voice. "What a pity. You have offended someone you should not have, making me extremely displeased." His surroundings immediately fell silent. Dustin took out a necklace, and a shadowy figure appeared behind him. "It seems you don't realize who you've offended," he recalled. "One of the illegitimate children of the Cooper family. So that troublemaker came from the aristocratic alliance." The old man bowed his head, while he held his sword and stepped forward. "Although my grandson is a bit useless, it's not your place to discipline him." Chippy heard that and was indignant. "Obviously that guy stole our high-level training room." At that moment, the monsters were torn apart by a hail of machine gun bullets from outside. That was the power of Dustin, called dust compression. He instantly compressed the dust in the air, creating a massive impact. "He is the Sword Saint, Dust Sword Dustin. What? You dare to criticize?" It seems Chris was too superficial in teaching new students, allowing you lot to dare to look down on a sword saint like this. He also confirmed, "That's right, he is Dust Sword Dustin, the one who stands shoulder to shoulder with Hidden Sword Chris of the previous generation. A super powerhouse who can change the entire course of battle." He was knocked back far. Not only that, his ability to take hits is so strong. The Sword Saint is truly a monster. His sword glowed red with flames. "I won't just wait to die. That's not my style. Senior, my apologies." William charged forward. "I'm here to help you." Lisa also used the book she had just obtained. Instantly, an army of skeletons appeared. Dustin looked at the scene and couldn't help exclaiming, "That's quite intimidating, isn't it?" One of them flew over and stopped. It was dust breath, used to absorb into the body and remove all magical objects. "Hemph, a bunch of ignorant brats who don't know their limits. Before absolute power, you lot are not even qualified." He gritted his teeth in astonishment. Just one blow and he already neutralized our attack. Then he raised his hand, concentrating power into his palm, causing the opponent to feel pain. Finally, the dust clung to the body with moisture, causing it to petrify. William and Lisa stood up, but then froze cautiously. He also used his own power, Bloodline Dominion, with blood flowing, activating the blood energy attribute to break the restraints. He clenched his fist and raised it straight up. "I am the only one who offended your grandson. If you have the guts, come at me." Those two, so many moves, and yet they were easily neutralized. Dustin's ability activate again, dust flying everywhere. Dust Ring, a small flying sword made of dust, moved at the will of the Sword Saint and had tremendous destructive power. The small swords gathered around him. "Then this old man will grant your wish." He did not hesitate and rushed forward. As long as Dustin's target remained him, William and the others would be safe. He used Bloodline Dominion, activating the blood energy attribute to explode his potential. He could heal wounds at any time, but if these dust particles only managed to wound him, they would be contaminated by blood. Therefore, he used super regeneration, instantly healing physical wounds and removing all negative effects. After rushing forward to slash at his staff, but the repulsive force sent him flying backward. When the dust construct was stained with blood, it became affected by his magic. He thought, "He will continue attacking, but I will keep fighting. There must be a chance to survive." His eyes blazed with confidence, but the old man had already raised his hand to block before he could get close. He looked straight into his face, muttering something. Dustin broke into a bright smile. "Congratulations, you have passed the trial." He was bewildered, not understanding what was happening. "Senior, this is..." The old man replied, How could I destroy the Academy's future star just because of a worthless grandson? Saying so, he gently waved his hand. Zhen An and his teammates appeared in a completely different place in the blink of an eye. He looked around in astonishment, unable to believe that the senior Dustin had brought them out. The old man fumed. From now on, you can come and go from the Academy freely, no longer controlled. At that moment, Cassidy approached holding a small vial. She said, Ceylon Cooper, the Mitron staff was just auctioned off by a mysterious person at the highest price in history. Even buying an entire city wouldn't be a problem. Those words made the young man think of Hera. She continued, my Badron staff cannot be sold to the Cooper family because of that waste Erlin. The first wife of the Cooper family will definitely take it by any means necessary. Saying that, she wondered, so your previous data was this thing? Ceylon Cooper placed his hand on her shoulder and nodded. That's right. I not only made them pay a huge sum, but also forced them to dig their own graves. His face turned serious. Cassidon, spread the word within the Noble Alliance that the Midran mine is located in the Silver Mist Swamp on Cooper territory. She looked confused. Do you want to reveal the secret of Midran to the whole world? Rest assured, I'm the only one who knows how to process Midran. Even if others see it, they won't recognize the ore. Cassidon worried about the risks, but those old monsters from the major families will definitely slaughter the Silver Mist Swamp for the Midran mine. Ceylon Cooper had already calculated everything. The head of the Cooper family will do everything to avoid any connection to Midran. If a Midran staff were found in the family right now, it would be very hard to explain. Then, the young man took the vial from Cassidon and called out, Brothers of the Mercenary Alliance, I will give you the best equipment. Follow me into the Silver Mist Swamp.